Welcome everyone to my Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Season 1 review, which this review has taken a long time, and I'm sure it's going to take a long time after I'm recording this section due to editing purposes, of course. But Yu-Gi-Oh! GX is the first spin-off series to do monsters in terms of course, the anime, because, you got Yu-Gi-Oh! In terms of a manga, which released during the 5D sale in the US. I don't know why that took so long, but that's a different topic. But Yu-Gi-Oh! GX is made by the same studio, Yugioh, which did DM, and aired between October 6, 2004 to March 26, 2008. The show was made by Kasuga Takahashi, who is the creator of Yu-Gi-Oh! This series focuses on fusions. That's the main mechanic. This was an idea by... I apologize if I butchers anyone's name during this review, which I'm sure will. Kobo Masacho, who's the dude composer for all the series. So, I'm not sure if that impacted like future series, like, oh, we need something mechanic to focus on for the rest of the series Gap 1. But this was kind of the start of that, which boost polymerization to apparently, I just saw a fun fact video about this today, was used 300 times in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime for all the series, and GX was definitely about half of those times. Probably was used over 100 times for those curious, because that did get a lot of usage too. Hatsuki Tatsuji, who worked on Do Monsters in the Pure Light movie, was the director of GX. The while of season 1 through 3 was Junki Takigami, who worked on Naruto, Pokemon, Dragon Ball GT, Do Monsters Reigns, and the Planet of Light movie. The music was done by Taka Nimbo, who worked on 5D's Zexum and the Bond Beyond Time movie. The opening is Fine Weather Harula by Jindo, and the ending was Genki Bio by Jam Project. This is one of the few times that I would say in an anime that I like the ending better than the opening. The opening is a very mixed bag. For me, it's very bombastic, which I think fits like the whole like theme of GX in terms of it's a story about adolescence and growing up and how that can be like wacky, especially season 1 and season 2 of GX, especially now that the later seasons don't have very wacky moments themselves. But because of that, it's like some parts I really like of Final Level Harula, and other moments I'm just not the biggest fan. And Genki Battle is just consistent in terms of like me liking it, if that makes sense. And in English, we got Game On by Lucas Papalos. Apologize if I butcher anyone's names. And real quick, and since we do GX sub and dub here on Yu-Gi-Oh! Sub and dub on Before's channel, I would like to go over some voice actors. And it's going to be both the sub and dub actors to give credit to the dub actors, since I did watch both for this review. And this would go a lot smoother once we go over the hump of season 1, because it's gonna be like, less actors, and if an actor shows up again, I don't go over the roles again, because that's just gonna be repetitive. But I don't think GX really has as much as like Doom Bonuses did, to be honest. To get started, and again, try to get through this as fast as humanly possible. Jaden's voiced by Ken in Japanese, who also voiced Koki in Dare Squad and Apollo Justice, and most of his games, besides Zone, which is kind of funny in a way. It's like, Dylan voiced Apollo Justice and Apollo Justice. In English, Jaden's voiced by Matthew Lapatrix. Chaz is voiced by Taki Masuno in Japanese, who voiced Akamar in Dare Squad. In English, Chaz was voiced by Tony Samuel, who played Melanzo and Ship from Sonic Unleashed through episode 1 through episode 89. And then Mark Thompson, who played Duke Defron, Valen, Raphael, and Do Monsters, Zone, and Woman Goodman, and 5D's Astro number 96, and Otto and Zexum, and Flame and Brains does Chaz from episode 90 onward. And it's like I also wanted to do the replacement so I can like remember that it's like, oh, this character's gotten replaced. I think Alexis is played by Sansi Kobayashi in Japanese, who played Sumiri in Naruto. In English, Alexis was voiced by Priscilla Eflint up until episode 25, and then was voiced by Christine Monoa for the rest of the series. Cyrus is voiced by Masami Osuki, who played Bones in Do Monsters and B in Dragon Ball in Japanese. In English, Cyrus was played by Wayne Grayson, who played Joey, Darts, and Charlie in Do Monsters, Banner and GX, Botano and Jesse Wheel in 5Ds, Vespero and Zexum, and Sebastian and Sevens. Chumley is played by Takahiro Hasu, who played Skill Dog Magician in GX, and Yani Yugi in the Ace Attorney anime. In English, Chumley was voiced by Ted Lewis, who also played Bako, Yami Bako, Alistair, and Do Monsters, Jack Atlas, and Rex Goodwin in 5Ds, and he played Chumley in Season 1. For Chumley's Season 2 appearance, he was voiced by Tom Rayland, who played Crow in 5Ds from episode 92 onwards. Bastion is played by Yuki Masuda, who also played Bruno in 5Ds, and Fuji Maki in Angel Beats. In English, Bastion is voiced by Eric Stewart, who voiced Kaiba and Monsters, Titan in GX, Aswolf in 5Ds. Live Sling, Crowler was played by Hiroshio Shinzui in Japanese. In English, Crowler is voiced by Sean Schemmel, who voices Yugioh, Niels, Professor Viper, and Mr. Beast Emma Mammoth. In GX, Guigo and the MC in 5Ds, Paradox and Bonds Beyond Time, and lastly, Blanc and Zexa. And now we can go on to the review. Episode 1. Jane's wanting to wait for his entrance exam to do Academy. Jane bumps into Yuki and he gives Jane Wing Kuribo as like a little nice passing of a torch moment. There's a wearing exam and a doing exam. If which he got a doing exam, that means you passed the wearing exam. Jane meets Cyrus and Bastion, who Valado is shown to be very good at doing, and his deck is very Kaiba, which is that's how Eric Stewart got the world. It's like the saw that episode go, oh, that's very Kaiba, let's give Eric Stewart the world. Not saying, you know, Eric Stewart isn't talented, but it's like a little nudge nudge wink wink Easter egg type of thing. I could see that being the case because the dub really likes the references.
Try harder next time.
Is that Joey Wheeler?
No, man, it's his cousin Jesse Wheeler.
And I was like, I can see references that I'm not sure confirm or not, technically, but the dub likes the references, so I can see them seeing this first episode and be like, okay, let's try to get Eric Stewart for this world. Again, I'm not saying that's the case, I have no proof of that whatsoever. We also meet Chaz, Alexis, and Zane. Dr. Crowell isn't happy that Jane shows up right before the deadline. Crowell is also very Italian and the Japanese version of the show. In the English dub, he's supposed to be still Italian, but he doesn't, like, come off, at least very as stereotypical as he does. And the sub, he goes like Mamma Mia a lot, and he would say different types of cheese and stuff like that. So, the dub really doesn't do that. So, and the accent feels more British than Italian. So, do with that as you will. Crowell got caught from the headmaster to let Jane test. Crowell is gonna test Jane himself. Basically, call Bastion and go like, you're number 2. And Bastion's like, who's number 1? Because like, I'm number 1. And Bastion would call Jane like number 1 for like a little bit. And I really like that detail. People with good grades get Duke codes, according to Crowell. And then Voodoo begins. Jane summons Emma Hero Avion and sets one. Crowell uses confiscation by paying 1,000 life points. He can look at Jane's hand and send Monster Reborn from Jane's hand to the graveyard. Crowell sets 2 and then plays Heavy Stone to destroy all spells and traps on the field. The cards for Crowell's set will Statue of the Wicked. Destroyed summons a token. Crowell uses his own deck instead of an exam one because he is being paid as hell. Vajay would dare to show up late to an exam. So he goes like, you gotta teach the dropout boy a lesson. Crowd Troop uses tokens to summon Ancient Guild Golem. Golem destroys Avion, and Golem does piercing damage. Jane is having fun. Jane summons Wing Kuribo and sets a card. Golem attacks Wing Kuribo, but when Kuribo is destroyed, he prevents damage on that turn. Jane doesn't like the crowd is looking down at his monsters. Jane uses Hero Single. When a monster is destroyed by battle, it allows Jane to summon an Emily Hero monster that's level 4 low from his deck. So he summons Emily Hero Bastratrix. Jane uses the Royal Returning Alive to add Avion from graveyard to hand. Avion gets summoned. Jane used Polymerization to fuse Avion Bastratrix to make Jane's favorite card, Emily Hero Flame Wingman. Jane plays Skyscraper, which boosts Flame Wingman's attack by 1,000 when it attacks a monster with more attack, which destroys Ancient Guild Golem. Flame Wingman deals damage equal to the attack points of a monster it destroys, winning Jane the duel. And then Jane can heal dual monster spirits. I like this episode. I don't mind the dual action being very short. I think that's to this episode's benefit, and because it's very satisfying. Later episodes don't prove this off very well. I'm looking at you, Wheelo, and actually Genzo. Both of those are prime examples of like one-off duels such as they needed a second draft in terms of dual actions if you ask me. But we get to the specific episodes later on. But you kind of get the feel of like Chaz, Alexis, and Zane's personalities, even though they're not really too much on screen, not really focused. And Bastion, not so much in terms of his personalities, besides he's good. Cyrus, you definitely get the personality of as like the self-doubting character that he is. And then Jane's personality is on full blast, full shine. You know exactly who Jane is. And as this a lovable character that just enjoys doing with all its heart. I remember this episode very clearly, watching it on Cartoon Network as it aired for the first time, so I might have a bias, but I do think this does its job as a first episode very well in terms of introducing Jane as our main character to the audience and have a Yugi passing the torch. Now that I was like, I don't think they could do the passing of a torch thing in every series. I don't think that would be just cheesy. I know like the Yugioh anime in terms of it has like tropes like the graduation duel, for example, but I don't think that like the passing of a torch became one, and I'm glad they just did once, and it had good impact of terms of Jane's character. So for each episode, I like to go over dub changes, stuff I find interesting or I find very opponent dub changes. So starting off with the dub changes, I do really like to play like the Doom Monsters theme and like the GX like style of music when Jane bumped into Yugi.
You don't say.
When Creeper has his car art when he does him a sub, visit doing community college and doing prep school. So this whole world is about dueling. You can't get anywhere in life without throwing down the face down first. Cry has a PhD in dueling, so you better call him Doctor. Avion has his car art in the dub, attack and defense and life points counters are different between sub and dub versions. The Student Chicks also has a call in the dub and is censored. I feel like Jane Icon Frame Wingman, his favorite, it has a missing feeling to it because it's like, oh, let me bring out my favorite monster. But like, I feel like Jane never officially calling Frame Wingman his favorite card makes like the favorite line of monsters. I mean, favorite line of cards kind of, not that misses in the TCG land, but kind of misses in the TCG land without that context of that behind it. But I do like the first episode. Okay, so moving on to episode 2. Gang arrived at Duo Academy Island. Jane and Cyrus are in self-led. Bastion gone to Yugioh. Cyrus has been watching too much Do Monsters to think that he and Jane have an ancient Egyptian past together. We meet Shumley, Jane, Cyrus' roommate, who's been held back a year. Depending on the grades you get is what dome you get. Cypher Web being on the bottom, while Yellow being the middle, the lover, and Obelix Blue being top dogs. Jane and Cyrus wander into the blue doing. Jane meets Chaz for the first time. Chaz and Jane are about to throw down when Alexis says the dome welcome parties are about to happen, so they can't do right now. Fly away in terms of quality of life, I feel like it's far of a shit. It's like Yugioh is middle of the world, and that's fancy. Obelix Blue, you gotta have your pinky up when you're in those domes. Red, it's a shed, and I feel like it's so lost. In comparison, like maybe I don't know. I get the concept behind it, but like man. Maybe it's the American brain set of like, oh, we must do everything. I don't know. Bano is the dome leader for Wed. Chaz challenges Jan to a duel at midnight with anti-rules. So, like, if you lose, you have to give up your best card. Chaz summons Reborn Zombie and sets the card. Jan uses Polarization to fuse Avion and Bastiontrix to make Flame Wingman. Chaz uses Sharphonium Polymer by tripping Reborn Zombie. Chaz gives control of Flame Wingman. Jen summons Emily Hero Clayman. Chaz summons Shafarian Sojum. Frank Wingman destroys Clayman and deals his attack as damage to Jayan. Shafarian Sojum attacks directly. Chaz sets the call. Jayan summons Emihua Sparkman. Sparkman destroys Shafarian Sojum, but Shafarian Sojum makes it so Jayan takes the same damage as Chaz. Jayan sets the card. Frank Wingman attacks, but Jayan uses Mirror Gate to switch control of Sparkman and Frank Wingman. Sparkman is destroyed and Chaz takes its attack as damage, thanks to Frank Wingman's effect. Chaz plays Shafarian Blast when a monster is destroyed. Frank Wingman gets destroyed, and Jayan takes half of his attack as damage. Chaz uses Call of Honda to bring back Shafarian Sojum and tributes it to summon Milfus by Inferno General. With school security is coming, and since they're doing av hours and dueling with anti-rules, they can be expelled. They leave as Chaz thinks he won. Jordan shows to Cyrus and Alexis that he drew Monster Reborn, which will have made him won for duel because, he can Monster Reborn Frank Wingman, destroy Memphis for game, and yeah, he will have 100% won. I do like this episode. I think it was a good more introduction to Chaz and Alexis' character. And I do like that Chaz prepared for Frank Wingman and took him during their duel. And Chumley, we get to more Chumley. We see that he's demotivated here and doesn't have that spark. He's the opposite of Jan in terms of motivation and enthusiasm towards dueling. But we get to him in a second. And Chaz is kind of also the opposite of Jan in terms of personality too. In terms of Jan feels more carefree, more fun-loving, and Chaz is more of a stuck-up witch boy. GX is one of the shows that has two rival characters being Chaz and Zane, and I think this is a fine episode to introduce Chaz as the rival character in terms of doing ability, and having it be interrupted and have this dude picked up, 2 episodes later, basically. I think that's a fine choice. But dub changes, they took out comparing Chumley to Death Koala, which, that does fit because Chumley does play Koala deck, so. And I'm surprised they took that out just because the dub, I feel like, does more low blows than the sub. I would have thought all the chips would be in on the Death Koala comparison, but what do I know? They have Cyrus calling Jay instead of Anarchy. Anarchy is like brother in Japanese, and even in this show, because Dale's Squad and Archimon calls Marcus Anarchy in its Japanese version of the show, and they translated that to boss in the English dub, and they did that same thing for Jamayo and Chaz, but I don't think they really had a good one-to-one translation. So Jay kind of works, but it doesn't have the same impact. I think boss, even though Cyrus calling Jay and boss wouldn't fit, so I know that translation-wise they were trying their best with that, and I'm not gonna fully go in, because that's very hard to do, and I think they did probably the best option the Cove picked, honestly. But for 2 examples I give for boss, that really worked out well. They do jokes with Anarchy in the Japanese version, because Cyrus actually does have a brother at Duo Kami called Zane, and they do a few jokes here and there, comments and stuff like that, but of course doesn't translate well due to them not using the Anarchy in the English version of the show, and we will get to those when we get to those. Sparkman and Clayman have the call outs in the dub, and they don't mention the anti-rule are against for Dual Kami rules in the English dub. We get a small breakdown of card classification by Alexis. Cyrus Shokman asks a question about field spells by Dr. Crow, but Jane stand up for him. Crow is making a fake love low and puts in Jane's locker. For Tang is a total being for school's PE teacher, gym teacher, and the blue gold dome Leo. She really has a lot on her plate. Cyrus got the love low because it was really his lock. The low says to me Alexis at the Ghost Dome. Crown breaks into the Ghost Dome, a male teacher breaking into a female student's living area, so he could take a picture of Jane. There's talks of whose boobs are bigger between Alexis and her friends, and it makes it even better that incredible kid. Cyrus got spotted because he arrived at the Ghost Dome and got tied up. Someone didn't fully read Valero because Valero was clearly addressed to Jan, and Alexis confirmed it to be fake. They hide Cyrus from Forte by sitting on him. Do that as you will. Alexis used the situation to get Jan to do home by trying to turn Cyrus in for being a peeping Tom. Jan arrives and Voodoo begins. Alexis summons Erotos Cybo and sets one. Jan summons Sparkman. Sparkman attacks Eros Cybo. Alexis uses double passe, which makes the attack a direct one. And then Eros Cybo can attack directly. She gains 600 attack when attacking directly. Alexis summons Sabableo. She uses polymerization to fuse the two monsters into Sabableo. Sabableo destroys Sparkman. Jan uses Fusion Gate, which allows Jan to banish monsters from his hand and field to fuse. In this case, he banishes Avion and Bestrontrix to make Flying Wingman. Jan places Kirishiro Spirit, so monsters on Jan's field aren't destroyed by battle when the battle monster with the same attack bonus. Sabableo also cannot be destroyed by battle when Jan only has one monster on the field. Alexis equips Fusion Weapon to Sabableo, which raises her attack by 1500, and she destroys Fang Wingman. Jan summons Clayman. Jan uses Monster Reborn to bring back Sparkman. Fusion Gate uses Clayman and Sparkman to make Emma Hero Thunder Giant. Thunder Giant's effect activates, letting it to destroy monsters with less original attack than it, so bye-bye Sabableo. Thunder Giant attacks directly for game. Everyone goes home. I like this episode. We see how much crowd dislikes Jan and how far that man is willing to go. Always jumping to, like, let's make him a peeping Tom. Let's make him seem like he was spying on the Gold Dome with his fake love loam, and that's pretty extreme for the first attempt. Of course, we get a lot of other attempts here in a second, but that's a nice showcase of like how far Quarles were to go to expel or get rid of Jan. Then Alexis's first focus episode is good. I think they did a good characterization for being audible and having an interest in Jan. Because, like, I believe it was Jazz members. But it's like, oh, we should still turn them in. And Alexis like, no, we said, and you know, if they beat me, we won. So we can keep our word. And then, you know, she's like, I had specific thoughts about Jan. And then it's good to see a new fusion with being Thunder Giant, which is kind of the cool part about the Emily Heals for different combinations you can get. Like, you know, you put in a Sparkman, you put in a Clayman, and you get a Thunder Giant. We get many different combinations that we will see more later on, but it's good to see the start here. And I know Flying Wingman is used 3 times in a row in a duel, but I think for the beginning, that is understandable and more forgivable, because it's kind of like, okay, we show how good Flying Wingman is, and we have 2 episodes back to back to be like, okay, Jan doesn't really need, per se, Flying Wingman get out of all of his jams. Or he has different, it isn't just an instant one button. Basically, like, you know, people can interact with Flying Wingman. So dope changes. Banner teaches unusual dueling techniques instead of alchemy, like in the sub version. Them removing all alchemy, I think it's a weird decision. I don't know why they would change alchemy. I can't think of like, or maybe because, you know, parents think it's witchcraft, or like the devil work, or whatever nonsense that they might think it is.
Whoa, she turned me into a newt!
But it's kind of a point that Banner is an alchemist, so there you go. The girls are naked in the sub version, but they got swimsuits in the dub. It's just forbidden to be in the girls' dorm room if you're a guy in the dub instead of Cyrus being a peep Tom like in the sub version, because I guess we don't want the implication. Jan can get expelled too, unlike the sub. Erotos Cybo is censored, but accidentally made Sparkman claim and infect monsters, and Sabableo is also censored. Episode 4. New cards are arriving on Duo Academy via the freaking army, which, you know, by today's expectation and how people treat trading cards, you kind of need to. Today, there's a test that you can, like, if you do well, you can get promoted to the next dome with a win and dueling test. Seems familiar. Jane's running late, again, very familiar, but he helps to delay day with her van. Saois is sleeping through the wind test, and so does Jane after he shows up late. Not Crowell, but of all the new cards, since Jane helped the lady named Dophiel, who happens to work at the card shop, he gets one last pack. Crowell gave all the new cards to Chaz to be Jane with. Majomi Fundo starts here, which they translate Majomi Fundo to the Chaz. Well, the subs change it to so I'm not sure if that's a play on words with Fundo. Though Majomi Fundo chants a lot better than Chaz up. Just saying. But yeah, it's the first time Majomi Fundo is mentioned. It's not as prevalent as it becomes, but it's at least mentioned here. Jane for Chaz starts with Jane summoning Claimant. Chaz uses Magical Mallet to shuffle what cards he wants from his hand back into his deck, and that includes Mallet itself, which seems a bit silly. And then draws the same number back, and then he does it again. Chaz summons the Tackle Jet. Chaz plays frontline base, which allows him to spread summon one level 4 low unit monster from his hand. In this case, is W-Wing Catapult. W-Wing Catapult fuses with the Tackle Jet to make VW Tackle Catapult. By discarding one card, VW can make it switch Claimant into attack mode. VW destroys Claimant. Chaz sets a card. Jane summons Sparkman and sets a card. Chaz summons X Head Cannon. By using front line base, Chaz can summon Z-Mode Tank. Chaz uses card 100 to bring back Y Dragon Head. And then X Head Cannon, Y Dragon Head, and Z-Mode Tank fuse to make XYZ Dragon Cannon. ZW Tackle Catapult fuses with XYZ Dragon Cannon to make VWXYZ Dragon Catapult. Now, VWXYZ's effect allows Chaz to banish Sparkman. VWXYZ attacks where Jane uses Hero Motions to make Chaz pick a card in his hand. If it's a monster, he can summon him. In this case, it was Sternstrix. VWXYZ can first put Sternstrix into attack when it attacks. The Sternstrix is destroyed. Jane draws the card that he got from Dolphy. Jane summons Winkweeble and sets a card. VWXYZ Cannon tries to banish Winkweeble, but Jane discards 2 to use Transcendent Wings to make Winkweeble until level 10, in which by triggering it, destroys VWXYZ and deals its attack as damage to Chaz. Jane summons Avion and attacks Chaz directly for game. Jane turns down going into Yugioh because he likes being in red so much. I like this episode. Jane being such a kind, gentle spirit, I will jump on that chance for moving up. Especially again, seeing like the condition between the two domes, I would have been like, wall yellow, please. Again, the doing action is fine. It's not the best, but I think it's fun enough seeing all the like union monsters and all of them combining into bigger fusion monsters. It's fine. And then Winkweeble level 10. Also a fun little thing. I remember the cows would put Transcendent Wings in Winkweeble level 10, but never Winkweeble himself. So couldn't do this combo as a kid. Said me so. But other than that, this is kind of like the start of Chaz's character arc of the season right here with him losing to JN. We would definitely get more into that later. Okay, so episode 5 and 6 are 2 parts. I'm gonna go over both of them before going my final thoughts, but I will still have episodes separated for just the dub changes, if that makes sense. So, episode 5. Just left the worlds at one down dome. The gang are telling scary stories, and Jane hints at Yugioh by saying he used to heal Dew monster spirits when he was younger, and now he starts to heal them again. Get to Yugioh way later, but both using what they say to retroactive continuity, basically, in a very ingenious way. But Venom tells the story about Ben and Dome, but was used for very best students, but they went missing. A good chunk of them did. They were researching Yamino games. No, never mess with Dark Magic, man. Never mess with Dark Magic. We meet Titan. He has the puzzle to mind clutch people with. Cloud hires Titan to take care of Jan for 3 months worth of salary. He goes like, I don't care what your salary is. I just take 3 months worth of it. Which, hey, I mean, you gotta appreciate it, man. It's equal in terms of that. Because, like, I let anyone hire me. I just need 3 months worth of pay. The gang goes to the abandoned dome with a bump into Alexis, and I do like Chumley though because he likes to roam. Way makes Chumley not seem like a Toho. Like, add depth to Chumley's character. Like, he's not like a person who doesn't want to learn and stuff like that. He does. He's just currently not motivated to do so via do a cat. Alexis's brother was home doing someone missing. Titan kidnapped Alexis. Jayan found a picture of Alexis's brother. The gang found Alexis. Titan challenges Jayan to a Yamino game with their bodies and Alexis on the line. Titan summons Inferno Queen Archfiend, who gains 1,000 attack points and boosts all other Archfiends by the same amount if he has nothing but Archfiend monsters on the field. Titan pays Pandemonium so he doesn't have to pay Archfiends like maintenance costs in the standby phase. Like each early Archfiends does like damage to you if you have him on the field, and Pandemonium is a card to negate that a bit. Jane summons Avion and sets 2. Titan summons Tail King Archfiend, which can only be summoned when Titan has an Archfiend monster, and he gains attack thanks to Inferno Queen. Tail King attacks Avion, but Jane uses Mealgate, but Tail King rolls a die. If it lands on a 2 of 5 and negates Mealgate, enough cards lands on a 2. Avion gets destroyed by Tail King. Jane uses Hero Single. Since Avion got destroyed, he can summon out Clan Man. Titan uses the puzzle to make Jane's body start to disappear, which I do like that they use a Yamino game that they used before. And this is obviously representative of Yami Melik versus Yami Yugi in the Battle City Finals. Jane uses Pot of Green to draw 2. Jane uses Polymerization to fuse Spawnman and Clayman to get Final Giant. Final Giant tries to destroy Tail King, but with its effect, Tail King was a 5, negating and destroying Thunder Giant. Dub changes. Shumlin didn't want to go to the abandoned dome in the dub. Jane has no reason to take Alexis's brother's picture in the abandoned dome when they were looking for her, since they removed the name off of it, so he just took the picture because he goes like, well, this might be something. Instead of like, it'd be like, obviously, there is something because this is Alexa's last name and it's on this picture. And she said, her brother was missing. Dub is gonna dub. Episode 6. Jayan uses Mirage of Nightmares and says 2. Now, Mirage of Nightmares lets you draw up to 4 cards during your opponent's standby phase, meaning you have to discard the same amount of cards you drew during your opponent's end phase. Now, one thing GX loves to do, I feel like you search in the other series, but in terms of just drawing, Season 1 of GX is freaking ridiculous, because on some points, Jayan draws like 8 additional times during a duel, even a turn, or like 2 consecutive turns together. It's ridiculous.
I summon Pot of Greed to draw 3 additional cards from my deck!
And Mirage of... This is kind of stuff a bit with Mirage of Nightmares and just that whole wonkiness. A card that can never come off of ban list, because I feel like that'd be way too abusable in some decks that love to have things in their hands, and like Labyrinth, for example. But besides the point. Tail King attacks, but Jayan uses Mealforce to destroy all face-up attack precision monsters on Titan's field. Titan uses Deathwork Archfiend's effect from hand, but discarding it, Tail King returns. Pandemonium allows Titan to add an Archfiend of lower level to hand when one is destroyed by card effect. Tail King attacks, but Jayan uses Emergency Protocol to destroy Mirage of Nightmare to gain 1,000 points. That's how you get rid of Mirage of Nightmare's downside. Because some decks would love to discard too. This card can never come back. For a lot of different reasons and different plays and combinations you can do with this card. This card is multi-purpose. But again, it's not discussing Mirage of Nightmare's place on the ban list. Jayan disappears some more, signs that Chumley seems different body parts of Jayan disappearing. Jayan uses for Warrior returning alive to add Avion back to hand, and then uses Polymerization to fuse Avion with Stern Tricks to get one Flame Wingman. Flame Wingman destroys Tail King, and Titan takes Tail King's attack points as damage thanks to Flame Wingman's, I was about to say special ability, which they do use that terminology in the dub. Titan disappears a bit. Titan discards another Deathwork to get Tail King back. Jayan summons Dark Catapult. Titan's tributes Tail King to summon Gar Archfiend of Lightning. Gar Archfiend destroys Fang Wingman. Wing Kuipo helps Jane see this Yami no game is fake. Dark output for each turn is on the field in defense mode. Jane can bench one card from the graveyard to destroy one spell and trap card on the field. So say goodbye to Pandemonium. Titan was using hypnosis to make the game think that the Yami no game was real. Titan tries to escape, but then a real Yami no game starts by accident by Jan. Funny how that works out. And I do like that the location that happened to do a fake Yami no game is a place where people disappeared thanks to Yami no games. And also too, I guess I should mention, we're mostly used for dub names of characters. There are some exceptions. We get to the big one, because I think it sounds better. Like, one or two of them, I just couldn't, because I watched the sub first, I could not bother to look up, because I know it wasn't really important. Sorry, Sarah, we get to Sarah in a second. Well, not in a second, it's gonna be a bit till we get to Sarah. But, like, still, sorry, Sarah, I could bother looking up your dub name when I was doing the sub part of this review. Little demon blobs take over Titan, but Wing Kuipo protects Jan. Jan uses monster reincarnation by discarding a card. He can add Sparkman from graveyard to hand, which he summons. Titan has to pay 500 life points due to Scar Archfiend's maintenance cards. Scar Archfiend destroys Dark Catapult. Titan summons Death Work Archfiend and sets the card. Sparkman goes to attack mode and gets equipped with the Spark Blaster. Spark Blaster can change a monster's position up to 3 times before it destroys itself. Very niche card indeed. Sparkman destroys Tailwork. Spark Blaster switches Sparkman to defense. Titan uses Battle Scar to make both players pay Scar Archfiend's 500 life points maintenance card. Scar Archfiend destroys Sparkman. Titan sets a card, then uses double spell. By discarding a spell, Titan uses emergency provision to get rid of his set card to gain 1,000. Jane Spirit summons enemy hero Above-Man. Since he has no cards in hand, and since Above-Man is the only card in Jane's field, he gets to draw 2. You might as well put drawing 2 and Above-Man together for a bit. Boom. A majority of the times that Bubbleman is summoned. Jane plays Bubble Shovel by switching Bubbleman and Scar Archfiend to defense mode. He can triple Bubbleman to summon enemy hero Blade. Blade just destroys Scar Archfiend and it does piercing, winning Jane the game. Titan gets pulled down by the demons. Shumley can heal spirits like Jan. He heals for little Wing Kuibum. Alexis is saved. Jane gives the picture of her brother to Alexis. I like this episode. I know the first episode had the King of Games himself show up, but I feel like having a fake Yami no game turn into a real Yami no game when you have Titan using a papier-mâché puzzle, I think that really solidified GX as a sequel series. I mean, there's other stuff, you know, you can point to the XYZ monsters being used and not feeling like wink wink snatch snatch reference. I'm looking at you, Arc 5 with starving fusion Venom Dragon destroying all the GX fusion monsters. And I go, oh, you gotta do my Jama King like that, so. But anyways, besides the point, it's just a little fun to do. Yami no games will come up later, of course, so I think this is also a fun introduction to that concept by building off, like, hey, you know, this is somewhat similar to ideals that we saw in Doom Monsters. I think that's very smart of the writers to do it like that. Now, if you haven't seen Doom Monsters, I still think that this is an enjoyable time. And I don't think the concept is lost on the viewer if you haven't seen Yugi vs. Merrick. Dub changes. They don't talk about how people are seeing different body parts are disappearing, but by hint that something is fishy is kind of not in the dub. Titan used to have a job of a film as a hypnotist. They censor demons entering into Titan's mouth and making it a green pearl, which I'm not sure if that makes it better or not. The demon mentioned like talking about the other students. He goes like, haha, I make you disappear like the other student. Titan has kids, do that as you will. Shumley doesn't mention that he can heal dual spirits in this episode. Crowley found Pandemonium instead of his unkilled Bill. And he goes like, Pandemonium, this means Titan lost! And it's very awkward because like the scene totally does not match Shenmue's acting. Shenmue is perfectly fine in his acting. It's not the acting that's the issue, it's just like, why crowd to acknowledge that Titan lost and it's just an awkward pairing of scene as a match and voice line. Not magical scene. Episode 7. Duo Academy has an Army for Ethics Committee who arrest Jay and Cyrus for going into the abandoned dome. The two must win a tag doom to stay in the school. Shelly and Alexis try to become Jane's tag partner, but no dice. Well, honestly, Willie, I know that has already been decided and all that, but not gonna do a switcheroo. But really, Alexis should be up for Gob on this one. I know this crowd trying to get Jane suspended and all that stuff, but the reason why the enter was truly Alexis' fault, and she even admits that. She really was honest in that, so I do appreciate that for her character. Cyrus does not believe himself at all, and I thought I had low self-confidence. Look at Tuesday over there. Jay and Cyrus are gonna do to see Cyrus' deck. One of the worst fucking archetypes of all time, I swear. I don't think if it's an archetype, I think it's words. If we don't count speed words, because technically speed words are words, but besides the point, words as attended. Anyways, Jan summons Avion and sets 1. Cyrus summons Pat Ward. Pat Ward attacks, but Jan uses negate attack to negate my attack. Cyrus could have used Pat Ward's effect to check Jan's face down card, but he didn't use it. He got too excited, then he got depressed when his attack got negated. Jane summons Sparkman. Sparkman destroys Pat Ward, and Avion attacks directly. Jane sets a card. Shumling's cheering for Cyrus, which I do appreciate, because, Shumling knows what it feels like to be demotivated. He knows what it feels like to be the underdog. So I think that's a nice moment of, cheering his friend up against the wall with Judai Yugi. Cyrus draws to the pot of green. Cyrus draws Power Bomb, but his brother senses he is to use it because of an incident with a bully when Cyrus was rushing to use Power Bomb to show up for bully and really wasn't respecting the bully. Power Bomb fuses monsters together for a machine type monster, but it attack is double, but you take damage equal to its original attack point. So it's a double H, so you get 1 strong Mama Jama, but it will hurt you then. Cyrus uses polymerization to fuse Gyro and Steam World to make Steam Gyro. Steam Gyro destroys Avion. Jane uses polymerization to fuse Sparkman and Clayman to make 1 Thunder Giant. Thunder Giant's effect destroys Steam Gyro. Jane summons the Strintrix and then attacks directly with all of his monsters for game. Jane sees that Cyrus had Power Bond and that loads that it's off limit. Zane is the top duelist at Duo Academy and people kind of advise him. He gets one hell of a nickname in season 2, but right now he's just the chasm. Jane wants to do Zane. I like this episode. I think it's good to actually finally see Cyrus do. Not that I enjoy the world cards. I think the stupid deck is stupid. They're real. But I do like that we're learning more about Cyrus and we're learning about finally learning about Zane 7 episodes in. And, well, speaking of, Zane, we will learn about him soon in the next episode. But before we get to that, dump changes. Zane just wants Cyrus offline. It's like he shouldn't be here. Get him out! Eject him. But Dub really just cuts out Chumley wanting to do again because Chumley, he is remotivated. And they just cut it out. I actually really love Chumley's, Dog and the sub. The dub pushes it so hard. But we get to it, but that is one huge dub fumble. Because they just made Chumley punch it back for screw cheese and hates winning. Clayman Effect Master error again. Powerbomb has his call up, and the dub accidentally had Cyrus Hub, Gyro, and Pat World instead of Steam World for when he fused them together. Episode 8. Jane tries to figure out a proper foam to challenge Zane to a duel, but Carl whips it out. Also, cool poster in the background, which is actually, I guess it makes sense to have a proper foam to challenge people to duels. Good way to organize it. Chumley's building his deck in a tree, and he has a koala deck. Blue students would not let Jan Zane. Cyrus ran away via a raft. Green Creeper points Jan in the correct direction, and he stops Cyrus. Zane seems to know about Alexis's brother being missing. Zane is disappointed that his brother wants to run away. Jan challenges Kaiser to a duel after seeing how upset Cyrus is with how his brother treats him. Jane summons Avion and sets a card. Zane special summons Cyber Dragon from his hand since Jane controls a monster and he doesn't. Zane aims T to destroy Jane's face down card. Cyber Dragon destroys Avion. Kaiser uses Different Dimension Capsule to put a card from his deck into the capsule and he will get it back in two tones. Jane uses polymerization to fuse Sparkman and Clayman to make Thunder Giant. Thunder Giant's effect destroys Cyber Dragon, and Thunder Dragon attacks directly. And Jane sets that card. Zane summons another Cyber Dragon. Zane then uses Monster Reborn to bring back an old friend named Cyber Dragon from the grave. Zane uses polymerization to fuse the two Cyber Dragons into Cyber Twin Dragon. Cyber Twin can attack twice. Cyber Twin attacks Thunder Giant, but Jane uses a Healing Roaches to summon White Water from hand. Thunder Giant and White Water are destroyed by battle, but White Water, when destroyed by battle, lets Jane add one polymerization and an hero, in this case Clayman, from grave to hand. Cyrus is shocked, but Zane can actually have fun! Who would have thought people can have fun?
And is for anywhere and anytime at all.
Jane summons Bubbleman and uses the effect to draw two. Again, it's a very common occurrence. Jane draws his Link Creeper level 10 combo but can't use it since he already knows summon the stone. Jane uses polymerization to fuse Bubbleman and Clayman to make enemy hero Mumball Man. One of my actually least favorite. Actually, I think he is my least favorite hero design. I'm just not a big fan of Mumball Man. I'm pretty sure it was like a McDonald's promo when it was first released. Do with as you will, McDonald's. Do as you will. I mean, I like your Japanese ads. Your American ads can be lacking. Anyways, moving on. Kaiser gets his call from his captain. Zane acknowledges Jane and skill, and science learns what his brother was trying to teach him is think about all the icons in a duel, like, you know, respect your opponent about, like, oh, you know, they could have, like, a trap card and stuff like that. Because the bully in the flashback was about to spam buying Circle, his monster, after he powerbound it, and he would have lost due to powerbond's effect damage. Kaiser uses defusion to split Cyber Twin back into two Cyber Dragons. Zane uses Power Bond to fuse 3 Cyber Dragons to make Cyber End Dragon, and due to Power Bond, his attack is double. Cyber Dragon destroys My Ball Man, and since it does piercing, Jane loses. I like this episode, and I really like the final scene of, like, Alexis asking Zane, like, you know, what you think? And Zane's like, Cyrus got a nice anarchy though. And I really like that. That's a nice, again, that's a little tongue-in-cheek about Cyrus calling Jane anarchy. And then, while Zane's being, you know, of course, Cyrus' actual brother. I do really like that moment, and of course that's lost in the dub. Because again, that's really hard to translate specifically into English. I like Zane as a character. He's, again, I don't want to bash the dub, but like, I forgot how, like, Bo, his character is, at least in season 1, in terms of characterization, in the sub version or the dub version. I do enjoy it a lot more. It's good that Jane got lost early on, so, like, the audience also knows, like, oh, Jane's not gonna go on, like, a 10 million win streak. So I think it's good to, like, get that in there where you can, even though Jane does a lot. And GX, he does, like, way more than any other, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Protagonist, like, by far. This man is doing Fiend, giving more characters some screen time. Per case, like I was talking about Cyrus, I was only having like 2 duels in the entire first season. It's ridiculous. Especially since he's the best friend character. But hey. But dub changes. I'm shocked that poster was untouched, but it's probably drew by Takakashi himself, and that was probably a like thing like you can't censor my artwork, which is fair. The main shadow, like in the dream that Cyrus had, like that looked like Tristan, sound like Tristan.
That's your move?
The Alistair look like also sounds like him.
Yeah, Zane wouldn't waste his time with you.
At least this episode hands Chumley can heal to his spirit. Thanks dub Jane for pointing out the obvious of how a bad idea if you can't swim, shouldn't try to escape an island via raft. Especially since it's probably better ways getting off that island. The lesson here is the difference between using a card and playing a card, which I don't like as much as like respecting your opponent, even though like, you know, it's a, like in Cyrus' case it was a bully, so of course like he thought like he can show him up, he can, and like not respecting like his opponent has a face down card, etc, etc. I mean, I guess technically it's the same lesson, but like I feel like one has more depth to it than like, oh, it's the difference between using a card and playing it. I mean, not saying that isn't a good lesson, but there's a difference between using something and using it practically. That's basically what the lesson is. Again, I feel like one has more depth to it than the other. Cyrus' joke of he got looks after 2 brothers start here, and he repeats it not too often. There's only one episode when he does it a bit too much, but Zane's do against Kamala. He does it probably one too many times, or too many times. I think he just says it 3 times of that, but like, it's a fine joke. It's kind of, it's cute. It's a cute joke. Episode 9. Chumley's dad wants to take Chumley with him home to one of the family business, which is Lico. Don't get what Dub says. With high traces of Lico, but we get to what we replace for Lico with. But in the Lico business, Chumley wants to try be a duelist again since he hoped when Cleveland that became like a little spark of motivation for him. But he's terrified of his dad. Jared stands up to Chumley's dad with him and for him. Chumley has to be his dad and a dude who's a legendary duelist. He does have his own pack. I'm still waiting for Dizzy Tiger Konami and flipping the table. And if Chumley wins, he gets to stay. Chumley's dad overhears the gang building Chumley's deck the night before, and Banner, you should not have your cat drink liquor. Not good for it, but hey, whatever. Poor cat's insides. Poor Pharaoh. Purdue starts. Chumley summons Dallas Koala, but he should have said to use as a flip effect to do damage to Chumley's dad. Chumley's dad summons Dizzy Tiger. Dizzy Tiger destroys Death's Koala. Chumley uses Koala Munch to special summon Death's Koala from the grave and summon another copy from the hand. Chumley Trip uses 2 koalas to summon one Big Koala. Big Koala destroys Dizzy Tiger. Chumley's dad summons Dizzy Angel. Chumley's dad plays Hot Sauce Bottom. I'm using the dub names or translated names because that's what Crunchyroll used, and it's much easier to try to like Google every single freaking card in the anime, but it would take way too long. Anyways, besides the point. Chumley's dad plays Flipping the Table. Flipping the Table destroys the field besides itself. Dizzy Angel's effect protects it from flipping the table. When Hot Sauce Ball is destroyed, it deals 500 points of damage to Chumley. Dizzy Angel attacks directly. Chumley uses Silent Doom to bring back Big Koala from the graveyard and defense. Chumley uses Polymerization to fuse Big Koala and Death Kangaroo to make the Master of Oz. Master of Oz destroys a Dizzy Angel. You can't summon a monster after you flip the table. Chumley's dad plays 2 hot sauce bottles and then flips the tables for game via the hot sauce balls effect damage. Chumley's dad lets Chumley stay because he saw that his son has good friends, so I do academy. I like this episode. I mean, but I'm not gonna pretend the dub version doesn't add to my enjoyment of this with the whole hot sauce ball change. But does add humor to this. But in terms of the sub version, I like it. I like that we see a very motivated guy find his motivation, found what made him want to be a duelist in the first place kind of a thing, reunite again. I really like that. We see the conclusion of that literally like 40 episodes later, but it's a nice pin to have put out later. Yeah, I just really enjoyed this episode. It's short, sweet, and right to the point, and that's all you really can say. Dub changes. I already mentioned all Laker references has been changed to hot sauce, so people get dizzy off of hot sauce and weak of it. Drinking straight up hot sauce is funny, but again, poor Pharaoh, I'm not sure if it would do worse for him with alcohol. It probably would. It probably wrecked his rectum. God, that poor cat. Too much hot sauce again makes you dizzy. The dub used the Doom Monsters anime card art for Silent Doom and opposed to the card art of Silent Doom, which is very interesting. They probably just had it on file and, copy, paste, and boom, bang, bing, there you go. But still, I find that a little interesting little nugget. I guess it helps make Doom Monsters and GX feel a little closer. Episode 10 and 11 are 2-part, starting with episode 10. Chaz wanted to be part of attack duel against Jan, but Crowd got planned. Also, apparently, Chaz can fall to wall yellow if he ain't careful. Cyrus put Parabon into his deck. Bastion and Alexis meet the stands for the first time. Background characters look like the Scream in like a few shots though. Crowd got the Paradox Brothers to do Jay and Cyrus. Punishment do. And I like that people know the Paradox Brothers as 2 dudes that dude Yugi. And I love how petty Crowd got. He got 2 basically duel for hire assassins. I Actually, technically, this is a vote because, Titan earlier. For the official school punishment match to get 2 students expelled. I love that so much that crowd went to the effort to do that because he wants Jaden expelled. I love him for it. Jaden says it's like a Hong Kong movie, just like Joey did in episode 19 of Doom Monsters. I actually had to look that up because I thought what Tristan said, but it was Joey. I'm glad I double confirmed that for myself. Each team shows a field and life points starting at 8,000. Cyrus summons Yugioh. Paula summons Yugioh. Jane summons Bestrendrix. Doc summons Kaiser Seaholtz. Doc uses a tribute dog to tribute Yugioh to summon Carcinogen. Doc uses Doc Dexinator to name a monster of power has that he can add to the hand. In this case, it's Sangha of the Thunder. Cyrus summons Steamworld. Cyrus summons Steamworld and Gyro to get Steam Gyro. Steam Gyro attacks Para, but Carcinogen negates the damage of attack. Cyrus sets the card. Para uses Monster Reborn to bring back Jericho to just tribute dog to get Sunjin. Para summons Kaiser Seaholtz to summon Sangha of the Thunder, and since Kaiser Seaholtz was used for a tribute of a light monster, it counts as 2 tributes. Sangha of the Thunder, Carcinogen, and Sunjin are tribute summoned to summon one Gate Guardian. Gate Guardian destroys Steam Driver. It's nice to see James is able to lift Cyrus' spirits up after he gets knocked down quite literally several times in terms of spirit power. Sets the card. James summons Claimant and then fuses it with Bestrendrix to make Rampart Boston. Rampart Boston can attack directly when in defense, but it just does half of its attack points as damage. So I wish it was just simple, do 1,000 points of damage when this card's in defense mode type of thing, but whoa, I could never get him to work in the games. Maybe I was just a stupid kid. But anyways, besides the point. Dogs equips Fairy Meteor Crush to Gate Guardian, so it gets Pillar Sinks. Cyrus uses MST, but Para uses Judgment of Anubis, but discarding card, Para can negate it and destroy Rampart Boston, and dealing half of his attack as damage. Dogs summons Defense Wall, and you must attack it if you do attack. Cyrus summons Cyclone. Gate Guardian destroys Cyclone, and piercing damage happens. Dub changes. Crowd seems more friendly towards Chaz in terms of being antagonistic, like in the sub. Thanks Jan to point out there's no buses on an island to have it leave to Chumley. Cyrus seems more worried about dueling in the dub, just about mannerisms and wording and stuff like that. They made Chaz and Chumley talk to each other when they don't do it in the sub. Jane's more worried in the dub 100%. He's much less a worry bug in the sub version than he is in the dub version. Crowd got the rhyming fun.
Actually think they have a chance of beating Para and Docs? They stink worse than dirty socks.
Cyrus is the linkest link on the plate of sausages.
He would be the weakest link on a plate of sausages.
Alexis just hates Bastion in this 2-part in the dub. She goes would you shut up? Can you stop saying stuff? God, stop saying stuff. That's obvious. I'm trying to be hopeful for Jaden. And it's just I just felt like Alexis hated Bastion so much for the first meeting. But moving on to the conclusion of this 2-part episode 11. Shaz blames Jaden for everything that went wrong for him since he beat him back in episode 4. Jaden says that Cyrus has a card that could beat Gate Guardian. Jaden summons Sparkman and equips him with Spark Blaster to switch Gate Guardian to defense mode. Jaden sets the card. Doc sets the card. Jaden says Cyrus is like him because he enjoys dueling, and that boosts Cyrus' confidence once again, because my man Cyrus needs all the confident boosters you can give him. Cyrus summons Drill. When it attacks a defense position monster, it's destroyed. So bye-bye defense fault, but Cyrus still takes damage. Cyrus uses Shield Crush to destroy one defense mode monster, in this case it's Gate Guardian. Cyrus sets the card. Para plays Dark Element since Gate Guardian's in the graveyard by helping the life points. Para can summon Dark Guardian. And I like how design-wise Dark Guardian is just completely different from Gate Guardian. It's just it looks cool, but Gate Guardian clearly is doing monster card design, and then Dark Guardian is GX. I feel each series does have a design philosophy from anime cards, and Dark Guardian attacks Jewel, but Jane uses Heal Barrier to negate the attack since he has an element to heal on the field. Dark Guardian cannot be destroyed by battle. It has a fat attack point stat. Chances are you're destroying it by cop effect, I'm just saying. Jane plays Paul Agreed to draw 2. Jane uses Fusion Gate to banish Avion, Bowman, and Sparkman to fusion summon enemy hero Tempest. Jane plays Skyscraper. Tempest attacks Dark Iron, and sending Cyrus' face down to the graveyard. Tempest isn't destroyed, so nothing happens. Besides Jane trying to, show Cyrus something. Dogs plays one-on-one fight to force Dark Iron and Tempest to attack. Jane sends Skyscraper to protect Tempest. Cyrus tributes Drill World to summon UFO World. Cyrus uses Power Bond to fuse Tempest and UFO World to make UFO World fire. Its attack is the total of Tempest and UFO World's attack together, plus it's doubled due to Power Bond. Cyrus realized that Jane was trying to teach him that the Arc 5 meme of, but you can still take damage if your monster isn't destroyed. UFO World attacks Dark Guardian for game. They really do play up Alexis got a crush on Jane and him. Jane and Cyrus get to stay in school, but they got a crap ton of work to do as a punishment, even though they still got to stay in the school. I really do like this 2-part. I think it's very fun. I think it's very good. It's good to see Cyrus do again. It's the last time in season 1, so that is a shame. But seeing the Paradox bubble, I mean, that could be totally as a reference for reference sakes, but I just like to think that it's adds to how much Crowder wants Jane and Cyrus gone. So that's very enjoyable. And see an evolution of Gate Guardian, even though it kind of looks something like Gate Guardian, it's also very fun as well. Dub changes. Crowder left like Dr. Evil and explained his evil plan. Steam World not in a position. They brought back the coaster joke.
Needed a coaster.
They tied back to episode 8 of Zane telling Cyrus the difference between playing a car and using it, and Crowder getting licked by Pharaoh is funnier in the dub. Episode 12. Jane versus Bastion in baseball, and Jane gets struck out. Jane tries to strike out Bastion, but he fails to do so, and he has to do whatever Bastion says. Crowder gets hit in the eye by Bastion on accident with a baseball. That guy freaking hurt. I mean, he went flying when he got hit, so got hold. Crowder has a plan for Bastion. Shaz is losing his pull and respect due to losing to Jane. Shaz has to do Bastion. If he loses to Bastion, they swap places, Bastion would be Opus Blue, Shaz be Wild Yellow. Bastion likes to calculate everything. Jane and Cyrus has Bastion paint his room so they can write more formulas. They got into a paint fight. Again, I feel like there would be a lawsuit with how bad Raz treated compared to, just to Yellow. It's insane. Shaz is supposed to be the top duelist to help his brothers take over the world. We put a pin in that. Shaz flew out Bastion's cards when he was at the Red Dome. Alexis saw Shaz flew out said cards. Shaz upped the stakes to say whoever loses the duel leaves the academy.
Return to the Dock of Shame to catch the boat of losers.
Luckily, Bastion has so many decks, all the decks. 6 decks for each element, for each attribute. Shaz plays Shinfurin Sojo and Setswan. Bastion summons Hachigaon. Hachigaon destroys Shinfurin and Sojo, but since that happened, Bastion takes the same damage as Shaz. When Hachigaon destroys a monster by battle, it can special summon another copy of itself. Though Hachigaon attacks directly, Shaz uses Call of the Haunted to bring back Shinfurin and Sojo. Shaz uses Inferno Record Summon to allow both players to summon all copies of a monster by its on the field. Shaz plays Shinfurin Alliance to 1 Shinfurin Sojo to gain 800 attack for all copies of a monster on the field. Thus Shinfurin Sojo destroys a Hachigaon. Bastion summons Oxygaon. Oxygaon destroys one of the weaker Shinfurin Sojos. Hachigaon does the same. Bastion sets the card. Shaz tributes Shinfurin Sojo and all of the cards in his hand to summon Inferno Incinerator, which is a terrible summoning condition. Who gains 200 attack for each card Bastion controls. Inferno Incinerator attacks, but Bastion uses Aroma's Barrier to negate the attack, and since he has free monsters. Bastion plays Bonding HTO to tribute his monsters to make Wild Dragon. Wild Dragon makes fire monsters attack become 0. Wild Dragon destroys Inferno Incinerator for game. Bastion puts out what Chad said without him noticing that he was going to use a fire deck, and he just proved that it was his cards that Chad threw out because the formulas were on it, and it's who else would do that? Bastion refused to get his promotion to blue because he wants to be Jane first. Bastion Spirit Animal knows a Tycho. I wonder what that could be hinting at. Oh, is that just a coincidence? We will never know. I like this episode. I like that we finally see Bastion duel. That's nice, and it's nice to have a duel. An episode, I mean, I know we had Chumley versus his dad, but it's also good to see little characters dueling without Jane involved. I'm sorry, Jane, I love you, but let other people pour down a face down, you know? Also, too, this is not related to my German episode, but we recently made a card based off of his doom, or revealed, I should say, and I feel like that's so random. Why episode 12 of GX? I don't know. Why not episode 12 of GX? I mean, I know GX is in its 20th anniversary, but still, I feel like there are plenty of other references and stuff you could do to celebrate that, but hey, what do I know? But I do like, you see, kind of before it was is revealed later on, kind of like the pressure that Shaz's brothers put on him. I do think that's neat, and a little going back and appreciating that. And Bastion is a fun character. He's very down to earth in a different way. He likes his formulas and stuff, but he seems like a chill guy, you know, like a guy you like to like hang out after school with. Dub changes. They removed the empty seat sign when Shaz's blue seat was, because they had to replace it with roads. But don't want to do that. But formulas were more about dueling of dub compared to the science of a sub, because God forbid science. It's all about monsters and spells and traps. Bastion doesn't explain his deck of dub, so there's like no payoff about like Bastion being like able to read Chaz, because Chaz gave Bastion a hint to what his deck is. God forbid, it'll keep the little foot trying in. Episode 13, a monkey escapes the lab. Off to a great start. Chaz leaves Duo Academy without telling anyone, which, I mean, he did say the loser gets to leave, and he held up to the end of the ballgame, even though Bastion wouldn't make him do such a thing. There's a hole in the school to sneak out of, but you can just walk through the front door, like Alexis and her friends did. They always want to search for Shaz. Mindy has a crush on Shaz. It's just guy crazy in general. The gang meets Wheeler for doing a monkey. Wheeler takes Jasmine. The researchers are looking for Wheeler, and they taught him how to do it, because, I mean, if you got a monkey, why not teach him how to throw face down? Jane challenged Wheeler to a duel over Jasmine and Wheeler's freedom. Wheeler knows duel-related vocabulary, because, I mean, how else they can, summon a monster. Jane summons Sparkman. Wheeler summons Berserk Gorilla. Berserk Gorilla destroys Sparkman.
Go Berserk Gorilla!
Wheeler sets the card. Jane uses polymerization to fuse Aegon with Truntrix to make Flame Wingman. Flame Wingman destroys Berserk Gorilla. And Berserk Gorilla's attack is dealt as damage to Wheeler via Flame Wingman's effect. Monkeys can heal spirits better than humans. That's why Wheeler went under experiments to learn how to play a children's card game. Makes sense to me. Wheeler summons the Acrobat Monkey. Wheeler uses DNA surgery to change all monsters on the field to beast type. Wheeler uses Wild Nature's Release to raise Acrobat Monkey's attack by his defense, since it's a beast type. Acrobat Monkey destroys Flame Wingman, and Acrobat Monkeys destroy things to Wild Nature's Release's effect. Jen sees Wheeler's family and friends and learn why Wheeler wants to escape. I mean, besides the fact that he was taken against his will, but besides the point. Jane summons Clayman and equips it with Rach's charge for paying a 1,000 life points. When Clayman deals damage, he also deals its defense as damage. Clayman attacks directly for game. Jasmine is saved. Jane sets up for Wheeler. Banner shows up and says he would give the researchers charge with ammo abuse if it don't back off. And they got Wheeler free. Banner saw Chaz leaving the island. Besides the humor of there being a dueling monkey named after one Joseph Wheeler, of course that's only in the dub version. The sub version's name is Sal, but it's an acronym. But, which, I mean, I think fits most since, is researcher, so why wouldn't the name be an acronym? In terms of, like, the dueling action sucked. It's just not good. I feel like Jane got handed the win on a silver platter. I don't feel like it was a good back and forth. I mean, freeing Wheeler is good motivation and all that stuff, and Jasmine, whatever. But the main thing is you want to see a good duel. This is not a good duel. This probably, out of Doom Monsters and GX, is probably my least favorite one out of a bunch so far. I don't even know what my least favorite duel out of Doom Monsters would be. But, well, I mean, one comes to mind, but this is definitely worse than that, so do that as you will. So now, not the biggest fan of this episode, but dub changes. No talks of maybe Chaz killing himself, like in the sub version. Jane said scrub, which caught me off guard. The way the dialogue is weird, makes it sound like Mindy thinks Cyrus is cute. Wheeler is most likely named after dub because Kaiba called Joey a dueling monkey once. Well, I think it was more than once, but still. Jasmine is trying to make Wheeler think that she isn't for him, which is actually kind of funny. She's like, I'm high maintenance! And stuff like that. That's no banana, Jan! common mistake, people think baseball gloves are bananas, so why not do this?
That's no banana.
But researchers are friends with getting taken to the present state of jail time, and Pharaoh can track people, because what can that cat not do? Episode 14. Jan, Cyrus, and Chumley stay at Duo Academy during winter break. A blue siren is running away from something and crashed into the red dome. His name is Tori, and Jinso is after him. I do love that it was just a one line thing, but they go like, hey, a nice connecting thread. It's like, hey, monkeys can sense spirits better than humans. And it's like, oh, the next episode, spirits, makes it feel connected. They interconnected, even like the one-offs, the may not seem to be opponent. Feel connected, and I feel like if Ghost Game was going to go for more episodic route too, that's something they could have done as well to help alleviate the like episodic nature of it, go main story stuff and not have something to like tie the episodes more together. Just for a food for thought to try and improve Ghost Game a little bit. Tori and his friends study the code and manage to make contact with Jinzo. Jinzo needs 3 tributes to be reborn, and Banner says he trying to mix dual spirits and the supernatural. Sorry, Sam and Dean, you guys set this one out.
Son of a bitch.
Jinso is taking the blue students that summon him as tributes, and Tori is the only one left. And I love Jinso in a trench coat. I live for Jinso in a trench coat. Jinso took Tori to the power plant, and Phil was the one that led them there again, connecting back to last episode with Amnos having a higher sensibility to spirits. Jane challenges Jinzo to a duel, and if he wins, the blue students are set free. If he loses, he would be the tribute for Jinzo. Jinzo agrees because Jane has a high build, like dual spirit energy, which does come into play later for multiple parts, but for season 1 is for finale, which again I do appreciate that it's mentioned and hinted at, or just straight out stated, not even hinted at, stayed here. Jinzo plays Malice, Star of Demise. Jinzo plays Ectoplasma during the end phase. The tone player must tribute a monster and have his stack is dealt to the opponent. And then, Malice Doll gets tribute due to ectoplasma. Jane takes damage. Jane summons Avion and sets foe. Jane plays Mirage amount so he can draw foe cards during Jinzo's turn, and then discard the same amount during his end phase. Avion attacks directly, and then Avion gets ectoplasma. Malice Doll is back since he was tribute thanks to a continuous spell. He is reborn via his own effect. Jane draws foe due to Mirage of Nightmares, then he emergency provisions away Mirage of Nightmares to gain 1,000 life points. Jinzo summons MC of Afterlife, attacks directly, but Jane uses the hero emotions to summon Sparkman. Sparkman and MC of the Afterlife destroy Chum, and since MC is destroyed, each player can add a level 3 or low normal monster from deck to hand. Jane chooses Restraint Chicks, and Jinzo picks a 1,009 item, which doesn't come up, but he hasn't. Malice attacks directly and then gets ectoplasma. Jane's body is starting to disappear, with a cool little fade effect, I might add. I really do like the effect with it. Jane summons Clayman and uses Crate Wrap on him, and uses Polymerization to fuse Clayman and Bastruntrix to get one per Boston. When Crate Wrap is sent to the graveyard, destroys the spell Trap, aka Ectoplasma, which is the dumbest shit. If he kept that ectoplasma on the field, he would have won. He would have had to attack directly with Vampire Boston. And his turn, Ectoplasma and Vampire Boston away. Victory. But no, we gotta fill up 23 minutes. And that would fill up 23 minutes. So we gotta destroy Ectoplasma. Why even have it if you can't not make it entertaining? That actually irritates me to the nth degree. It might be more entertaining than the real do, which I do think is just bad, do choreograph in general. But that's infuriating, because that was your win con right there, and you didn't take it. Rip Up Basso attacks directly. Jane sets call, Malice Doll is back, and is used tribute summon Jinzo. So Jinzo summon himself, which is a very common occurrence for dual spirits to do. Jinzo negates all traps, and he destroys Vampire Boston. Jane summons White Wild. Jinzo summons Spirit Call. Jinzo destroys White Wild, which when it is destroyed, Jane can add Polymerization and claim him back to hand. Spirit Call attacks Jane directly. Jinzo equips Amplify to himself so he can use trap cards and then sets the card. Jane uses Power of Greed to draw 2. Jane summons Bubbleman and then uses Bubble Blast him to equip equipped to Bubbleman for him to gain 800 attack. Bubbleman destroys Spirit Car, but Jinzo uses Spirit Burial. When he controls a monster, he cannot take damage. Jane uses Fairy of a Spring to add Kraywrap from grave back to him. Jane sets 1. Jinzo attacks Bubbleman, but destroying a Bubble Blaster, Jane doesn't take damage, and Bubbleman is unpopped. Jinzo sets 1. Jane summons Clayman, then use Kraywrap. Jane fuses Clayman and Bubbleman with Polymerization to make Mudball Man. Kraywrap destroys Amplify, which destroys all monsters on the field. Jinzo takes over Tori. Jinzo tries to call up a hunter himself, but Jane says no via Solemn Judgment by paying half his life points. Mudball attacks directly for game, but Billy's students are back and fine. This episode's fine. I do like the idea of Jinzo and spirits being called back and stuff like that. I like the core concept of this episode, but I don't feel like Mr. Jinzo and his doing action way made it an exciting episode, unfortunately. At least, I would give this episode this. It's better than Wheeler's episode, just due to the fact of doing monkey thing. Well, hilarious. I got kicks out of that, especially the dub. The dub made me laugh. But, in terms of, actual episode quality, that suck. And this kind of on the same level, but it's a little above because the do spirit stuff is at least interesting. And I wonder where Jen's got his sweet trench coat from. And it's not that great of an episode. Dub changes! They move the winter break opening to after Tori was running, I guess to try and make it more cohesive, I guess, I don't know. But remove anything to do with the code, well, the best it could anyways.
Put our hands on a mystic box.
They had to throw in that Sailor can sense spirits since the dang explained animals can sense spirits last episode. So I think that it might be a dream in the sub, but not really in the dub. Episode 15. Everyone's playing tennis. Gotta get your exercise, you gotta get that form strengthened for drawing cards. Crowd keeps taking balls to the eyes. 2 episodes featuring sports, and Crowd takes 2 balls to the eye. I think they're separate eyes. I hope they're the same eye. I can't remember. We meet Harrington, who has a thing for Alexis, which, who doesn't in this show, let's be honest. I appreciate Fontaine for sticking up for Jane against Crowd. Crowd makes Jane tennis club for a day as punishment. Harrington comes from a rich family and is rumored to be as good as a duelist as Zane. Barino needs to speak to Alexis for some reason. Of course, Harrington is the tennis club president playing against Jane. Harrington gets mad that Alexis wants to tell Jane that Barino said that someone saw Chaz. Harrington challenges Jane to a duel. Whoever wins will become Alexis's fiance. Oh boy, they escalated very quickly. Harrington, you need to sit down, drink some Powerade, get hydrated, and refocus yourself, man. Harrington plans Serving Ace. Jane has to guess if it causes a monster spell or trap that is in Harrington's hand. If it gets it wrong, Jane takes 1,500 points of damage, and he gets it wrong. Serving Ace is banished itself after use. Harrington sets the card. Jane summons Avion and attacks, but Harrington uses received aids to negate attack and do 1,500 points of damage to Jane by milling free from his deck. Jane sets the card. Harrington plays Smash Ace. If the card he draws is a monster, Jane takes 1,000 points of damage. And of course he does. But Jane plays Featherwind to negate it. Jane plays Polymerization to fuse Clayman and Bludgeoning Tricks to make one Rampart's Blossom. Rampart Blossom and Avion attack directly. Harrington plays Deuce if both players are 1,000 life points, which show. During each battle phase, you can only attack with one monster, and first player to deal damage twice in a row wins. Harrington summons the Big Silver, and it can attack directly. Big Silver searches a Serving Ace. After doing damage, but Jane gets to draw a card. Harrington plays Serving Ace, but Jane guesses it right, so he's safe. Harrington equips Giant Racket to Big Silver, which means that Big Silver can not be destroyed by battle and not let Harrington take damage once per turn. Jane places Defusion on Rampart Blaster to get his future materials back. Jane uses Feather Shot to make Avion be able to attack the same amount of times as for monsters on the field. Avion attacks 3 times, winning Jane the game. Harrington runs away crying after losing. Jane doesn't know where her fiance is. Harrington screams off a cliff that he hates dueling. I actually like this episode. Honestly, they tried to kind of make this episode connect to others, but throwing him a Chaz stuff and making Crowler get hit by a ball in the face. But really, this episode could be anything. You don't really need those things. This is the first, I wouldn't say the first episode, but this episode, story doesn't feel especially tied into everything else going on. But I at least appreciate that attempt of doing so. Harrington is whatever. I really don't care. I like the tennis cards. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a tennis person, but like the tennis cards are fun. A lot of effect damage. Definitely wouldn't say he was as good as Zane Boom. I mean, I feel like I dislike Harrington for the correct reason, for terms of like, dude got so jealous so quickly that he was like, I'm challenging you to make this go. I haven't even really talked to my fiance. Like, yeah, that's kind of what do the kids say? So boy, I don't know what people call that shit anymore. The point being is just baffling behavior. Dub changes begin now. It's Dr. Joke from Qualo. In the sub, Harrington's family had a motor shop. In the dub, it's a sports shop. Mindy wants Harrington to image her tickling him. Alexis calls Jay an idiot for not knowing why her fiance is. In the sub. In the dub, and she goes, it just means friend for now. Harrington, instead of saying he hates stealing, he shouts he loves Alexis, but he also got Mindy's number. Dub Harrington is just getting slide numbers in his pocket, apparently. Episode 16. Someone is playing an anti-duel against blue students, so there won't be so much jokes anymore with blue students, always looking down on others, which is very true. Badoo is called Badoo Giant. Carl puts Jan in code to find Badoo Giant. If they do, the reports be waived. They don't have to do the reports. We see Braille, a yellow student who gets very nervous when dueling and gets picked on by blue students. Jan sends something from Braille. Braille has a friend named Beauregard who's trying to be a game designer. It is nice to see like different job interviews at Duel Academy besides, I guess like a lot of people want to be pro duelists, so it's nice to see that aspect of Duel Academy. Jan just asks us Beauregard if he's for Badoo Giant. Of course he says no. Jan found Badoo Giant and challenges him to a duel with Wing Kuribo on the line. Jay notes that Badoo Giant doesn't have energy of a duelist. Badoo Giant summons Giant Oak. Jane summons Wing Kuribo. Giant Oak destroys Wing Kuribo, and Giant Oak switches to defense mode after attacking. Badoo Giant summons Second Goblin as an equip to Giant Oak to switch it to attack mode. Jan uses polymerization to fuse Clayman and Blitz drone tricks to make Vampire Blaster, and I'm always sick of Vampire Blaster, I'm sorry. Jan has a few fusions at this point, but like, Vampire Blaster is used so much in these like short span of episodes. I know this is only the second one, technically. Actually, Fode. And then there's a Fove after this. So it's just like, can you something else, Jane, please? I'm begging you, Jane. Vampire Blaster can attack directly in defense mode, but it just deals half of its attack points as damage. Badoo Giant's Beauregard and Braille, who will fall. They're doing this because they want to get back at the blues that treat them badly. Jane says that it should be facing one another. And that way, they have more fun. Braille summons Goblin King.
Dance, magic dance.
By just calling 2 warriors, Braille can summon 2 half-goblins. Goblin King gains 1,000 attack and defense for each fiend on Braille's field, in this case 3,000. Goblin King destroys Vampire Blaster. Giant Oak attacks directly. Jane plays Pot of Greed to draw 2. Jane summons Sparkman and equips him with Spark Blaster to switch for half-goblins to attack mode and Giant Oak to defense mode. Jane uses the warrior returning alive to get Clayman back to him. Jane fuses Clayman and Sparkman with polymerization to make Thunder Giant. Thunder Giant destroys Giant Oak with its effect, which begs why it even bothers trying to get to defense mode if you're just gonna destroy via effect, but hey, whatever. You do you, Jane. Thunder Giant destroys a half goblin. Jane plays Defusion on Thunder Giant to get Clayman and Sparkman. Clayman destroys the other half goblin. Sparkman destroys Goblin King for game. Jane chooses not to turn Braille and Beauregard in. Braille learned his lesson to like fight his problem head on. Jay and Sides have to finish the reports now. Braille, I think it's like Braille, return all the whale cards he got from the blues. I like this episode. We get to the dub changes here. They make it so obvious who it is. I mean, not that it wasn't already obvious of who Badoo Giant is and what the goat is 100% is obvious. Everyone knows it. But do it in a fun enough way that like I don't mind. But we know the goblin stuff, like deck is fun. I mean, we don't see much of it, but it's fun enough. Yeah, I really don't have to say much about this episode. The lesson is fine. I don't think that's a bad message. Facing your problems head on. Blue students suck. This school has a lot of issues, but we get to that in a second. Well, more than a second. This school sucks. Yeah, dub changes. The dub changes perfectly Machine King to mine on air as Badoo Giant's first card taken. The dub counts any scene showing Braille and Beauregard as Badoo Giant before we show it during the duel. Crowd wants to get Jane expelled for playing anti-rule by the sub. Crowd says if Jane loses, he gets what he fucking deserves. And I think, I mean, this is a theory. There's no way to prove this, of course, but I think Beauregard's named Beauregard in the dub because he's giant and blue. Like one Violet Beauregard. But it's a theory. Of course, no proof of that. I mean, the remake will reimagine, whatever frick it technically is, came out around the same time frame, so it wouldn't surprise me if that would be a reference. The dub cuts Jane mentioning he got Winkle Reaper from Yuki, but also cut Jane being able to tell the Voodoo Giant wasn't a duelist. In the dub, Jane just tell Krallis that he couldn't find Voodoo Giant instead of Voodoo Giant, like, never existing really in the sub version. Episode 17 is Drawbread Day, and one bread is made with a gun, egg inside cover, egg witch, which is just made into a card, baby. Pull for egg witch. Jane got the egg witch 20 times in a row, but now is on a 10 loss streak. Someone has been stealing the egg witch. Dun dun dun. Jane and Kurt are gonna do a stakeout. Jane shows that he's good at drawing food he got the flavor he wants. Alexis thinks that the egg witch thief might be related to her brother for whatever reason. We gotta remind the audience that Alexis's brother is missing. Even though we do a few episodes from now, they gotta remind us that, he's missing. But egg witch thief is here, the gang chases after him. Dorothy knows a little Tarzan as Damon. He's named Tarzan in the sub version. Probably couldn't give that. I mean, legal copyright stuff here in the West, I'm sure. Damon went missing for a year. Damon has been training all his time in nature to get good at drawing. Alexis goes, oh, but that's nothing to do with my brother. No shit. The egg witch stealing was a test to see if he could draw good. Jane chooses Damon to do to test his draw against Damon. Jane summons Avion and sets a card. Damon sets a card and summons Draw. Draw gains 500 attack and defense for each card returned from Damon's hand to deck. In this case, it's full, so 2,000. Draw destroys Avion, and when Draw destroys a monster in attack mode, it goes to the bottom of the deck. Jane spins Polymerization way excessively. That man did not need to spend that card that much and so hard. Jane uses Polymerization to fuse Clayman and Pastrana Chicks to get Vampire Blaster. Can't stop summoning the card. Vampire Blaster attacks directly in defense on these half of his attack as damage. Damon plays Miracle Draw. If Damon guess what he draws correctly, Jane takes 1,000. If he doesn't, Damon takes 1,000 points of damage. Damon is correct guessing card loan, so Jane takes 1,000. Funny that Dorothy can't follow dueling even though she works in a card shop. Damon plays card loan, so Jane gains 1,000 life points, and Damon takes 1,000 to draw a card, and he has to return the card to the deck during the end phase. Damon plays Drawbone. Jane draws a card. If Damon guesses what the card is, everything on Jane's field goes back to the deck. Damon was able to guess Defusion correctly. Draw attacks directly. Jane summons Wet Realm. Damon plays Miracle Draw, but guesses wrong, so he takes 1,000 points of damage. Damon summons Dawn. Draw attacks Radwell, but Radwell as Pastrana Chicks and Polymerization from graveyard to hand. Don't attack directly. Jane says the reason why Damon guessed wrong because all he thought was about winning. He wasn't having fun, but fun of the game. Okay, so I forgot to mention, when Draw destroys a monster in attack mode, it gets sent to the bottom of the deck. Jane has now shuffled his deck and was able to draw Avion. Jane uses Polymerization to fuse Avion with Pastrana Chicks to get Flame Wingman. Flame Wingman destroys Draw and deals Draw's attack as damage for game. Damon returns to Duo Camming. Alexis got the Egg Witch. This episode's fine. I think it's stupid that Alexis thought this had anything to do with her brother. I'm sorry. I'm just not a fan of that. And then, why not do against Tarzan like character? Not my biggest fan of an archetype, but it's fine. I like that his deck was the theme around drawing. That's fun. That's a very fun concept. So that does kind of make up for like the whole Tarzan thing for me, because again, I'm a fan of like the Tarzan archetype. And the Egg Witch, I mean, what can you say? It's golden. But yeah, this episode's fine. Nothing too great, but nothing too bad about it. Dub changes! Be careful opening child Duo Cami. Apparently, Duo Cami is grilling tongues? Yeah. Jane, roosters do not lay eggs. Damon has been stealing the Egg Witch for 5 weeks in dub, compared to 10 days. Jane teases Alexis about a lunch date. Shumley, what would strawberry, chocolate, or lemon custard be anything like a grilled cheese? Damon speaks like Tarzan in the dub, but it's revealed that he is faking it. Episode 18 and 19 are two part. Starting off with episode 18. Cyrus is doing Dimitri to get tickets to see Yugi's deck. The guard cards aren't in the deck, as safety hazard apparently. Dimitri is a copycat duelist who copies other people's decks. As you can see, he's copying one Dr. Crowell's deck. In this case scenario, Cyrus wins the duels with Jedward's effect to play trap cards in the hand. I lied by saying, oh, Cyrus doesn't duel. I guess other than after the Paradox Brothers, but are we really counting this? I mean, this is technically he did play a card game after Paradox Bros. Jane can't wait to see Yugi's deck, so they go tonight. Someone else stole Yugi's deck. Crowd thinks that the gang thinks that he stole it, but the gang knew that he didn't do it because why would he break the display case when he has a key? Dimitri took Yugi's deck and beat Cyrus with it, which we saw none of that. Jay and Dimitri duel over Yugi's deck. Jay summons Patricians. Dimitri uses Polymerization to fuse both men and Gazelle, the king of mystical beasts, to make Camaro the flying mystical beast. Camaro destroys Patricians. Dimitri can memorize decks, so he's able to, plot out Yugi's deck with the greatest of ease, no problems. I mean, to be honest, if you're gonna copy other people's deck, and you can, memorize stuff that good, might as well, I mean. Jane uses Polymerization to fuse Sparkman and Clayman to make Thunder Giant. Thunder Giant's effect destroys Camaro. Camaro, when destroyed, brings out both men from graveyard. Thunder Giant destroys both of them. Dimitri sets the card and plays Monster Reincarnation, discarding a card, allows Dimitri to have Gazelle from grave to hand. Dimitri summons Gazelle and then plays Souls of Light to lock out Jayan from attacking for 3 tones. Jayan summons Dark Catapult, but Dimitri uses Dark Renewal to tribute Dark Catapult and Gazelle to summon Dark Magician from graveyard. Thunder Giant is switch to a defense mode position. Dimitri plays 1,000 Knives. If he controls Dark Magician, he can destroy Thunder Giant. Dark Magician attacks directly. Jayan summons White Wall. Dark Magician destroys White Wall, which when White Wall is destroyed, Jayan can add Polymerization and Bestowing Tricks from graveyard to hand. Jayan summons Bestowing Tricks and then sets the card. Swords of Line has ended. Dark Magician attacks, but Jayan uses a Hero Emotions to summon Emma Hero Blade from hand. Dimitri plays Dedication for Law and Darkness to tribute Dark Magician to summon out Dark Magician of Chaos, which allows Dimitri to add 1 Monster Reincarnation from graveyard back to hand. D-Mark destroys Blade Age and then dub changes. Eggwitch reference. Yugi's deck is on toe instead of just being at Duo Academy, which is relevant. Not for a long while, but it is relevant that it is at Duo Academy. The dub has a lot of the DM music cues and stuff like that. Dimitri copies the voices of the people he copies, through impressions and stuff like that.
Greatest duelist!
Oh, what do you mean?
And I think that's very cool to hear. Someone trying to do an impression of, Dr. Crowell, and then an impression of Yugi. I think Mark Thompson did Dimitri, if I'm not mistaken. But it's Dr. Jokes continues. The gang actually need convincing the Dr. Crowell didn't steal the deck and the dub. Dimitri thinks he's Yugi in the dub, but episode 19. Jayan summons Wing Kuribo and sets a card. Dimitri summons Kuribo. D-Mark attacks with Stone Tricks, but Jayan plays Super Genium Confrontation, which negates the attack and makes the weakest monster on both sides fight each other, so that makes the Kuribo's fight, resulting in Wing Kuribo being destroyed. Dimitri sets 1. Jayan plays Power 3 to draw 2. Jayan summons Bubbleman. Jayan plays Skyscraper. When an Emma Hero monster battles a monster with more attack points, it gains 1,000 attack. Bubble Blaster is given to Bubbleman, which causes Bubbleman to gain 800 attack points. Bubbleman attacks Kuribo, but Dimitri plays Multiply by tributing Kuribo. Dimitri gets 4 Kuribo tokens, so the attack just destroys a token instead. Jayan sets the card. Dimitri plays Cards of Sanctity, so both players draw into their 6 cards in hand. Since Dimitri draw Wall upon via a spell, it can special summon itself. Wall upon gets tribute to summon the Dark Magician go, and she gains 300 attack for each Dark Magician in the graveyard. Cyrus has a big old crush on Dark Magician go. Who can blame him? D-Mark attacks Bubbleman, but Bubble Blaster protects Jayan from damage and Bubbleman from being destroyed. Dark Magician Go destroys Bubbleman. Jayan uses Polymerization to fuse Avion and Bestrantrix. to get one Emma Hill Flame Wingman. Jayan plays the warrior, returning alive to ask Bogman back from grave to hand, and then summons it. Flame Wingman destroys D-Mark and then deals its attack as damage. To Dimitri, Bogman destroys a Kuriboh token. Jayan sets to, then plays emergency provisions to send one of those to the graveyard to gain 1,000 life points. Dogman Yugioh switches to defense mode. Dimitri plays Spiral Wrap, which allows him to add one card that Jayan used last turn to his hand. In this case, emergency provisions. Dimitri sets 2 and then uses Monster Reincarnation, but this current card he can add Creeper from graveyard to hand, and then uses emergency provisions to send all of his backward to graveyard for 3,000 life points back to him. Flame Wingman destroys Dog Magician and deals his attack as damage. Jayan plays the Fusion to separate Flame Wingman back into his fusion materials. Avion destroys the tokens that does Restrain Checks. Bogman attacks directly, but Dimitri does cause Kuriboh to make the damage 0. Now, Dimitri thinks he's the king of games in the sub version. The dub just did right away, but sub kind of just let him do a bit as Yuki, then have him be like, haha, I'm the king of games, baby. Dimitri banishes a lion dog from graveyard to spread summon Black Lives Social in the beginning, which is cool, but the dialogue reflects the ban list of OCG at the time. I think that's very neat. I mean, I know the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime does typically reflect the ban list when it's like a card gets banned but don't really use it in the show anymore, because at the end of the day, the anime's advertisement while we will be playing banned cards that players can't use in the show dedicated to trying to get people to play said card game. BLS destroys Avion, which allows it to attack again. BLS attacks the Restrain Checks, but Jayan uses Hero Spirit since an E-Hero is destroyed. This turn, the Restrain Checks is safe, and Jayan takes no damage. We Kuriboh prep talk Jayan, make Jayan realize that Dimitri isn't Yugi. Jayan uses Silent Doom to get Avion back from graveyard. Jayan uses double spell, but discarding a spell, Jayan can use a spell card in Dimitri's graveyard, which is Polymerization. Welcome back, Emma Hero Flame Wingman. Flame Wingman destroys BLS and deals its attack as damage for game. Everyone was watching the Stooges. Legitimately everyone. Dimitri learned of the opponent is to have a bond with your deck that you build on your own. Jayan got a poster of Yugi. Dimitri really didn't learn the lesson, and it's now cosplaying and covering Jayan.
Gotcha.
I do like this 2-part. I think it's very fun nod to the original series to have, like, Jayan going up against Yuki's deck by not having him actually do Yuki. I think that was very smart. It is a blast to see the cards from Yuki's deck and some upgraded forms like D-Mark and Blackluster Social in the beginning. I think that was a very nice touch on their part. Dimitri, I mean, I get the frustration of losing, but other than that, Dimitri has nothing much going on. He's just a catalyst to have someone use Yuki's deck. He's fun enough catalyst. And anything really else? It's just a very fun 2-part. Dub changes. Dimitri knows about Yuki giving Jayan Ring Kuriboh. Card Secretary has his Doom Monsters anime artwork instead of his car like the sub. The squad outside is clutching on Dark Magician Go and Ho flowing back. Dimitri specifically mentions how Yugi uses Kuriboh to protect his life points against Kaiba during battle, saying some yellows are thing just every single class. Jayan got Dimitri to fake an autograph poster. Episode 20. There's a new transfer student named Blair. Blair got scores being yellow, but since he's a transfer, he has to be in red. Blair is rooming with the gang. Blame doesn't want to join in the watching of her back, but Bill does, because why not? Shamley thinks Blair is very good, like I mentioned earlier, Bill, and plus a seal Jones and watching her back. We hear about the No vs. Duo Academy duo for the first time, a glitch reference. The No vs. Duo Academy duo is like basically rival duos pick Duo Academies pick a representative and they do it out once per year, basically, is what that is. Blair sneaked into Zane's room, Jayan catches him, and turns out Blair is the go. Of course, Jayan gets caught in the room as Blair gets away. They think Jayan's a spy for Vanop. Zane knows something is up, so he lets Jayan go. Blair can't explain why she's pretending to be a guy. Jayan challenges Blair to a duel because he can't hide your true self playing for card games. Blair summons Man and Love. Jane summons Avion. Avion attacks Mayan. Mayan is a destroyer, and when she's attacked in attack mode, and any monster that attacks her gets a Mayan counter. Blair equips Cupid Kiss to Mayan in love, which allows her to take control of monsters with Mayan counters on them when she attacks them. So she has to attack from both of them. The monster switches over. Shumley knows that Jane can see spirits because Jane's just having one hell of a trip during this duel, with the whole romantic subplot going on with his monsters and Mayan. But then Avion attacks Jane directly. Blair sets the card. Jane summons Sparkman. Sparkman attacks Avion, but Blair used Defense Maiden to make Sparkman attack Mayan, so he gets a Mayan counter. Blair equips Happy Marriage to Mayan, so she gains Avion's attack. Mayan attacks Sparkman, so she can get control of him. Sparkman and Avion attack directly. Jane summons Besternchix and uses Burst Return to bounce Avion and Sparkman back to hand. Jane uses Polymerization to fuse Avion and Besternchix together to make Flame Wingman. Flame Wingman attacks Mayan for game. Blair joined a Dual Academy because she had a crush on Zane. Zane turned her down. Blair cannot stay because she is in the 5th grade. Also, why there's only a gold stone for Obelix Blue students and not red and yellow behooves me. Like, why is only if a top percentage of goes can come to our academy? Just so weird. But anyways, Blair has a crush on Jane now. I like this episode. I think it's a little fun episode, especially with the dueling. You can argue with the dueling action is top tier notch, but come on, the scenes of Avion, Sparkman, and Besternchix interacting with Man, perfection. And for whom he was really achieving, I mean, it's whatever. It's not bad it bugs me, it's not bad I'm happy for it, it's just film. And I do like to see Zane and more of a human light, because Zane was a wall up to this point, an unstoppable wall to climb over. Basically, I mean, he has shown he has human emotions with having fun against Jane, but in terms of Zane's knows that someone has a crush on him, and he says hey, how do I deal with women? I don't know what I'm doing. It's great. I do like that. So I do appreciate that. So top changes. Science thinks Blair is gonna take over his sidekick gig. Jane jokingly offers his room in the dub when he was more sincere in the sub version. They cut the bathing scene completely. No bells or seals here. Chumley just stopped chewing with your mouth open. God, you have so many people telling you in this episode. When Jane got caught in Zane's room, it was more about transpassing than him being a spy. I will hope Jane, Cyrus, and Blair weren't in the shower together, like Cyrus was kind of implying to be a case at one point. Cyrus is jealous of Avion because man love is cute. They cut Chumley being able to tell that Jane can see his spirits, which I think is a shame, honestly. This episode is they mentioned that Cyrus likes Dark Magician Girl, and that he went steady with her for a bit,
Used to claim he was going steady with Dark Magician Girl.
Is that so? She break your heart, Sai, or did you just decide to see other months?
Gotta keep that on the download. Zane didn't put together that Blair liked him at all in the dub. And when the sub version, he knew, he figured it out. There's apparently a Spock woman. Konami, you could always make that to a card, just saying. Zane won naturals in the sub, and that was not mentioned in the dub, because Blair saw Zane had naturals, and that's what she got the crush on for him. Blair is in the 2nd grade instead of the 5th. I don't know why they made that change. It makes it more jarring for what happens in season 2. That's the 4Kids way sometimes, to just change things for the sake of changing things. But anyways, episode 21 and 22 are to follow. We're starting with episode 21. You mean Yugioh, he wants to know Dual Academy secrets, but no if it's picking a first year to do for them in the school do, so Dual Academy is gonna do the same. Now, I like how kind of managed to do school last episode, but this is where this episode picks up. And again, the GX has a lot of those moments to make the episodes feel more connected. Appreciate that so much. Which shows some episodes feel like one-off-ish and stuff like that, but they feel connected and feel important to the story, even though sometimes not really, but still have that feeling of it. And the school duel is between Jay and Bastion. I do like that Zane picked Jay, and of course Quirrell's no, we can't have this. We can't pick Bastion. Jay and Bastion have to do for the spot Gerard is going undercover as a wet student. Gerard was found by the gang and they took him under his wing. Gerard lies to Kaiba, where Gerard was using Skyscraper, and because of that, he hates dueling. Chumlee says that Jane's doing got him back into dueling as inspiration, because Chumlee's like, yeah, I kind of lost for motivation to do, I kept losing, but like, interacting with Jane made me fall in love with the game again. Gerard is after the details of amusing students in the abandoned dome, which I do appreciate, because this is a lot better, like, hey guys, remember this? Than freaking Tarzan of drawing cards. Just saying. Gerard found the dome and Alexis turned him off for being there. Cyrus is mad at Jan for not being more nervous for his big doom. I mean, I think that's great, but he's not nervous. Gerard can't stop thinking about Jan when he hacks a computer for info. The do begins. So, Bastion summons Carbogeddon. Jan summons Pastranatrix destroy Carbogeddon, and then Jan sets the card. Bastion summons Auctiongeddon attacks Pastranatrix, but Jane uses Hero Barrier to negate the attack. Bastion sets 1. Jane summons Sparkman and then eclipses with Spark Blast to switch Auctiongeddon to defense mode. Pastranatrix does Auctiongeddon, but when it's destroyed, according to the control subs, by a power-type monster, both players take 800 points of damage, which Pastranatrix is not a power-type monster. She's a warrior. I'm not sure if that's GX's flub or Crunchyroll's flub. Then again, Crunchyroll's just called using ChatGPT. Not saying that means all the translations are inaccurate or whatever. If you're gonna use AI, you gotta check with AI. Whoa, I'm just saying, don't be silly. But anyways, Sparkman attacks directly. Bastion plays Hachigaon. Hachigaon destroys Pastranatrix, which allows Bastion to summon now Hachigaon. Bastion uses Living Foster to bring back Hachigaon from his graveyard, but loses 1,000. Attack and his effects are negated. Bastion uses Bonding HTO to tribute all of his monsters to summon one Water Dragon. Jan uses Polymerization to fuse Avion, Bubbleman, and Sparkman to make Tempest, but Bastion uses Cold Seal of a Burn spell to negate Polymerization, and sealing it for the rest of the duel. Not that Jan doesn't have other ways to fuse, but hey, we gotta lock Jan out of his fusions, and I do appreciate them doing that for a duel. Makes it interesting. And Bastion has to discard a card for this effect to go off. Dub changes. I think this is the first time a Star Deck is mentioned in the Yu-Gi-Oh anime. I don't think it was ever mentioned in Duel Monsters, and I think the dub is the first time Star Deck has ever been mentioned. I know Structure Deck has, I think, but Star Deck is different. Not that they really do those anymore, but besides the point. But fellow duelists,
Hey, fellow duelists.
I'm not sure if that's like a furry walk reference or not, because that's like way before that would be in that meme. But it's like, hello my fellow duelists. I'm like, is that Steve Buscemi? So I think Jane has been eating folks, which is very concerning. Jane, do you need a stomach pump? Crowd is saying that it's just some kid when announcing Jane was funny.
Then, from Slifer, some kid.
The crowd, Zane and Alexis talk about Bastion and Jane's different dueling styles and the dub version, which I think, that was a nice conversation. But go like, this is how Bastion does, this is how Jane does, and then just not having that in a dub, it's kind of a bit disappointing, I'm not gonna lie. But episode 22. Gerard found out that it's built real that a lot of students are currently studying abroad, undisclosed period of time. And can we talk about how awful the school duel academy is? Like, cover-ups about missing students, later on making students duel for the fate of the world, etc, etc. This place is like not a good school whatsoever. It's terrible. And like, for covering up of the disappearing students and covering up that the establishment had any part of it, because, is later find out who was behind it. Well, two people behind it, and they're both school staffs. So, one is the showman and one is the teacher, so anyways. Jan summons Avion and switches Sparkman to defense mode. Bastion plays Mathematician, which allows Bastion to send one card from deck to grave, which I don't know of all cards. What do you think of Destruction? I'm sorry. I know that's a little nod to his first doing the show in episode 1. Why were you Bill? We Queen of Destruction. Water Dragon destroys Sparkman, Mathematician destroys Avion. Gerard stops to watch Jane's do on his way out. Jane summons Bubbleman to draw two since Bubbleman's the only card in Jane's field. Bubbleman gets his Bubble Blast, again 800 attack. Bubbleman destroys Mathematician, which allows Bastion to draw a card since Mathematician was destroyed. Jane sets to and plays Mirage of Nightmares. Bastion fixed Jane's futures isn't like sealing Vermin away is enough to beat Jane. Jane draws Satira's foe thanks to Mirage of Nightmares, and then he emergency provisions it away to gain 1,000 life points. Bastion plays Paw Free to draw two, and since there are 10 cards above Copper Gallon in his graveyard, that allows Bastion to summon Huanzu. Huanzu attacks Bubbleman, but Bubble Blast is destroyed instead, and Jane's life points are safe, while Dragon destroys Bubbleman. Jane plays Healing Single. Since Bubbleman is destroyed, Jane can summon Clayman from his deck. Bastion sets a card. Jane plays Warrior Returning Alive to add Bubbleman back to hand, then he summons him. Jane plays Bubble Shuffle, which switches Bubbleman and Water Dragon to defensive, then tributes Bubbleman to summon Blade. Jane plays Skyscraper to give his monsters 1,000 attack when attacking monsters with power attack. Blaze destroys Water Dragon, and Blaze just piercing damage. When Water Dragon is destroyed, it summons two Hachigaron and Octageddon from graveyard. Bastion plays Last Magnet. When one of his monsters are destroyed, makes Blaze loses 800 attack. Clayman destroys Octageddon. Bastion plays Luminous Doom Ritual by tripping the two Octageddons so he can summon Luminous Doom Swordsman. Luminous Doom cannot be destroyed by battle, and traps don't affected. Luminous Doom gains 3,000 attack and defense if it's a trap on the field. Luminous Doom destroys Blade. Hawanzu destroys Clayman. Bastion plays a Ring Beat of a Giant Dragon by return Hawanzu to hand. It destroys all spells or traps on the field. Bastion sets the card. Jane summons enemy hero Waterhog, which Waterhog, like, he's not affected by traps. That's a cool effect. But, like, all the enemy heroes have, like, you know, Bubbleman, Clayman, Featherman, Bullet Slate, and, like, their Japanese names. They chose when they wanted to do that, and, you know, the TCG. But probably changing Wireman to Wireheart is probably a good decision. And honestly, it is for one case I'm like, that sounds cool, Wireheart opposed to Wireman. This is one dub change I'm like, yeah, I 100% get it. I'm 100% behind. I like to say that because, again, I do like the naming scheme of the enemy heroes. It's just that particular one, I'm like, yeah, that's probably for the best to have changed. Bastion plays Spirit Barriers, so he does take damage when he has a monster on the field. Luminous Doom gains 3,000 attack. Jade Eclipse Cyclone Boomerang to Wireheart, so it gains 500 attack. Wireheart destroys Luminous Doom, but Wireheart is destroyed. When Psycho Boomerang and the Monster Eclipse 2 is sent to the graveyard, spells and traps are destroyed, and Bastion takes 500 points of damage for each spell and trap destroyed, winning Jane the game. Jane's now the official School Rep and with School Duel. Gerard is reminded of his passion for dueling and is going to try dueling again. He won't publish the article, but he will let Alexis know if he finds anything about Hope. I like this two-part. I think it's very fun. They have been building up Jane versus Bastion for quite some time, so to finally get that in a two-part duel and it's like something on the line too, to add more stakes to it, I think it's very well done. And again, like I mentioned earlier, I think sealing away Jane's fusions for him to do without those Pexy enemy hero fusions is a good idea for like a duel, and see how creative Jane can get without, you know, polymerization 20 billion times per duel. I mean, he doesn't do that, it's at least once. But, like, not fusing so much is really a good way to show Jane's dueling style in a different light. And I do really appreciate that. Dub changes. Joao lost all the time of the dub, and not just to Kaiba. Episode 23. Cryo goes under the Eggwood Chicken House to get Browski, which is reference to the Big Lebowski, which I've never seen. Speaking of Steve Buscemi, he's in it, so, coincidence? Maybe. But anyways, maybe the dub wars are just big Steve Buscemi fans. Who knows? Jane's having trouble deck building, but his friends are making it worse. Jane sees the dueling in the school duel as fun and not as for doing for the school like his friends. So this might be a weird point to pen, But I think this is an opponent to Pim due to when we get to season 3, especially, this becomes way more relevant. But like, Jayan views the world and is very different from his friends. Not saying that means, you know, his friends are bad picks for him, or they can't be friends. Nothing like that. It's just that I feel like they don't understand him as fully as one Jesse Anderson does, like right off the bat, because they're so similar. And I think this is like a good little window to that, again, when we get to season 3, when things get blown out of not proportion, but when things are heightened a bit, that like Jane does see the world differently than his friends, and again, that doesn't mean anything bad especially right now, but like I do think that this is an interesting point to point out now. Jane meets Borowski as he runs away from his friends. Borowski can see spirits. Borowski wants to doom. Everyone knows that the roof is Jane's secret spot. I mean, it's not so secret now, is it, Jane? Borowski summons Moki and sets to him. Jane summons Sparkman. Jane uses polymerization to fuse Avion and Bastrunchix to make Emily heal Frank Wingman. Sparkman attacks Moki, but Borowski uses human wave tactics. If a level 2 or low normal monster is destroyed, Borowski can replace it with a monster with the same level from his deck during the end phase. It also has to be a normal monster as well. Moki is destroyed, Frank Wingman attacks directly. Happy Level is summoning things to human wave tactics. Borowski summons another Moki. Borowski plays Moki Smackdown. Happy Level attacks Bachman and is destroyed. Moki Smackdown raises Moki's attack to 3,000 when a fairy monster is destroyed. Moki destroys Frank Wingman. All of Jayan's friends are in love with Moki when they show up. They go like, oh, Moki is great. Moki is life. Moki is love. Borowski plays Mystic Woe to tribute Moki to gain the attack as life points, which just reminds me of a little Utopia FDK. People are trying to do a master nuke now, but using number 99 to bring out number 100, use number 100's effect. And then, during your opponent's turn, using number 9's effect to bring out number 33, after like tripling off via whatever card effect you want, or destroying or whatever, to gain number 100 attack as life points, but 33 would do that damage to the opponent. So like if you gain like 10k life points, number 33 would do that 10k damage to your opponent. Borowski summons Hina thanks to human wave tactic, and it's Hina. Borowski has the power to demotivate people since he met Moki and has been locked up because of his power. Get Dual Academy! Great place, just locking up students. But Borowski says this is a Joseph, so at least he's not upset about it. Borowski wants to free Wing Kuribo because he thinks spirits are happy or being lazy. Wing Kuribo wants to duel Jane. Jane summons Wireheart. Wireheart destroys Hina. Bachman attacks directly and Jane sets the card. Borowski gets another happy level thanks to human wave tactic. Jane isn't affected by Borowski's power. Borowski plays Power Greed to draw 2. Borowski plays Dark Factory of Mass Production to add 2 Mokis from his grave back to hand. Borowski uses polymerization to fuse the Mokis, 3 of them, into the Moki King. King attacks Wireheart but is destroyed. When King is destroyed, the 3 Mokis come back from the graveyard. And at this point, Crow has been here. He's not been really a opponent, but he has a little anti-Borowski suit to protect him, but that just got destroyed. Which begs the question, the schools spend money to build anti-Borowski suits. And you got mad at the researchers for experimenting on monkeys. It feels like you were experimenting on humans a tiny bit there to create anti-them suits. Happy Lava attacks Wireheart but is destroyed, but Smackdown is on as the Moki's attack raises to 3,000. Moki 1 destroys Wireheart, Moki 2 attacks but gets negated by Hero Barrier. Moki 3 destroys Sparkman. Another happy level is summoned thanks to human wave tactics. Borowski plays Gift of a Mystic Elf for each monster on the field. He gains 300 life points, so in this case it's 1,200. Jane summons Bugman to draw 2. Jane plays Hero Heart, but having Bulbaman's attack, he can attack twice. Bulbaman destroys a Moki Moki, but SmackDown is on. Bulbaman attacks another Moki Moki, but Jane plays Bubble Illusion so he can play a Mew Gate in hand, switching drove Bulbaman and Moki Moki. So when Moki Moki destroys Bulbaman, Briowski takes the damage, and that wins him the game. Briowski alone says okay to put in effort from time to time. Everyone is now asleep besides Jane. I like this episode for Moki Moki stuff. Don't get me upset by Moki Moki Drift being the only support for Moki Moki in Power of Elements, because I would actually like to see Moki Moki be in a deck. Other than that, all jokes aside, I do find this a joke, but I do really like when Jane interacts with people that can also see as spirits. I think that's a very fun concept and see how different they are. And I think Briowski is also important in terms of showing different relationships with spirits as we get to, well, season 3, most importantly. And again, I like the SmackDown. This is just a fun dude. I'm sorry, I like Moki Moki. Let me meme on the Moki Moki, but I do really like this. Dub changes, a lot of puns from Crow in the beginning.
Such a foul predicament! I've got to fly this scoop and quick!
Jen actually cares about winning for the school in the dome. 3 jokes from Blowski that throughout this thing. Moki Moki in defense Modi Modi.
I'm in Moki Moki in defense Modi Modi!
And with Blowski was left at the Duo Academy's doorsteps as a baby, which I have several questions since Duo Academy's on an island. But whatever, it's like... It's just like, you put the effort to get on a boat, go to Duo Academy and leave the baby on the doorsteps, unless it's a baby from the student, which, that's a whole different can of worms. But whatever, Dub is actually making me ask questions that were intended to be asked. Cloud seems to believe in spirits in the dub. He seems more open to the concept. In the sub, not so much. When Briowski mentions spirits, Cloud's like, spirits? What are you talking about? What spirits? Episode 24. Shaz is shipwrecked and cannot stop thinking and blaming about Jane. Think about Jane and blaming him for his current situation. Shaz can see spirits. A kelp man ruined Shaz's deck and given him with one Ajama Yo. Kelp man wants to test Chaz. Chaz is at the Nov school after being shot out of a submarine like a torpedo. Chaz has to gather 30 cards if he wants to get into the Nov Academy. He tries to buy them off with a credit card with number 0001. They manufacture that karma of him, but the old man that's sitting outside of Nov Academy turns him down because, you know, a deck is a duelist or so. So Chaz gathers 30 cards by looking around the Iceland. Chaz gives the old man 1 card from his deck, and it cannot be a Jama Yellow because Jama Yellow refuses to be given up. Yellow wants Chaz to help find the other Jama brothers. Chaz enters Nova Academy after finding a card on the floor where the old man was. Chaz has to win a 50-man duel to get a rank in the Nova School. First time we get the Mujolmi Thunder chant. Chaz is winning a lot. Chaz beats 4 opponents at once thanks to a Gaku Guru Panda Destruction Wing and Defense Wing combination. Chaz now is facing the king. The king plays 2 Fiend Sanctuaries to get 2 tokens, then tribute the tokens to summon Zoa, and then sets 2. Chaz summons a Jama Yum and sets 2. Zoa gets a nice card of Metal thanks to Metal Mo. Zoa gets tribute to summon Metal Zoa. The king uses his card of Honda to bring back Zoa. Zoa destroys a Jama Yum. Metal Zoa attacks directly. Chaz uses a Phono Tempest. When Chaz takes 3,000 points or more of damage, Chaz can banish all monsters in the deck and graveyard. Chaz plays Chaos End. Since Chaz has 7 or more cards banished, he can destroy all the king's monsters. Chaz plays Return from a Different Dimension. By paying half his life points, he can bring back the monsters that are banished to his field. All of Chaz's monsters attack for game. The Headmaster of the Nova is the Kelp man of old man that was outside of Nova Academy. Chaz is gonna be the one fighting in the school duel for the Nova. I like this episode. I like that Chaz got humbled very much so from the rich preppy way he is used to. You know, you can't always buy your way and stuff like that. And you gotta work to build your deck. I think that's very nice of this episode to do for Chaz. I mean, honestly, that's all I really had to say. I mean, it was fun to see 1-on-4. That was very fun. But other than that, you know, Well, I guess we can talk about Yugioh. Majama's what ugly cards. But I like Yugioh as a character. I mean, we really didn't get too much of him, but we get more of him later on. And yeah, moving on to the dub changes. But dub translates, like, when Yugioh calls Chaz Anarchy to boss, I'm pretty sure I mentioned that before. By saying that, like, for size, they didn't really come. I mean, I don't want to say they didn't really come up with anything, because they came up with Jay, but like, not like kind of in the same vein, if that makes sense. Chaz was prepared to super Catman. Bowman guilt tripped Chaz and giving him a card. Kyle seems to be voiced by a random kid for some reason.
Amateurs doesn't prove a thing.
It's very noticeable because Focus really don't use children, like child actors at all. So when it's like a voice of an actual child, it's like, who are you? Kind of like Odeon in the Odeon flashback. It sounded like they used an actual kid there. I'll remember correctly from Odeon versus Joey. But yeah, it's just weird. Like, it's suddenly just this one random character with not much opponents voiced by a child. It's like, okay. So, moving on to episode 25, which 25 and 26 are a two-part. A lot of two-parters back. Well, not really back-to-back. There's some breathing room, but kind of back-to-back-to-back. Chaz is getting special cards from the head monster, and there's hints that Adobe is the prize for winning the school duel. The reveal of Chaz being part of Nof to everyone else in Duel Academy. Chaz's brothers are here to film the school duel to promote Chaz as a duelist. Chaz is giving a lot of well calls by his brothers. Chaz feels a lot of pressures to win from his brothers. I think they really do an excellent job in the scene where Jane like sees Chaz kind of like breaking down the bathroom very well, because it does add a lot of depth to his character before this two-part and even before the last episode. I think that was very good. I mean, we kind of did see that depth a little bit in episode 12 when he faced it up against Bastion, but still, I think this really does help make Chaz like a really good character. I think they also show the finished dome was used for blimp pickup in Battle City. I think that's it. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure that's it. Duel begins. Chaz summons Max Dragon. Jayan summons Bastionshix. Bastionshix destroys Max Dragon. When its destroyer allows Chaz summon a dragon with 1500 attack or less from this deck. In this case, it's Arm Dragon level 3. Jayan sets a card. Level 3 levels up to level 5 during the stand-up phase. Jayan uses Hero Wings, so Bastionshix is unable to be destroyed with monsters with 1900 more attack. Arm Dragon can destroy a monster on the field by discarding a card with like more attack than the targeted monster, so it has to be more than Bastionshix attack points. So, you know, bye Bastionshix. Level 5 attacks directly and Chaz sets a card. Jane summons Bubbleman, which allows him to draw 2 cards. Jane uses Polymerization to fuse Avion, Bubbleman, and Sparkman to make Tempest. Tempest destroys level 5. Chaz uses Card of Haunted to bring back Arm Dragon level 5. Jane sets a card. Chaz uses Arm Dragon level 5's effect to destroy Tempest, but Jane uses Diffusion to break apart Tempest to its fusion materials. Arm Dragon level 5 destroys Sparkman. Since level 5 destroys a monster by battle, it levels up to level 7. Chaz's brothers realize he isn't using their cards. I mean, I feel like he should have realized that a bit sooner, but hey. Jayan summons Water and sets a card. Arm Dragon level 7's effect activates by discarding a monster. All monsters that Jayan control are destroyed that have less attack from the discarded monster. Water's effect activates, adding Polymerization and Bastionshix back to hand. Level 7 attacks directly. Dub changes! Chaz it up. It really isn't the same as Majumi Thunder. Majumi Thunder has more of a better feel to it. They have a Princeton's family crest on the helicopter, but you can see in L shots of the helicopter scene at the beginning. The duel is being shown worldwide and it's not just Japan. And, you know, fun fact from Dr. Crowd, Scrubs don't have PhDs in dueling. It is a very unscrubbed zone. Episode 26. Jane uses Hero Spirit to make the down she will have taken as 0, since an E-Hero is destroyed by battle, end quotes, because there were no monsters destroyed by battle. Jane summons Swing Karibo. Jane sees that Chaz can see spirits with Mr. Yugioh. Arm Dragon level 7 destroys Ring Karibo. Jane plays Parkway to draw 2. By discarding 1 card, Jane can play Special Hurricane to destroy all special summon monsters, like 1 Arm Dragon level 7. Jane summons Wireheart and he attacks directly. Jane, please call Chaz Majumi Thunder. you know, you can get corrected 5 billion times if you don't. Chaz plays for Graveyard for 4th Dimension to return Armed Dragon level 3 and 7 to the deck. Chaz summons another Armed Dragon level 3 and sets the card. Wireheart destroys Armed Dragon level 3, but Chaz uses the Grave of Rekindling. When a monster is destroyed by a battle, each player summons a monster from the grave. Chaz picks Armed Dragon level 5, and Jane picks Hero Kid. When Hero Kid special summons, Jane can summon the O2 copies of Hero Kid from his deck to the field, and he sets the card. Chaz plays level up to level 5 to 1 level 7. Chaz equips level 7 with Arm Change. By saying another equipped spell from hand to graveyard, level 7 can destroy Wireheart. The Arm Changer allows Chaz to add one monster with equal or less attack to Wireheart's attack from grave to hand. Chaz uses level 7's effect by discarding a monster to destroy all the Hero Kids. Jane points out that Chaz wasn't really finding him by his brothers instead. Jane uses the Warrior Returning Alive to get Avion from grave to hand. Jane uses Polymerization to fuse Avion Bestrangix to make Flying Wingman. Jane uses Miracle Kids to reduce level 7's attack by 400 for each Hero Kid in graveyard. While Flying Wingman destroys Armed Dragon level 7 and deals attack as damage to Chaz, winning Jane the duel. Chaz's brothers are mad at him for losing, but Jane and everyone else stands up for him. I do like that Dr. Crowell is starting to like a Jane a bit. Chaz chooses to stay at Duel Academy, but no Headmaster forgot the Armed Dragon card to get him back. Chaz has to be a level ed to advance, since attendance doesn't matter for red students, which seems backwards. You would think it would be for the high grade students like blue. Oh well. And then the prize of Dofi is revealed to the students, and I do like this two-part. I like, again, Chaz's development. I think it's very good out. And I very much appreciate everyone standing up for him against his brothers. The Armed Dragon cards are very neat. I think the design-wise is very cool. Yeah, and also, again, I also like that Crowell is starting to turn around on Jane a bit. But it's also very much appreciated. Dumb changes. Chumley can do what Jane does, and Jane tells him exactly what to do. They replace Jane calling Chaz Majority Founder with a bad pun instead, because that doesn't work in English. School of Rock reference those who can't duel teach.
Those who can't duel teach.
But everything is fine. News report was funny to call, but like do broadcasting. It's like, we interrupt this duel with a special report. Everything is fine.
Hello! We interrupt this duel for a special news bulletin to report that everything's fine.
Jane says heart, which sounds weird to me, like him calling someone heart. That just doesn't feel like a very JN thing to do. But no Headmaster just forgot about the Armed Dragon cards. Just completely doesn't even mention them in the dub. He's just runs away, crying that he didn't get Miss Dofi. And speaking of two parts, episode 27 and 28 are also two parts. Starting with episode 27. Cyrus overhears Bano sealing someone in a tomb. Bano plans on holding a picnic on some ruins. Jane, Alexis, Cyrus, and Chumley are the ones to go. Finally, no one else in the class wanted to come. Alexis is going because the ruins have something to do with Yamino games, and she might find something to do with her brother, which makes more sense again than Tarzan. I mean, she explained her reasonings in that episode, but you were stretching. Cyrus thinks Banner's up to something. Banner has special lunch made by Dofi, but Pharaoh ate it, which the dub line changed. You know, that's in the same vein of that, but man, they just focus it up so much. That's so funny. But anyways, we get to that in a second. Pharaoh triggered some lights and everyone got teleported. Jane's now in the spirit world, which we will see more of this particular world in season 3. Green Creeper is also now solid. A girl hides Jane for being caught by guards. The punishment for being caught in the sacred tomb is being buried alive. Fun! So I do every Tuesday. Jane waits for the girl in a room until he heals his friends and gets caught. Jane must do an Yamino game with the Gravekeeper's chief. He plans on mummifying the game and Jane loses. The chief sets a monster. Jane summons a Bumbleman to draw to. Jane sets a card. The chief summons Gravekeeper's Spear Surgeon, and then Flip summons Gravekeeper's Guard, which when Flip summoned bounces Bumbleman back to the hand. Guard and Spear attack directly. Jane's friends sarcophagus slids move depending on Jane's life points. Jane uses Polymer Station to fuse Avion and Bastiontrix to make Frame Wingman. Frame Wingman destroys Spiral Social and deals an attack as damage. Jane summons Wet Wild. God is switched to defense. Chief sets another monster. Frame Wingman destroys God during its attack as damage. Chief plays pause green to draw 2. Chief summons Gravekeeper's Assailant and flip summons Gravekeeper's Coast. Coast does 500 points of damage to Jane. Chief plays Necroviet, which all Gravekeeper monsters gain 500 attack and cards cannot be moved from the graveyard. Assailant attacks Frame Wingman and she switches him to defense, allowing Code to destroy Frame Wingman. Coast destroys Rottweiler and Jane can use its effect due to Necroviolate. Dub changes. Sauce never mix chili sauce with ice cream. I know why a dub doesn't like alchemy. It just doesn't. Again, I can't explain that one. I can't think of a good reason. Banner gets pizza while everyone else gets whatever Jane's holding.
Huh? You get pizza while we're stuck with whatever it is I'm holding?
With overall, it's not Kansas reference. I feel like the dub spells it out more that this is a different dimension than the sub does. I mean, not that that's a bad thing or a good thing. I just feel like they lay on a tiny bit more thick. Talks about death is removed. I mean, who wants to hear about Jane's liver being removed from his body? And they also remove all chanting down by Kos. Episode 28. Banner wants to see Jane's duel since this is him testing him. This is Banner testing him. But the sarcophagus sled is in the way. Jane summons Wing Kuribo. Assailant attacks Wing Kuribo, but Jane plays Transcendent Wings by discarding 2 cards. Wing Kuribo becomes level 10, but Chief uses Gravekeeper Watcher's effect from his hand by discarding it. He can engage Transcendent Wings. Wing Kuribo is destroyed. Chief sets the card. Jane plays Paw of Greed to draw 2. Jane summons Dark Catapult and then plays Mirage of Nightmare, then sets free. Thanks to Mirage of Nightmare, he draws 4. Chief tributes Ghost to summon himself. Again, you gotta summon yourself at some point. Chief allows him, to move cards out of the graveyard, and he can spread summon a Gravekeeper monster from the grave once per turn. Welcome back, Spirit Soldier. Chief plays White of Spirits to summon codes from the graveyard, so Jane also takes another 500 points of damage. Assailant attacks Dark Catapult, switching it to attack, but Jane uses emergency provisions to gain 2,000 life points by sending Mirage of Nightmares and one of his set cards to grave. But Dark Catapult is still destroyed. Chief slaps Assailant from hesitating to attack. Chief attacks directly, but Jane uses Draining Shield to negate the attack and gain life points equal to Chief's attack points. Spirit Soldier and Kos attack directly. Chief plays World Tributes and that values on field. Both players have to discard all monsters in hand. You know, we gotta get Necroshade in the graveyard somehow. Jane summons Blade thanks to having here Necroshade being in the graveyard, so it makes it so that once, I think it's technically once per it being in the graveyard, you can tribute summon an enemy here without tribute. So welcome Blade Age. Blade Age destroys codes from game. Chief is shocked that Jane could find the Yami no game so fun. Only one person has passed this task before, and Jane gets the other half of the medallion that person got. Jane's friends are freed, but all Gravekeepers don't like the fact that the game gets off. But Assailant helps him out, and she's the girl from earlier. Assailant tells Jane to tell the old trial winner that Saya is waiting to see them again, which is her name. It's never brought up. And funnily enough, since again this is the same world and showed up in season 3, I don't think Alicus got teleported to this world when Dual Academy did. I mean, they could have picked this up, but they didn't, so. Deathclaw helps Shumley, who tripped and fall, which I love. Deathclaw being a pal. Everyone's back to our world. I like this 2-power. This is a fun little, again, more of an introduction to the spirit world that is used later on in this season, and again, that's very important for season 3. And the Chief, Gravekeepers were the first big archetype, so I do appreciate them getting a spotlight here and a fun little duel. Especially Nakavali. Nakavali has been such an impactful card in Yu-Gi-Oh's history, so I appreciate it being used in the Yu-Gi-Oh anime. Assailant's cute, and I do like her personality. Anything else? We know something's up with Banner because he wanted to task Jane in a Yami no game. So we know he's fishy in some regard, so that's about it. And Jane's a fun-loving duelist. Dub changes. All references to the slap are gone.
What's going on here?
Sir, I'm arrested.
Jane thinks the winner is Sarah's boyfriend. Rice balls are now Mori sandwiches. I think that's what that's a reference to, if I'm not mistaken. Because Jane, when he got back, mentions his Mori sandwiches. I think he might be talking about the rice balls for Moyo, but I'm not sure. But two parts keep on rolling with episode 29 and episode 30. Starting with episode 29. We clearly don't have all the designs of the Shawers fully down yet. One guy is extremely spiky, a bit too spiky. Get a cut from how edgy he is. Darkness. Again, I way prefer Darkness over Naruto. I just think even funny, so Darkness is definitely one of the characters I'm going to be calling by his sub-name. Darkness is on a mission for something. I like to point out a Darkness Japanese voice actor, Kojo Yusa, who also plays Shadow the Hedgehog. I wonder if that's like a little reference, because, you know, Shadow, Darkness. That might be a bit of a stretch, but I would like to think that's a reference of some kind. Zane thinks Alexis has lined up a bit. Darkness glides in on a glider to do Academy Island, and has the other half of a medallion that was mentioned last two poem. Reference to last episode when Jane has a lunch made by Dofi, because, you know, he's like, that's a great idea, Banner did, why not me? Banner, Jane, Chaz, Alexis, Bastion, Zane, and Quail have been called to the headmaster's office. Shepard says that the Academy guards the 3 sacred beasts, and will cause chaos if they were ever to be released. But 7 Shadow Hours want to free the secret beasts, but 7 people that have been called to the office will have to protect the 7 spirit keys that, you know, unlock the spirit gates that unlock the sacred beasts once the gates are unlocked. We get a joke about the difference between Aniki and Oni-san from House. Like Cyrus refers to Jane and Zane. Of course, that doesn't look in English. And actually, the whole scene is just cut in English. They don't even try to fill it up with dialogue. They just remove it completely. Alexis is worried about Jane being picked first to do it since he's slifer-wed. Someone might be like, we got a weak one right here. And she was correct, because Jane and Cole get teleported to the middle of a volcano, as one typically does on a Friday night. Darkness challenges Jane to a duel for his key in a Yamino game. If a duel lasts too long, Cyrus and Shumley would get boned to death via liquid hot magma. The loser so would be sent a call. I mean, Alexis, are you really asking if Yamino games really exist after the last two poems? And I would like Jane not thinking that Yamino games aren't real due to Titan. If he didn't duel against one Mr. Jinzo and one Mr. Gracekeeper's Chief. I'm just saying, there's been a few Yamino games in between then and now. Darkness summons Troop Dragon and sets the card. Jane summons Wildheart. Wildheart destroys Troop Dragon. When it's destroyed, replaces itself with another copy from the deck. Darkness uses Carver Haunted to bring back the destroyed Troop Dragon. Darkness tributes both monsters to summon Wild's Black Dragon. I do like that Jane goes up against what we see later on, but I mention it here and I'll probably mention it again, but Jane basically goes up against the main aces of dual monsters, trio of main characters, Yugi, Joey, and Kaiba before the season. I think that's a nice little touch, and it doesn't feel like foes. Red Ice destroys Warhawk. Jane uses polymerization to fuse Clayman and Bastruntrix to make Rampart Blaster. Rampart Blaster can attack directly in defense, but only deals a fast opponents of damage. Darkness uses a Phone of Fire Blast to deal Jane and Wire's attack as damage, but Wires cannot attack this turn. Darkness plays Attachment Dragon, which equips itself to Rampart Blaster to make it into attack mode. Dub changes. They cut Zane and Alexis hanging out together, but Dub removes talks of shaving off one's life during a Yamino game. Episode 30. Jane plays Polygree to draw 2 cards. Jane uses the fusion to have Rampart Blaster separate into its fusion materials, so Attachment Dragon gets sent to the graveyard. Jane uses Fusion Sage to get polymerization from deck to hand. Jane uses polymerization to fuse Sparkman and Clayman to make Thunder Giant. Thunder Giant attacks Red Eyes, so both are destroyed. Bastruntrix attacks directly. Jane plays Mirage of Nightmare and sets the card. Jane draws 4 things to Mirage of Nightmares, and then he emergency provisions it away to gain 1,000 life points. Darkness plays Mirage Dragon. Mirage Dragon destroys Bastruntrix. Jane uses Silent Doom to bring back Sparkman in defense. Jane uses Fusion Gate to fuse by banishing Avion, Sparkman, and Bubbleman to summon Tempest. Tempest destroys March Dragon. Jane sets the card. Darkness summons Black Dragon's Chick and uses effect to tribute itself to summon Wet Eyes. By tributing Wet Eyes, Darkness can summon Wet Eyes Darkness Dragon, who gains 300 attack for each dragon in Darkness's graveyard. Darkness Dragon attacks Tempest, but Jane uses negate attack to negate that attack. But all Keyhoes know something is up. Shepard feels bad for getting his students involved with the Sacred Beast fight. At least somewhat. At least there's somewhat remorse on his part. But again, the school is terrible. Would not send my kid to do academy, let me just say. Jane summons White Wall and switches Tempest to defense mode. Darkness summons Spirit Dragon. Spirit Dragon destroys White Wall. It does piercing and switches to defense, but White Wall allows Jane to have Harmonization and Reinhardt from graveyard to his hand. Darkness MST Fusion Gate. Darkness Dragon destroys Tempest. Alexis offers her key and soul to let the others go. Darkness seems to know Alexis. Jane wants to continue the doom. Jane summons Reinhardt and plays to have an attack of Darkness Dragon, and then summon a token equal to Darkness Dragon's current attack points. Jane uses Polymerization to fuse Wireheart and Blade to make Emily heal Wild Edge. Wild Edge can attack every monster once. Jane plays Skyscraper to give Wild Edge an edge. With 1,000 attack points when attacks a monster with a higher attack point value than it. Wild Edge attacks Darkness Dragon, both Darkness Dragons and Spirit Dragon for game. Everyone save! Jane's passed out and Darkness is Alexis. Alexis is above him, and the max of Darkness is sealed away in the card. I do like this 2-pile. I love Darkness's design. It's very cool. I love that max. I would like a copy for myself. I feel like for the first shower I do, being inside Volcano is very cool. Darkness Dragon is a nice little evolution. We see more evolutions later, but for now it is a nice little evolution. And we get more insight, finally, to Alexis and her brother being Atticus. Well, there's still a mystery of everything surrounding Atticus' brother, but at least it feels like we're moving forward and to solving it in terms of just being reminded, hey, Alexis was his brother's a thing. KO. I think they did in a good enough spot when it's like, it doesn't get too old, but it reminds us of a plot point that they want us to remember. But it doesn't go on for so long that it's just like, when are you going to resolve this type of a thing? I'm looking at you, Ghost Game. You did that too much. And you know you did that too much, but this is not a Ghost Game review. I served my time on that. Dub changes. Alexis, did you really act was supposed to destroying Red Eyes when it was following Monster Darkness half the time? Shumlin wants Jane to hurry up because Casares is getting mushy. Shumlin didn't want to look at french fries again, but we eat them. I mean, I respect for her, so I guess. And there's also the reference to the hot sauce business. Gotta get your hot sauce, chug it, give it to your cat. Episode 31. A vampire is at the Academy via a dream from Jane, and coincidentally, there's rumors of a vampire spying around the school. Bats are spying on everyone's deck. Crowder doesn't believe in Yamino games. The vampire's name is Kamala. She has a thing for Zane, and I have a thing for her. Crowder accidentally stepped forward to do Kamala first. I love her theme. Her theme both sub and dub is great. The loser's soul gets trapped into a doll. Kamala summons a zombie werewolf and sets one. Crowder plays Ancient Guild Castle. Crowder summons Ancient Guild Soldier. Castle boosts Ancient Guild monsters attack by 300. When Ancient Guild Soldier attacks, Kamala can activate spells as trap. Soldier destroys zombie werewolf. But when zombie werewolf is destroyed, it summons another copy of itself from the deck with 500 more attack. Crowder sets the card. Kamala summons Vampire Bat. It gives 200 attack for every zombie monster on the field. Zombie werewolf destroys soldier. Vampire Bat attacks directly. Kamala really wants to do Zane, but Crowder stands up for his student. Crowder uses Damage Condenser to summon a monster from his deck equal or less to the damage he took this turn, and now a soldier is summoned. Crowder tributes soldier to summon Ancient Guild Beast. Beast destroys Vampire Werewolf and negates the effect of it since Beast destroyed by battle. Kamala plays Inferno Vania, by saying one zombie card from hand to graveyard. Kamala gets to destroy all monsters on the field, but she cannot normally summon it afterwards. Vampire Bat protects itself by saying another copy of itself to a graveyard. Vampire Bat attacks directly. Jen shows up and that guy Crowder to stand back up. The reason why Crowder refuses to believe in Yamino games is because duels are supposed to be hope and life for young people. Cryo summons ancient Gil Golem by trimming Castle since he normally summoned twice with it on the field. Golem attacks Vampire Bat, but Vampire Bat cannot be destroyed via its effect. Cryo uses Heavy Stone to destroy all spells and traps. Camelon uses a Zombie Bat since it was destroyed. Zombie Werewolf gets summoned from the deck. Camelot plays a Book of Life by banishing Beast from Cryo's graveyard. She can summon Vampire Load from Hose. Camelot banishes Vampire Load to summon a Vampire Genesis. Cryo says don't allow your spirits to be broken. Genesis destroys Golem. Zombie Werewolf and Vampire Bat attack directly for game. Cryo gets turned into a doll and loses his spirit key. Camelot has a castle on the lake. I like this episode, and this is like a primary example of me wishing like GX like really focus on all the characters than all than Jedi. More so because this is like an excellent Cryo episode. Like him really showing care for his students, because there was a lot of focus of him being antagonistic to a lot of people. But I think showing that Cryo actually really does care about his students and really believes in their hopes and futures is very great. He might be a petty motherfucker, but like he really does care about his students. And then Camelot, I mean, she's adorable. I like the vampire for a shower. I mean, vampire's darkness and all that stuff. It goes together. I do think the doing action is really great in this episode. So dub changes. Jay must be feeling bad after dreaming of ghosts. Cryo doesn't fake being brave like he does himself. Alexis called Cryo a bad duelist, which that's not how the first episode portrayed the man, but hey, whatever. We learned that PhD takes 9 years in duel school. They replace Cryo's hope and light speech about, like, never giving up. Just don't give up. Camelot says she has been spying on everyone's deck earlier in the dub than the sub, so, like, the reveal, like, 2 episodes later is just whatever, dub version. Okay, that would be funny to have a tombstone quote. It's Doctor. Episode 32. Banner's literally hiding from Camelot under Jane's no swoon bed. Everyone else wants to fight. Cyrus is being worried about Zane. It's nice to see. I really like that from the brothers. A drama yellow can touch and heal Cryo as Dom. Everyone goes to the castle, even Banner. Camelot wants to do Zane this time around. Same moves as the last Yami no game. Camelot summons Vampire Lady and sets one. Zane plays Power Bond to fuse 3 Cyber Dragons to get Cyber and Dragon. And since Power Bond was used, its attack is now double. Zane is acting aggressive in his dueling. Cyber and attacks Vampire Lay, but Camelot uses Red Ghost Moon. But discarding a zombie, she gains Cyber and its attack points and ends the battle. Zane plays Defusion to dodge Red Ghost Moon and have both Cyber and Dragon split into 3 Cyber Dragons. Zane sets one. Camelot tributes Vampire Lay to summon Vampire Load, then banishes it to summon a Vampire Genesis. Genesis attacks the Cyber Dragon, but Zane uses Attack Reflector unit to tribute Cyber Dragon to summon Cyber Barrier Dragon. Barrier Dragon can negate an attack once per turn when it's in attack mode, so Genesis attack is dodged. Zane plays Pot of Greed to draw 2. Zane plays Photon General Unit, which counts as the Photon card for Zexo purposes, if you really care. To tribute 2 Cyber Dragons to summon Cyber Laser Dragon. Laser Dragon can destroy 1 monster whose attack or defense is higher than his own attack. So goodbye Vampire Genesis. Laser Dragon and Barrel Dragon attack directly. Zane sets one. Camelot plays Illusion Gate, which I can't believe is now a real card, which destroys all of Zane monsters, then allows it to summon a monster that Zane used during the duel, aka Cyber and Dragon, and she has to give up a soul to the Sacred Beast to use this card. And she volunteers Cyrus. How nice of her.
It should have been me, not him! It's not fair!
If Zane beats Cyber and Cyrus' soul would be lost. Cyrus says Zane should win because he's being down on himself. Like, he say, like, you know, you're the successful one. You're the one that, you know, people care about actually like and stuff like that. But Zane says Cyrus should have more confidence in himself. And then he refuses to do anymore. Cyber Ann attacks the game, causing Zane to lose his key and be sold into a doll. Camelot is keeping the Zane doll. Jane is upset because duels are supposed to be fun. I like this episode. And again, this is why I really like when GX focuses on the other characters, because I feel like Cyrus and Zane got tremendous development in this episode. That you really see that they really do care about each other as brothers. And you do see that from Zane early on, But you really do feel the brotherly bond these two have together in this episode. And Kama being dirty about offering up Cyrus's soul to sacred beasts to activate her illusion gate is dirty. Again, very dirty. But like that shows what kind of duelist she is and what kind of person she is. And I do like that like Cyrus immediately picked up like, hey, this isn't like my brother's usual doing style. He's usually not so like aggressive from the get-go, which I do appreciate because there's again a huge focus of Zane being like, you gotta respect your opponent, you gotta anticipate every move. And so I was like, okay, this is a little different from that. So I do appreciate that being a thing. Dub changes. Jayan is fighting with a sheet.
It's 2 out of 3.
We replace Cyrus being worried for Zane with talks of needing to work together. For whatever reason. Very overdue Chumley being lazy. Like, I think I mentioned that being a dub change, them, like, focusing on Chumley being lazy. But they overdid in this episode. And I got sick of it really quickly. They are trying to bring back the use versus playing talking points. I bet you talk all the ghosts like this. No, just the ones I dislike. People doubt that Cyrus got the looks in the family. Cyrus doesn't get bitten by Kamala in the dub when she offers up his soul to the sacred beast. Episode 33. Shepard knows the Leo of the Shadow Hours as he's communicating via the small monitor on his X. Jayan is doing Kamala next. Kids give Jayan his half of a medallion. Jayan uses polymerization to fuse Avion, Sparkman, and Bubbleman to make Tempest and sets the card. Kamala plays Illusion game, but Jayan's medallion protects his friend, so Kamala actually had to give up her own, so if she loses. Which, that's the only time that medallion's relevant, and is the reason why it disappears after season 2. Because it just doesn't become relevant again. I mean, after the ending of season 1, I should say. I mean, it glows like once. So I guess technically it activates again, but Illusion Gate destroys Tempest and summons it to Kamala's field. Kamala summons Zombie Werewolf. Tempest attacks directly. Jayan uses Quasar. After takes the attack, he gains control of Tempest again. Tempest destroys Zombie Werewolf. When Zombie Werewolf is destroyed, it summons another copy of itself, but it has 500 points of attack mode. Jayan sets one. Kamala plays Paw of Greed to draw 2. Kamala tributes Zombie Werewolf to summon a Zombie Lord, then banish it to summon a Vampire Genesis. Kamala plays Genesis Crisis, which allows her to add one zombie monster from deck to hand each turn. Genesis can summon one zombie monster from a grave if she discards one zombie, but it has to be a lower level than the card she discarded. Hi, Zombie Werewolf. Kamala uses Giant Shunade to bounce back all spells and traps to hand. Kamala reveals that she's spied on everyone via bats. Genesis destroys Tempest. Zombie Werewolf attacks directly, but trap card Varro's return to Jayan's hand was Insurance, which gives him 500 life points when it's removed from the field. Kamala replayed Genesis Crisis to add one zombie to hand. Kamala reveals during the Middle Ages the vampires were hunted down. Kamala is the last vampire, resting in her coffin until someone awakens her and says that she can bring back the vampire waste, the power of Yamino Games. Jayan plays Power Greed to draw 2. Jayan plays Factory of Mass Production to add Avion and Sparkman from graveyard to hand. Jayan plays Fusion Game. Avion and Patricians are banished to fusion summon Flaming Wingman. Flaming Wingman and Sparkman are banished to fusion summon Emily Hero's Shining Flaming Wingman. He's a very shining boy. Yeah, Jayan just wanted to brighten up for duels. Shining Fang Wingman gains 300 attack for each E-hero in the graveyard. Shining Fang Wingman destroys Genesis and deals its attack as damage for game. Also, not that this really matters, Zombie Werewolf is destroyed because Zombie Genesis is destroyed via Zombie Genesis effect. Not that that has any impact on the game whatsoever. Illusion Gate Collector's Duels. The dolls are free, the cast falls apart. I like this episode. A great introduction for a Shining Friendly Man. Again, to brighten up the Yamino games, we gotta bring in the light. But it's a very cool design, I really like it. I know, like, in the card, like, the little arm thing it has always reminded me of, like, the, Digi-Egg of Friendship. But Cameron having free duels, not a problem. I mean, it kind of got a bit repetitive in terms of the third one, where it's just basically kind of speed one it into, it's like, we need Illusion Gate, we need the Vampire Genesis. But I think giving her like the motivation if she wants to revive her vampire ways, it's good motivation. Not that makes her like a good person or anything like that. She's still bad, but like it's something to add a little depth to the character. And not that you actually really need to give her a backstory either way, so it is nice that was given to him. But I do wish, and I know that since Jane is main protagonist, but someone else could be Camelot since Jane did defeat darkness, but then again you had to ask the question of how do we deal with Zane? Because they probably wanted Jane to be the last man standing, so they had to do the contrived way of getting rid of Zane, which is fine, but like, I just wish it was someone other than Jane being these child wiles, and that's gonna be a problem for a bit. And I feel bad because Alexis, up until whole finally getting a child wild to him, she always like, I go, and then everyone's like, no, someone else would do it. And it's just like, okay. So I wish the spread was more even in terms of that. But that's more of a problem with like how this is set up and Jane getting a lot of the duels as opposed to like just that episode. But I thought I should mention it there. Episode 34, 99% by Buzz now for opening. I love the song so much. And you better, because it is for opening to the end of season 2, which don't get me started. Like, the visuals of when it's played during season 1 are spectacular, but for season 2 it just do a clip show, and I'm like very upset about that. Wake Up Your Heart by Nab featuring Ken is the new ending. It's also good, and it's referenced in Wake Up Your Anime Heroes card that released a few years ago. Jane has a bad dream of losing a duel to the 7th child wild that we haven't met yet. We won't meet him for a while, and Silas and Chumley get killed because of Jane losing. I do like the little demon things are back in Jane's dreams too. The gang are in a hot spring to help Jane relax. Chaz is there too. Winkle will pull Jane away from the gang. Chumley follows Desquad and Silas follows Chumley. Chaz also follows the Yugioh. The gang was led to the land of spirits, which again is a call back to like the Gravekeeper stuff. Which I'm also pretty sure we see this part of the spirit world too in season 3, just a lot darker. I'm not sure it's technically the same place, but it reminds me of like the Scout area when we're introduced to Tanya. That place. I'm not sure if it's technically the same place. Kyberman is here and is voiced by Kyber's English and Japanese VAs respectively, which I appreciate. Kyberman says Jane will understand everything if you do with him. Jane summons Bubbleman to draw to him. Bubbleman gets his Bubble Blaster to gain 800 attack. Jane is worried that this might be a Yami no game. Kyberman summons himself and uses the effect to tribute himself to summon Blue Eyes. Blue Eyes attacks Bubbleman, but Bubble Blaster protects Jane's life points and Bubbleman. Jane uses Polymerization to fuse Bubbleman and Clayman to make a Mudball Man. Kyber plays Paw of Greed to draw to. Kyber plays Bowstream with Destruction to destroy Mudball Man since Blue Eyes is on the field, but I cannot attack this turn. Kyber summons Manju with 10,000 hands, which allows him to add White Dragon Ritual. You can guess let's play next. But tributing Manju with 10,000 hands, that allows him to summon Paladin of the White Dragon. Paladin attacks directly. By tributing Paladin, Kyberman can summon another Blue Eyes. Jane plays Monster Reincarnation. By discarding a card, he can add Clayman back to hand. Jane can summon Blade without tribute since Nakashira is in his graveyard. Jane plays Skyscraper, so when an E-Hero battles a monster with more attack, it gains 1,000 attack. Blade destroys the Blue Eyes. Jane sets a card. Kyberman is trying hard to put Jane into the future. Kyberman uses the Silent Doom to bring back old Blue Eyes. Kyberman uses Polymerization to fuse 3 Blue Eyes to make Ultimate Dragon. Ultimate Dragon attacks Blade, but Jane uses Edge Hammer to tribute Blade to destroy Ultimate Dragon and deals attack as damage. But Kyberman uses Defusion to split the Ultimate Dragon back into 3 Blue Eyes, for 3 Blue Eyes attack directly for game. Which is funny enough, very similar how Joao lost to Kyber back when Bastion vs. Jane 2-part. I mean, I'm not sure how intentional that is, but it's a little funny thing. Detail if you notice it. Kyberman got Jane to stop being afraid of losing. The game is back in our world, and I like this episode. This does come back later. Jane's like fear of losing and losing to people close to him and his friends and stuff in season 3. And I keep mentioning season 3 a lot, but I do feel like a lot of things are good foundations for season 3. So this is relevant. Jane really does have his fear, and I think this calms him down for now. But I do think justifiably what happens in season 3 really boosts the feel of this. But like for the episode itself, I do like Kaiba Man. Again, getting Jane to face all the Doom monsters, aces, they much appreciate him. And you know, Kaiba Man acting like Kaiba and you know teaching Jane a lesson. I think that's very nice. Dub changes. Hot springs were changed to pool. Tiles aren't supposed to be in water unlike the sub. So I said, but Velma glasses line.
I can't see without my glasses.
Jane specifically says that he dreamed of the blue eyes. Shaz knew about both dream obstruction's effect in the sub, but not the dub. Now Ultimate Dragon is a monster in Jane's dream. He kind of changed between the two. Spirit Cave is too low went for Chaz. Jane hit size with his title. Episode 35. Chaz thinks the room dome is too small. If John Young wants Chaz to find his brothers again, Chaz has been called to the Handmaster's room in the most Kaiba way possible. He's letting Chaz's brothers buy the school for free if he beats Chaz in a room. Chaz has to use monsters with less than 500 attack points in this room, while Slade uses all the rare cards that Chaz didn't use during the school doom, which I think that's a nice little combat. I do like that Jane stands up for Chaz when people think he will lose on purpose. Chaz only has one card with 500 attack or less, which is Unajama Yellow. Banner mentions that there's a well that students use to dump the weak cards. 2 spirits are around the well. We found Jama black and green. Also Scar Servants in the background. You know, we gotta build that Scar Servant deck. Actually, that would work. I mean, not really back in the day, because we don't have the Scar Servants to the point we do it now. But still, I'm just saying that would have worked. Yellow is happy to see his brothers again. So many spirits and Chaz took them all in. Chaz went for extra mana to have monsters with 0 attack only in his deck. Chaz summons Sotarkum. Slay has all the hollows, which is very cool. I love when we do holographic stuff in the anime. It's very cool. Like, even the holograms are shiny. Slade uses pollination to fuse Low Dean Divine Dragon Ragnarok to make King Dragoon. King Dragoon can spread summon a dragon from the hand, so welcome Luster Dragon number 2. King Dragoon destroys Sotarka, Luster Dragon number 2 attacks Chaz directly. Chaz sets a monster. Slade summons Luster Dragon. Slade summons Horenzu off of King Dragoon's effect. King Dragoon destroys Chaz's monster, which is Unhappy Man. When destroys it ends of turn. Chaz summons Spirit of Breeze. Chaz plays the Doctor to make only 1 monster attack per turn. King Dragoon attacks Spirit of Breeze. Chaz summons Catnapping Kitty. King Dragoon destroys Catnapping Kitty. Slade sets 1. Slade uses Destiny to destroy the Doctor. Chaz uses Painful Chose. Chaz picks 5 cards from deck. Slade picks one for Chaz to add to the hand, and Breast goes to the graveyard. The chosen card is Thunderclash. Chaz uses Emergency Thing Room to play 800 life points to summon any level 3 or lower monsters in his top 4 cards in his deck. But genres are here. Chaz learned about but I can always get worse from the genres. You gotta knock them down somehow, huh? Chaz plays a Jama Dire Hurricane to destroy all slain monsters when he has the Jama brothers on the field. Chaz plays Thundercrash, which is pretty funny because the Jama's Reaver effect, which is destroy all monsters on Chaz's field to deal 300 points of damage for each 2x Slade. So 900 points. Chaz summons Chaos Necromancer, who gains attack equal to the monsters in Chaz's graveyard times 300, so 3300. Chaos Necromancer attacks directly for game. Slade says that Chaz had grown up faster than before. I like this episode. We get to it in a second, but I think we're totally ruined this episode by changing the last line. But it's awesome that Chaz got the acknowledgement of his brothers after they being so hard on him, pressure-wise and stuff, to be like this perfect duelist and stuff like that. And Chaz taking all these spirits in is also very neat and very cool. Even though he does find them annoying, he does give them a home. And the Jama Bros, I do like as like a comedic trio of balancing off of Chaz. Dope changes. Chaz's brother would shut down Duo County to take over Doing Wars to have him a sub. He used it as a foothold to take over. But Dub doesn't have any horror cards besides Polymerization like one scene. No mention on Slade being a beginner to justify the less than or equal 500 attack point handicap. Jane sings Get Your Game On.
Hanging out with the crew in the schoolyard, yeah, finding trouble, never you.
Chaz doesn't mention he's using monsters with just 0 attack points. Chaz said he learned about brothers in the dub for the Jamas and then just diss them. I want to see a Jama green monochrome, but brothers still want to take Chaz down in the dub. Just what's the point of learning the lesson? Episode 36. Bastion has a car crush On White Magician Pigaloon, Bastion wants to wake up the game with Barrel Dragon. Bastion wants to do training because Child Wilds. Cyrus likes Fundo Nana, and Trembling likes Dial Kyo the Cure Master since it reminds him of his mom. Do with as you will. Actually, there is a saying that, like, people go after, like, mates that reminds them of their parents. Bastion gets mad over the talk of IO cards, so we don't learn Jayans. And Chumley rightly points out that he and Cyrus aren't finding the Child Wilds, so, like, why drag them into this? Bastion gets embarrassed thinking about White Magician Pigaloon. A lot of students are missing, and the gang go looking into it, since one of the staff was found a student bag in the forest. You know, if there's a secret research lab somewhere on this island, and no one found it, why not build a secret coliseum somewhere in the forest? The students, plus Quao, did build a coliseum after they were brought here by a tiger. At least they were worded well, besides Quao himself. Tanya is behind all of this. She's an Amazoness and a Child Wild. Tanya only wants to fight the manliness of man. Bastion steps up to bat, and he's now referred to Masaru Poo. Tanya has multiple decks like Masaru Poo. One is Wisdom and the other one is Courage. Masaru Poo picked the Wisdom deck to face up against his Oath deck. This is not a Yamino game. The winner gets to marry the loser. I mean, what's the downside? I mean, really, forfeit that. You know, if this is like the love slave scenario, you just gotta forfeit that shit.
Yugi, 負けたらあなた、私のしもべよ。愛のしもべ。
Tanya summons Amazon's Swordswoman and sets 1. Masaru Poo summons Magnet Warrior Sigma Plus. Sigma Plus destroys Swordswoman, but Masaru Poo takes the damage thanks to Swordswoman's effect. Tanya plays Pride of the Tribe to summon a Swordswoman from the deck when an Amazon monster is destroyed. Masaru Poo sets 1. Tanya's so cute, but Masaru Poo thinks that Tanya's just messing with him, but the tank to have a clutch. Tanya summons Amazon's Blow Purple. Masaru Poo uses Magnet Foes minus to make Blow Purple and minus monster, which will make her attack a plus charge monster like Sigma Plus. Tanya uses Amazon's Spellcasters to swipe Blow Purple and Sigma Plus attack points. Blow Purple destroys Sigma Plus, so this woman attacks Masaru Poo directly. Masaru Poo's game is being thrown off by the love talk. Masaru Poo plays Magnet Conductor Plus to add Sigma Plus from grave to hand, but setting Sigma Plus and Magnet Warrior's Omega Minus to the graveyard, Masaru Poo can summon Conductor Warrior Linear Magnum Plus Minus. Linear Magnum plus minus halves charge monster's attack and gain the same amount of minuses to its attack points. So, Linear Magnum plus minus destroys Blow Purple. Masaru Poo sets 2. Swordswoman attacks Linear Magnum plus minus, but Masaru Poo uses Pile Off to separate Linear Magnum plus minus into the monsters he discarded to summon it. Tanya summons Amazoness Parenton, who gains 100 attack for each Amazoness monster she controls. Tanya sets the card. Masaru Poo falls for Tanya. Masaru Poo summons Magnet Warrior Sigma Minus. Masaru Poo uses 100,000 gauze to make Paladin use 800 attack, since he has a plus and minus monster on the field. Tanya plays Dramatic Rescue to return Paladin to hand and summon Amazon's Tiger, who gains 400 attack for each Amazon's card on the field. You cannot attack any other Amazon's monster besides Tiger. Omega Minus attacks Tiger, but Tanya uses Amazon's Archer to reduce Masaru Poo's monster's attack by 600 and make them attack, causing Masaru Poo to lose. And there goes another Spirit Gate. Tanya's keeping Masaru Poo as a husband. I like this episode. I think this is fun. Cool, calculated Bastion being undermined by love. I think that's funny and very cute and adorable, and I really like Tanya. I think her Japanese voice actress, and I didn't put this in the script, so I do apologize. I think we did a good job with the QC talk, because I feel like there's a difference between her normal talk and the QC talk. Not that her, Tanya's English voice actor does a bad job. I think, like, Tanya's Japanese voice actor really just took it to another level. Again, I don't speak Japanese, so, like, might sound a bit better to me because I don't understand the language and stuff like that, but from what I observe and understand, that seems to be the case. But dub changes. I was changed to Car Crush because the concept of ours might be lost on the English American audience. but they kept the cards uncensored, which was surprising. The name was removed off of the bag that was found. Crowd was doing a man's work, but Banner thinks they're running low on men.
Man's work?
A man's work? My, they must have been running very short on men.
Episode 37. Masaru was let go from the Coliseum due to him keep losing and doing against Tanya. Masaru is love-struck and can't stop thinking about Tanya. Masaru wants to get better doing to make Tanya feel good. Masaru can sense Tanya's battle spirit. Jane shines Tanya to a doom. Yugioh picked Tanya to use the courage check. Jane summons Avion. Tanya summons Amazona's Paladin and gains 100 attack for each Amazona's monster on the field. Tanya plays Amazona's Charm to make Avion switch to attack mode and gain 200 attack. Tanya plays Amazona's Arena. Both players gain 600 life points. Paladin destroys Avion. After battle, Arena allows both players to basically do 100 damage to each other by paying 100. Jane uses Polymerization to fuse Sparkman and Clayman to make Thunder Giant. Thunder Giant's effect destroys Paladin. Thunder Giant attacks Tanya directly. Tanya sets a card and summons Amazon's Swordswoman. Tanya uses Amazon's card to make Thunder Giant defuse into Clayman and Sparkman. Swordswoman destroys Clayman. Both players use Arena. Jane summons Bastionchicks. Sparkman attacks Swordswoman, but Tanya uses Amazon's Archers to lower Jane's monster's attack by 600 and make them attack. Swordswoman destroys Bastionchicks and Sparkman, and both players use Arena for both attacks. Jane sets team and uses the Warrior Returning Alive to add Clayman from graveyard to hand. Tanya summons Amazon's Targum, who gains 400 attack for each Amazon's monster on the field. Swordswoman attacks where Jane uses the Hero Emotions to summon Clayman. Clayman protects Jane, but he takes damage from the attack, but the player uses Arena. Tiger attacks Clayman, but Clayman has more defense than Tiger, so Tanya just took damage, but she just wanted to use that Arena. Tanya plays Amazon's Trainer to make Tiger gain 400 attack and piercing, and they can attack again. Tiger attacks Clayman, but Jane uses Clay Charge to destroy Clayman and Tiger to do 800 points of damage to Tanya. Jane summons Wirehog. Wirehog attacks Swordswoman, but destroys each other. Arena is used, winning Jane the game. Tanya turns into her true form, a tiger. I like this episode. Honestly, the two different decks Tanya has, I mean, one has Arena, one doesn't. That's what it really feels like. So it feels like the same deck, because, you know, she could have just done draw Arena in her Wisdom deck, but I know that the Courage deck is supposed to be more of a head-to-head thing, and Wisdom was more of a strategic thing, but it doesn't really clumps across that way, but it also doesn't, just due to how, again, similar the two decks are. But I do like Arena in terms of, like, because it gives this duel, it does give this duel a different feel in terms of, like, they head-to-head kind of a feeling that most duels don't really have, or don't reach the level 2. So that's also appreciated. Tanya turning into a tiger, it's a thing. I mean, out of all the things of GX that happened so far, it's definitely not the most surprising thing. And for things to come in GX, again, not the most surprising thing. But I'm just like, I have no feelings about this whatsoever. She's really a tiger that doesn't face Bastion at all, which I appreciate the man liking what he likes. Gotta respect that. But dub changes. Bastion is more attached to Tanya in the dub and says he won't do anyone else. Jane is doing for Bastion in the dub, then wanting to just do her in the sub. Chad sings Tanya cages people to help find a husband, a hit like a go joke, and a feel like, oh, not bad for go jokes as well in the dub. Which I actually appreciate the sub really not doing that, because comments like that just kind of makes it feel like, oh, this is unexpected for like a woman to do such things, and the sub I feel like treats Tana more on equal ground. So this woman's sword is censored when the tip of her sword hits Jane. Talk about Tana putting Bastion under a love spell. Alexis calls Tanya a bad thing after Chad suggests that Jane might like him, which that's like before we found out that she was a tiger, so Alexis is just being mean. Bastion is back to no more at the end of the episode, and this sense of Tanya's tiger transformation is Bill breath there for a second. Episode 38. Jane ate Cyrus's deep fried shrimp, which upsets Cyrus. Jane does try to make it up in his own Jane way, but that doesn't work. Admiral shows up and might have mentioned Yamino games, but there's a microphone stack. He does mention the Sacred Beast cards. Jay accepts the Admiral doing in his Submarine. Cyrus refuses to watch. Bastion mentions that the Admiral controls 8% sea trade, which is insane. 8% of all sea trade is crazy. Badu begins with Jay summoning Wireheart. The lights went out. It turns out the Admiral said Yumi no games instead of Yami no game. The Crunchyroll subs try to make it shock, so it rhymes with dark, which is similar vein, but maybe because it is like a retrospective thing. Since Chalks is an archetype in Yu-Gi-Oh now, it doesn't fit as well as it should. But like Yumi and Yami are both field spells, so I don't see why they can't just translate it like that. But I don't know, I don't know what goes behind the scenes per se, or maybe it's just they try their best to use like specifically English words in the translations like that, so who knows. Admiral alone, since it's not a Yami no game with a spirit key on the line, he won't give a Secret Beast if he wins. This do still happens though. Admiral plays a legendary Ocean when it's on field. It needs to come to Yumi, and monsters in hand have a level reduced by 1 and they gain 200 attack on the field. Admiral summons Oka Mecha Forces of Darkness. Oka destroys Wildheart. Admiral sets the card. As he mentions, it drives him crazy, but he can just buy the Sacred Beast cards. Jane summons Avion and sets one. Admiral wants to build a Duke Academy under the sea.
Under the sea.
He wants the symbol of Duke Academy to open it with, being the Sacred Beast and Jayan, which begs the question. I know this man's probably heard some sea tales about the Sacred Beast, but how well spread is knowledge on the Sacred? Because it goes like, oh, I want the symbols of Duke Academy to open with to get people in. Obviously, the Sacred Beast has to have some kind of reputation, like major reputation. And so does Jayan, but then again, that's because of the dual school of him being broadcast live across Japan, so that does make sense, but like how widespread known is the Sacred Beast cards? It's not like the tree like a secret, but like for something that can just destroy the world when released, maybe try to keep that under wraps a bit more, but whatever, world school. Jane can be barred, so Jane has to win if he wants to stay at Dual Academy. Admiral uses Coast Walls level 3 to summon monsters whose level equals 3 in his hand, in this case Superior Fish and Cannonball Fuel Shellfish. Oka's effect tributes Cannonball to destroy Jane's face down call. They tribute Superior Fish to destroy Avion. Oka attacks Jane directly. Jane uses Polymerization to fuse Clangman and Sparkman to make Thunder Giant. Thunder Giant's effect destroys Oka. Thunder Giant attacks directly. Jane sets 2. Admiral tries to buy some of Jane's life points by turning them down, which is also funny. It's like, use like billions and millions of dollars. Get yourself those life points, I just love that. Sorry, but it reminds me of something that happens in Yu-Gi-Oh! Brain. It's not about money, about like how like lightning transforms some of someone's like data into like life points that he survives on one. Admiral plays Shadow Grave to allow him and Jane summon a monster in defense from the grave. Admiral summons Oka. Jane picks Clayman. Admiral tributes Oka to summon Laval Dragon Dublius. Dublius' effect activated by summoning Yami to the graveyard destroys everything on the field besides itself. But Jane uses emergency provisions to tribute his set card to gain 1,000 life points. Dublius attacks Jane directly. It feels weird to hear Destiny draw, like just mention the anime, like, oh, I need to get my Destiny draw. Jane summons Bubbleman via special summon since he only has one card in hand that lets him draw 2 cards. I'm kind of very much sick of Bubbleman just making Jane draw 2 cards, but besides the point. Jane pays Paw of Greed to draw 2 more. Again, why not? Jane plays the Warrior Returning Alive to add Sparkman and then summon it. Jane plays Metamorphosis to make Bubbleman into Emily Hero Neo Bubbleman. Bubbleman gets his Bubble Blaster. Neo Bubbleman attacks Dublius, but Bubble Blaster protects Neo Bubbleman and Jane's life points. Neo Bubbleman's effect, it destroys the monster it battles with, so bye bye Dublius. Sparkman attacks directly for game. The Admiral tries to kidnap Jane for 3 days, basically. Cyrus is happy to see Jane again, as Cyrus remembers he cannot swim. This episode's fine. I do not like the main problem of the episode that it opens with Cyrus being mad at Jane for being inconsiderate. Just kind of gets brushed to the side as soon as like Jane disappears for 3 days, and Cyrus just forgets him over like a petty argument. What Cyrus is completely incorrect. He deserves to be mad at Jan for stealing his food without asking. But that's 100% the valid of Cyrus to be upset about. Especially when it's like a food you only get once a month. But also, that's very important for later on down the line in Season 3. I know I'm pulling all these pins, Season 3 pins and everything. That is we see later on whether Jane means to or not. That's kind of how Jane treats his friends in Season 3. But again, we get to that. And when we get to that, but like, I do think that's a good insight into Jane's character. But the Admiral himself, he's there. I guess it's also important to know about which people know about the Secret Beast cards, as we see very much in the 10-ish episodes, if that's the case. Yeah, I don't know, like, if it's just rumors or people actually, in 10 episodes, someone knows a lot more details about Sacred Beast cards. It's actually insane. So, but then again, it makes sense because, I mean, this is before the age of social media where it took off. But at the same time, you have how many students on that island too? Chances are they know about it too, so, you know, information spreads, etc, etc, etc. So it does make sense. People won't be quiet about that. Again, I wish we focused more on the Cyrus stuff. It just kind of resolved itself. But other than that, this is a okay dude. But the pun, I do appreciate the mishealing of Yumi and Nami because that was funny. Double changes. James traded Cyrus's bed for a card for his birthday that happened to be last week. The food was corn dogs and mashed potatoes instead of deep fried shrimp. The gang just assumes that the animal was a shower instead of miscommunication. But just assume this guy was a shower. Oh boy. But Amber doesn't even manage a Secret Beast card, so that's even on the table as well. The first time someone asks how, and the answer is, I read the card.
How that be?
I read the card.
Because the clip that people usually use is from Season 3, Adrian versus Chaz. There's a lot of booty. I beg your pardon?
That is a lot of booty.
I beg your pardon.
They bring up Cyrus thing a lot more in the dub. I mean, it doesn't make it better, but it's just kind of resolves itself. But at least they tried to make it feel more relevant to what's going on. Give the dub applause in that department. Episode 39. We meet the Dark Scorpions. I love them so much. Atticus cannot remember anything. Don Zaluk is going undercover as detective at the school. The school hired Zaluk to protect the spirit keys, which is odd. Alexis has her key in her boobs, and that's like a joke that like Jane is like, oh, well, I mean, look, and Chaz is like kind of like, dude, what the heck are you doing? And Jane doesn't get that her keys between her bosoms. So Luke get the gang to hide the keys somewhere instead of being on the personage. The rest of the Dark Scorpions are undercover as different people around the school, like security guard, painter, student, and nurse. All the keys got stolen by the Dark Scorpions, but they don't work for them. The gang knows that the keys have been stolen, and Chaz has the best earplugs on the fucking planet. They didn't even hear his door being broken down. That's impressive. Chaz got rid of all the evidence, which is a funny gag. Chaz pretending to be a detective, but he gets rid of all the evidence that actually opponent. But it's funny. But it's okay since he have genres that each of the crime scene in his room is full of spirits, so he knows who took everything. The Dark Scorpion tell the gang who they are after Chaz added them like 5 times. Chaz and Zaluk are gonna duel. Zaluk summons Golem's Sentry and sets a card. Chaz uses Fiend Sanctuary to get a token, and then trips it to summon Dragon level 5. Dragon level 5 destroys Golem Sentry. Chaz sets 2 as level 5 levels up to level 7. Don Saluk plays Power Queen to draw 2. Don Saluk summons himself. Again, tradition, you gotta summon yourself. Zaluk uses mustering of Dark Scorpions to summon the rest of Dark Scorpions from hand since he is on the field. Zaluk uses Dark Scorpion combination so each Dark Scorpion can attack directly, but they only deal 400 points of damage each. Since they all did bad damage for the effects go off, Gong returns level 7 to the top of the deck, Chick returns one of Chaz's set cards to hand, Clef makes Chaz mill 2, Zaluk destroys the card in Chaz's hand, and Mine adds Dark Scorpion combination back to Dr. Zaluk's hand. Chaz uses level modulation, Zaluk gets to draw 2, Chaz gets level 7 back from the graveyard. Zaluk sets 2. Dragon level 7's effect activates by discarding a card. It destroys every monster on the field with less attack points than that. But Zaluk uses Retreat of Dark Scorpion to return the Dark Scorpions to hand. Dragon level 7 attacks directly. Chaz sets 1. Zaluk summons himself again. Zaluk uses muscling of Dark Scorpions again, but Chaz uses a Jama Trio to summon 3 Jama tokens on Zaluk's field, so he can only summon Mene. Zaluk plays Dark Scorpion Tragedy of Love by sending to the graveyard. Arm Dragon level 7 is destroyed. Don Zaluk attacks directly and whips the card out of Chaz's hand, which is a Jama magic. When that's sent to graveyard, Chaz can add the Jama Brothers to hand. Chaz play a Paw of Greed to draw 2. Chaz uses polymerization to fuse the Jamas together to make a Jama King, and he has a king-size stick. Look at that thing is bulging! Chaz plays a Jama Muscle, which destroys all Jama monsters on the field, and that gives King 1,000 attack points for each Jama destroyed this way. When the tokens are destroyed, Zaluk loses 300 life points for each. King attacks Zaluk for game. It was a Yamino game without anyone knowing him. Chaz keeps the Dark Scorpion cards when they get trapped in the cards. I like this episode. I love these Dark Scorpions. Sub and dub. But dub has a little cherry on top for me. But like, they're both very enjoyable. And this is the first episode of the Jama King. I'm surprised we didn't censor the deck and the dub, because it's like it's huge. But yeah, like, I really do enjoy this episode. It's a little fun again. I like Chaz being a goofball detective that gets rid of all the evidence, but like still was smart enough in his methods to capture the Dark Scorpions. I think that was, again, a very funny joke. Dub changes. Zaluk sounds like Christopher Walken in the dub, and I love that. That's the cherry on top.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
The cut of the awkward scene when Alexis removed her key from her boot. The dub changed the names of Dark Scorpion besides like Zaluk undercover when the opposite is true in the sub. So like basically how it is like in the dub is like Detective Zaluk, and every Dark Scorpion has a different name. When the sub, Zaluk has a like undercover name, and the Dark Scorpions just use, you know, like Cliff or Chick as their names. So that's an interesting change, and very weird, but it's the opposite, like directly the opposite. Everyone else got rid of the evidence instead of Chaz, which I don't like as much. I do like after like for school dude, Chaz becomes more of a goofball, and I don't like the fact, because like I feel like the pressure's off his show, so like, you know, he feels like he can relax more and be more of a goofball. Well, I don't like the like, you know, Chaz is trying to solve a crime and then everyone else messed it up. I don't like that's funny to me. Well, it's great for Chaz's like character arc as the sub version had. They cut Jama cosplaying. They cut out Dark Scorpion saying the name 5 times like the sub. They tried their damnedest to censor Zaluk. Chick is 6 foot when he jumps up.
I'm 6 foot when I jump up.
We appreciate our show Kings here at Fawaz's YouTube channel. Episode 4. The God of Duelists is awakened. Banner mentions there was a legendary duelist named Abuz the Third. Jan, Size, and Chaz have to stay at the class due to making too much noise during class. Alexis is worried about her brother being distant, and Zane reminds her that she said the sun were always wise. Mommy's attack, and might as well reuse some desires from the Pyramid of Light movie. Gotta make some use of those assets in a good, positive light. The gang gets teleported into a ship. The kidnapper is Abuz the Third. Jan really wants to do Abuz. Abuz summons Phonic Protector and sets one. Abuz plays the first sarcophagus, which during the next 2 of Jane's and phase lessons activate the second and third sarcophagus. Jane summons Avion and uses H-Shield Heart to give Avion 500 attack points and piercing. Avion destroys Phonic Protector. The second sarcophagus hits the field. Abuz plays Power Green to draw 2. Abuz plays Tribute of Doom by discarding 1 card. He can destroy Avion. Abuz summons Pharaoh's Servant and he attacks directly. Abuz sets one. Jane plays emergency card to add Sparkman to him, and then he summons it. Jane plays All Righteous Justice. For each E-Hero on the field, he can destroy a spell card or a trap card on the field, and he picks the first sarcophagus. Abuz was surprised by this, flabbergasted because no one has done it before. But Abuz discards the card to activate Magic Jammer to negate it. Sparkman destroys Pharaoh's Servant. Jane points out that Abuz might be bad at dueling. Abuz realized that his servants were just letting him win. So, again, also nice reuse essence from Millennium Duel or Pharaoh's Memory Arc, whatever you truly want to call it, with Pharaoh's Palace. Jane says duels are only fun if both players are serious. Jane sets the card before Sarcophagus gets activated by sending all three Sarcophagi to the graveyard. Obelisk can summon the Spirit of the Pharaoh. Spirit of the Pharaoh special summons all the normal zombies in Obelisk's graveyard. Jane plays Invincible Hero to make Sparkman invincible this turn. Obelisk plays 1,000 energy to make level 2 monsters gain 1,000 attack. Obelisk's monsters all attack Sparkman, but tripping a Pharaonic Protector, Obelisk can play Soul Guy, which gives that monster's attack to Obelisk as life points. And Obelisk can add one other card with the same name to him. And due to 1,000 energy, all monsters that got their attack boosted are destroyed. Jane summons Clayman. Jane plays Oversoul to summon Avion from graveyard because it is a normal E-heal. Jane plays Hero Flash since he has the spell cards to spell out heal, H-Heal Hard, Emergency Call, All Watch for Justice, and Oversoul. He can summon Bestrintrix from deck and all healers attack directly from game. Obelisk have fun and wants Jane to come to the afterlife with him so they can duel forever. But Jane says let him pass naturally. Don't kill off Jane away. I like this episode. I think it's fun to have a dueling legend turn out to not be so legendary. And the cards with Battle Hero are fun. Especially, you need a emergency call being a war for enemy heroes, even though they don't necessarily need it because they have, reinforcements of the army that actually have war. But, more wars never hurt anyone. I feel bad for Alexis. We're 5 shower hours down, she hasn't dueled a single one. At least Chaz got his, got a win. Going back to last episode, at least Chaz won against one, and it's not just all Jan. But that's another point for the last episode. But, there's not too much to say about this episode. But yeah, I do enjoy it for what it was. It definitely was fun to see Jane going up against a legend, but it's not so much a legend. Dub changes. Sarcasm is Chaz's new name. Fifth time in detention this week is Allosaurus. Obelisk wants to make Alexis a Power Skull. They kept the game catching on. Obelisk isn't as good as you say he is until they can't guess it. Magic Jammer is uncensored, which I'm surprised. Obelisk's max not being the Graves comes off after Spider-Man attacks directly, instead of when Jane tried to destroy the first sarcophagus. Clayman's an effect monster for a second. They cut Jane and Obelisk fighting like kids, but didn't make Obelisk seem like he wanted to drag Jane into the afterlife. Episode 41. Alexis is dreaming of when her and Alakis were kids, and Alakis was telling her to make a deck which she will enjoy playing, which is very important. Why play a deck that you don't enjoy? Alexis hears a familiar sounding voice that says that she wants to recover her brother's memory. Find the voice. Titan kidnaps Alexis again, and Alakis sees. But do spirits know something is up? Crowd thinks Titan is back to get paid. After hearing his name from Alakis, Titan challenges Alexis to a duel. If she wins, she gets her brother's memories back, and if she loses her key and goes to the world of darkness to become a dark duelist. Crowd is happy to know that his money might be safe. Titan summons Panadophine and sets a card. Alexis summons Cyber Tutu. Cyber Tutu can attack directly if it has last attack points than all monsters on the field. Alexis plays Argotoing to destroy Titan's set card. Tutu attacks directly. Alexis sets a card. Panadophine attacks Tutu, but Alexis uses Dubé Passe to make the attack a direct one and have Tutu attack directly. Titan has said Nani twice already. Alexis is a little too impatient. It's hard to tell because we haven't seen her duel in God knows how long, since episode 3. Titan plays Ritual of the Manado by triggering a summon Skull from hand. He can summon Manado theme. Titan plays Dark Arena. Makes it hard to see. Makes all monsters in attack mode have to attack. Alexis can't choose her target. Alexis uses Polymerization to fuse Elo Cyber and Blade Scale to make Cyber Blade. Since Titan has 2 monsters, Cyber Blade's attack is double. Cyber Blade attacks Manado theme, but Mando's theme's effect destroys Cyber Blade for attacking him. Manado theme isn't destroyed, and Titan takes no damage from attack. Pansophine destroys Cyber Tutu. Alexis summons Cyber Gymnast. Titan explains someone pulled him out of the World of Darkness and gave him the power of darkness for exchange of getting the Sacred Beast cards. Pansophine can attack directly since Dark Arena is out. Titan summons Banodolophine, whose effect destroys Gymnast. Healing Akis woes may Alexis get back up. Nani number 3. Alexis plays Pogri to draw 2 cards. Alexis plays for Warrior Returning Alive to get Blaze Scale back from Graveyard to Hand. Alexis plays Future Recovery to get Polymerization's Cyber from Graveyard to Hand. Alexis uses Polymerization to fuse Cyber Blair again. Cyber Blair negates all effects on the field since Titan has 3 monsters. Cyber Blair tags Mandor theme for game, and we get a 90 number foe. Titan gets dragged back to the World of Darkness. Atticus gets his memories back and says that Banner was the one to call him out to the basement of the Abandoned Dome, and that's when he got dragged into the World of Darkness with all missing students. I like this episode. A great way to reuse Titan, because he did get dragged into the World of Darkness, and it's a great way to be like, hey, connect that to the disappearing kids and make him a Shadow. I think that's way again, and have him connected to Alexis since he did kidnap her and she didn't get a chance to duel him. So there you go. Her first duel again, like way too long to give Alexis a second duel. But yeah, I think it was very neat. It's weird to see that Mando theme is finally getting printed, but that's a different thing altogether. But hey, it was a decent episode. And the twist of Banner, even though it's kind of obvious to the audience at that point, it's still a good little twist for the character, since they don't fully know he's a Shadow yet. They just think, it's weird, it's suspicious. They're still careful with well-being. Dub changes. The flashback is now about doing for a purpose in the beginning. Jane doesn't remember who Titan is based off of his name. Titan can't shut up about his first appearance. Atticus mentioned specifically that he was brainwashed to become darkness. Now, it's implied that it's the case in the sub, but they didn't state it outright, and that does get, the dub version, even though season 4 doesn't happen in the dub, but does get contradicted in the season 4. That little dub change that they did there. Again, not that the dub did season 4, but that was a change. Episode 32. Duke Academy is having the school festival, and the Red Dome is doing a cosplaying dueling event. Banner has disappeared completely. Chaz is looking for Pharaoh to find Banner. Silas wants Alexis to help out for Red Dome by dressing up as Dark Magician Go, which, that would probably get a lot of people's attention. Dorothy's for Western Dark Magician Go cosplay, but she got too fat for the cosplay now and, ripped the outfit. Alexis is too cute as a Hoppy. Jane mixes all the remaining cosplay together, because why not? It's Jane. Chaz is XYZ Dragon Cannon, which is actually a very cool cosplay. Chaz has a question on Alexis. Atticus is teasing Alexis by saying he's taking pictures for her fan club. The Dark Magician Girl is here to do Jane. Jane can't do with her cosplay on, so he took it off, which begs the question, what's the point? Someone is still not over Tanya, by the way, dressing up as Amazon's Tiger. I love that so much. Masala Poo. Dark Magician sets a monster. Jane summons Bulbaman to draw it to. Jane uses Polymerization to fuse Bulbaman and Bastiontrix to make Emma heal Steam Heal. Steam Heal destroys Dark Magician's set monster, which was Fire Sorcerer. When flipped up, Fire Sorcerer does 800 points of damage when Dark Magician Go banishes 2 cards from hand. Steam Heal heals Jane equal to the monster's attack points that it destroys by battle. Dark Magician Go summons Magician's Thackeray. Dark Magician Go uses Dimension Fusion by paying half of her life points. The monsters that she banished can be summoned. So now Valkyria and a Dark Magician Go. Of course, you gotta summon yourself. So apparently Yugi is the only one with Dark Magician Go in his deck, which is ironic about how much different artworks and reprints that card has gotten over the years from TCG. Dark Magician destroys Steam Heal, but 2 Valkyries attack directly. Jane uses Fusion Recovery to get Polymerization Bastiontrix back. Jane uses Polymerization to fuse Avion Bastiontrix to make Flame Wingman. Jane is the evil one against the idle Dark Magician Go. Jane can attack due to the Valkyria's protecting spellcasters from battle. Jane sets 2 Dark Magician Goes and uses Magical Formula to increase Dark Magician's Go's attack by 700. Dark Magician Goes attacks Frank Wingman, but Jane uses Staunch Defender, which forces all monsters to attack, and Hero ability to negate Dark Magician Go's attack. Frank Wingman destroys the Valkyrias for game and by dealing the attack as damage to Dark Magician Go. It turns out that Dark Magician Go was the real deal. I like this episode. The dueling action really isn't anything special, but what's the selling point is Dark Magician Go acting like an idol. I love it. I love it so much. I would definitely be cheering Dark Magician Go on with the rest of the stewards. I'm not gonna lie. She really knows how to work a crowd. It's nice that she has a nice little moment with Cyrus, because Cyrus and her used to go stay. Just saying. Dub changes. The school festival was changed to Do Monster Spirit Day. They put Hail Karibo doublings, which it seems like a lawsuit. Alexis suggests Dorothy as Dark Magician, and Chumley likes her as Dark Magician. Poor Chumley has PTSD from all the Yamino games that they've been a part of, which makes sense, but I feel really bad for him. Atticus is gonna use photos he took to show the family instead of Alexis's fan club. Dark Magician goes isn't so much as an ally in the dub version as she is in the sub version. Like, not that she doesn't play the crowd a bit in the dub, but like, I feel like in the sub version it's more like I like, if that makes sense. And then Alexis hints that she likes Jane again. Episode 33. A gambler named Pierre is headed to Duel Academy because, again, which people just know about the Sacred Beast. And, like, this guy was like, hey, Pierre, you know, on that island, what Velix that just so happened to be on a ship. There's, you know, the Sacred Beast cards people are doing against the Showers, you know, maybe you want a piece of that pie? And then Pierre was like, yes, I do. And then he jet skis off. Which, again, I mean, there's a lot of people on the island, so of course I get leaked out, but it's just like, no wonder the Sacred Beasts are in danger. Everyone knows about them. Jane and Alexis are wondering about Banner. Shepard's trying to act dumb when Pierre asks him about the Sacred Beasts, and again, it's like, you know, people know about these things. At this point, Pierre is very good at throwing cards and dodging getting thrown off the island. Alexis challenges him to a duel. If she loses, Pierre would take her place as a keyhole. If she wins, she gets what Pierre holds dear. Pierre and Alexis know each other. Pierre summons Gambler Angel Bunny. I do like Jane calls Cyrus out for not being devoted to Dark Magician. And Cyrus says he is. Doesn't mean he can't find any other card cute. But I do like that little tie to the previous episode. Pierre sets a card, and depending on a resolve a coin flip, someone's gonna take 1,000 points of damage thanks to Gambler Angel Bunny's effect. Pierre is gonna take the damage, but he used second coin toss, so basically we get to flip the coin again, and now Alexis takes 1,000 points of damage. Pierre sets another card. Alexis summons Sabatutu, who can attack directly with the opponent has monsters with higher attack points, but Pierre uses Fairy Box to coin flip to see if Tutu's attack dropped to 0. After a little help from second coin toss, it does. Alexis sets the card. Pierre and Alexis were classmates in the 6th grade. Pierre gambled kids out of the things because he's so rich he can just keep going. He goes double nothing, double nothing, double nothing. Alexis stood up to him and won, but Pierre stole Alexis a scarf, which was a gift from her mom. Pierre transferred schools after that, like a little coward. Pierre used the scarf as a good luck charm, which is twisted in a way. Very twisted. Pierre pays 500 life points to keep Fairy Box around. Gambler Angel Bunny's effect goes off and deals 1,000 points of damage to Alexis after a little action from second coin toss. Pierre summons another Gambler Angel Bunny and attacks Tutu, but Alexis used double passe to make a direct attack, and Tutu can attack directly as well. But Gambler Angel Bunny destroys Tutu. Alexis sets the call and plays Scapegoat to get 4 tokens. Pierre pays 500 to keep Ancient Fairy Box. Pierre summons Sand Gambler, and if he can flip heads 3 times via Sand Gambler's effect, it destroys all monsters on Alexis' side, and if it's all tails, Pierre's monsters are destroyed. Pierre's second chance at tails and got all heads, so bye-bye tokens. Alexis plays Hollow Life Barrel to discard a card to make damage that she would take this turn to 0. Alexis uses the Warrior Returning Alive to get Tutu from graveyard to hand. Tutu summon back. Alexis uses Prima Light to tribute Tutu to summon Cyber Prima. Cyber Prima destroys all spells of a field. Prima attacks Sound Gambler, and Fairy Box misses for card attacks. So that's game. Pierre says that he loved Alexis as he gets the scarf back. Jane's still clueless about love. I like this episode. No, this episode's okay. I'll drop down to it's okay. Pierre is not very interesting. I know they are irrelevant, but each time I hear Pierre, I think of who lines is it anyways.
I'm your anchor, Pierre, cause my bladder's empty.
Like, I'm happy Alexis has got her scarf back. She beat Pierre, who was a bully. He really rely on luck, and really didn't play with strategy, but was kind of a lesson of the episode. Like, he just was too scared. Clones without a second clone task around, and when it was taken away, he became more cowardly and less confident. I don't know, this episode just really didn't click like I think it should for me. Well, I mean, it does make sense for Pierre once in of a, like, Sacred Beast thing, because he didn't fully understand what it was about, and Shepard was playing dumb, and I don't think he would have bought anything Chapel was selling him. But yeah, as like the third Alexis focus episode, it's not the best, unfortunately, because I don't feel like it developed Alexis any further, which is unfortunate, like a lot of the other focus episodes for the characters have been. So I don't feel like it pushed her character to a new level for my enjoyment, if that makes sense. Dub changes. Pio goes to do Academy for Alexis in the dub, so it's all about her. Pio says Alexis definitely has grown since the last time they saw each other. The dub didn't give a great level for when Alexis and Pio met. The lesson is about stealing one of the suburbs again by playing with strategy. Prima is censored. Jane doesn't know about languages instead of love like in the sub. Episode 44. Chaz ate the gang's breakfast since we're late, but we realized we don't have a teacher in the dome since Banner's gone. Which is freaking crazy that they didn't put someone there, just anyone. Like, even that background y'all teacher. Right there. They didn't do it. Crow is gonna be teaching alchemy in Banner's place. We learn about the mark of Animal, which is a symbol for alchemy. Crow is the best alchemy teacher, but school cannot find Banner anywhere. Chaz is gonna act like the great detective again. Due to a note found in Banner's room, Chaz thinks Dorothy made Banner disappear, but he was wrong. It was about, like, Black Forest cake. Chaz being the worst detective is, again, hilarious. I love it. The gang found a map with the mark of ML on it. Cyrus made Chaz a cute cat to lure out Pharaoh. Alexis got kidnapped and Alexis chases the kidnapper. Alexis loses in a duel and she gets trapped in a book. The gang thinks back when Banner used to force foods that he didn't like on the gang. They realize they didn't have many good memories of a guy. The gang called Pharaoh. Chaz keeps finding Banner's clothes, even his boxers. Jay and Cole found Pharaoh. Chaz lost to the same dudes as Alexis and got booked, but dudes has the mark of ammo. Jane's the last keyhole standing as of the last child, while who we may or may not know puts the rest of the keys in. I do like this episode. It's good build up for the two-part that we're about to dodge into. Again, I feel like I stated everything I liked in this episode. I mean, which is not much, but like, this is purely set up for like the two-part. I do like that, you know, Chaz is the great detective, Crowley as the alchemy teacher. But that's all that I need to enjoy of this episode, I feel like. Dub changes. Same Crowley, I don't know how to pronounce that word too. Chaz thinks the note is code in the dub and jumps the gun and thanks his Dorothy instead of like, but note specifically saying Dorothy in Black Forest, which is again, is a reference to a cake. But like, he jumps the gun, but it makes more sense of how the gun was jumped in the sub-version, if you ask me. Remember Star 69 to find out who called you? They made Chad seem like a good detective again, which I don't like. I like the opposite. It's a funnier joke. They tried to couple Cyber Blair being boned so hard that she bubbles with more file, which is a very weird change because you can still see her bubbling. They have rice with chili sauce instead of beans, and they cut Chaz finding up Banner's boxers. Episode 45 and 46 are two-part. Of course, starting with episode 45. Chaz and the others are trapping planets. Jane wants to stay and fight and not abandon his friends. Jane and Cole follows the mark of Emerald into the abandoned dome. Pharaoh leads the gang down the secret passageway, but leads to a lab where there are tablets of the sacred beast. Chumley mentions the family business of liquor and acknowledges steals. Banner is in a coffin mummified, which is actually kind of horrifying to see. We meet Emerald, the last child, who has all traps in his book. Emerald says the mummy of Banner wasn't his doing, but was there from the start. Jane and Emerald start their little card game duel. Emerald plays Chaos Distill to banish any cards that goes to his graveyard. Emerald plays Steel Lamp to summon Alchemy Beast Salamantra Bastille. Emerald plays Bronze Scale and Lead Compass to summon Alchemy Beast Ouroboros the Bronze and Leo the Lead. Which also bugs me. It's like, oh, well, we can't show Banner doing alchemy for his classes, but we can sure have Emerald playing the Alchemy Beast cards. I feel that's silly. Alchemy Beast can attack directly. Emerald sends a card. Jane summons Bubbleman, which allows him to draw 2 cards. Jane gives Bubbleman his Bubble Blaster to gain 800 attack. Bubbleman attacks, but Ammo uses Helmet Azobo to banish a monster in his hand to stop an attack from a monster with the same attribute. And of course, in this case, it's water. All the alchemy beasts attack directly. Elmo plays Process Nogo. If he has no cards in hands and Chaos Steel is on the field, he can bench off his alchemy beast to draw 6. Elmo plays 10 Spell Circle, Mukri, Hourglass, and Silver Key to summon alchemy beast Eros with 10 against Mukri and Moonface for silver. Jan summons Clayman and equips it with a Mud Max to give it 300 attack. You know, you gotta love that he has a gold card. Clayman attacks, but Emma Zobo stops him. Emma plays Wild Process, a beat him to summon Gon Homunculus, and against attack equal to Emma's Spanish cards times 300. Alchemy beasts attack directly. Gon Homunculus attacks Clayman, but sending Monmax to the graveyard and negates the attack and summons Avion. Jane summons Bestruntrix. Avion attacks, but Emma Zobo negates the attack. Bestruntrix attacks and saving happens to home. Jane plays both return all E heals besides Bestruntrix to the hand. Jane plays both impact to destroy all monsters on the field. Besides Bestruntrix, an Emma takes 300 damage for each monster destroyed that he controls, and it's revealed that Emma is now Banner. And thanks for Pharaoh for like making that even more clear before the max came off by being all friendly towards Banner. Banner used alchemy to bring himself back from the dead. Double changes, I agree with size that they were too big to fit in the secret patch right in the beginning. I think this is one of the few times we replace like villain text in the dub with subversion text, because Banner's lab coat, it has this, you know, Japanese name, and then they actually replaced it with Banner, which I'm flabbergasted, shocked for would do such a thing. Episode 46. Banner's body died a long time ago and was put his soul in a new body using alchemy. Banner was searching for the Philosopher's Stone, which can do all sorts of alchemy things. Of course, it all leads back to Doom Monsters, because why wouldn't it? Everything leads back to Doom Monsters. Atlantis, alchemy, gods, all Doom Monsters. Banner gets an incurable illness, so he made a homunculi for his soul to be in. Banner's new body is breaking down. The sacred beast can make the Philosopher's Stone, so that's why Banner is one of the Shadowlaws. Banner also hints of someone funding his research. Banner plays Chaos Greed to draw 2 if that's new cards in the graveyard, and has at least 4 cards advantage. Banner sets 2. Jane plays Power Greed to draw 2. Jane summons Clayman and equips it with a Clay Wrap. Jane uses Polymerization to fuse Bestruntrix and Clayman to make Rampart blast him, and since Clay Wrap was sent to the graveyard, it destroys Element Azobo. Rampart also attack directly, but Banner plays Magno Cosmos. By banishing Chaos Steel, he also summons Helios, the primordial sun. Jane sees the trapped friends. Banner says everything is connected, even humans, to space, which is true. Banner plays Plan Alignment to destroy Rampart Boss Steel and deal 300 points of damage to Jane. Jane sets one. Banner plays Yellow Process Killers. Trippy Helios to summon Helios duels Magnos, who gains 200 attack for each Banish card, so it's 2400 attack. Duels Magnos attacks directly, but Jane uses a heal emotion to summon Blage. Blage destroys Duel Magnos, which allows Duel Magnos to revive with 300 more attack. Duel Magnos destroys Blage. Jane summons Bubbleman to draw 2. First time he used that fact twice per one duel. Jane uses Fusion Recovery to add Polymerization and Clayman from graveyard to hand. Jane uses Polymerization to fuse Avion and Bubbleman to summon Emma Hill Marano. Jane sets 2. Marano can attack directly if Jane has a spell or trap on the field. Banner thinks Jane is the ultimate alchemist because he has master the fusion summon. Duels Magnos attacks Marano, but Jane uses Mirror Gate to have a monster change fields, but Banner uses Grand Convergence to destroy all monsters on the field and deal 300 points of damage to Jane. Duels Magnos revives with 300 attack and attacks again. Jane uses the Flute of Summoning Karibo to summon Wing Karibo to take the hit for him. Jane summons Clayman and sets one. Banner plays Web Process Rubdo to tribute Duel Magnos to summon Helios Tres Magnos, and who gains 300 attack for each bench monster. Tres Magnos destroys Clayman, but Jane uses Helios Singer to summon Sparkman since Clayman got destroyed. Tres Magnos can attack every monster on Jane's field, so bye-bye Sparkman. Jane realizes that making friends is for true alchemy along the way. Jane plays Miracle Fusion to banish Clayman, Avion, Bubbleman, and Bestruntrix from graveyard to summon Emma Hill Electrum. Electrum returns all banished cards to the deck, which makes Truth Magnos attack 0. Electrum destroys Truth Magnos from a game. With spirit gates closed, everyone is back. Banner says Jan needs to stop catastrophe. Banner's body, both bodies, Coffin and Homunculus, turn to dust, and then his soul gets eaten by Pharaoh. Poor guy. I mean, he's not exactly my favorite character, but to have your soul eaten by a cat, that might be worse than hell. I do like this two-part. I do think the alchemy beasts are very fun, even though we don't see them that often, but I do like the alchemy theme of Banner's deck. I think that's very cool. Banner being the secret boss, I mean, that was obviously the case for a few episodes now, but I really do like it. I do like the tie into him being an alchemy teacher, very much so, and I do like that he truly believes in Jane being the ultimate alchemist. Great little two-part, great little fight. Moving on to dub changes. Banner was cursed instead of being sick, and also no coughing up blood. The Sacred Beast can save Banner. Well, I mean, I guess it's more directly than like, oh, if they can make the Philosopher's Stone to save me. Banner wants Jane to be his Darth Vader to his Emperor, but Jane turned him down. Banner lied about wigging Jane's duels because to prepare him for the next threat, which was a stupid dub change, but hey, whatever. And one thing I do like, too, is that, for example, next episode, episode 47, I like to give us a break between these two parts again in 4 hours here. Very much appreciated. But episode 47, Chaz is having dreams about Alexis since being trapped in the book. Jane is being treated like a hero for being the child. Again, worst secret ever. Chaz doesn't care about duels anymore, just Alexis, and his deck blows away in the wind. So Chaz thinks Alexis likes Zane, but she sees him as a big brother. Atticus is a chick magnet. Chaz asks Atticus to help him get Alexis. The answer is, of course, to do her, because, well, wouldn't be anything else. Shepard still thinks that someone else is gonna go after the spirit keys. Chaz and Atticus still said keys. Chaz chances Alexis to a duel. If he wins, he gets to a date with him, and he uses the spirit keys as leverage to make that happen. Alexis says even if they go on a date, it won't mean anything, which is very true if you force someone to go on a date with you. Chaz, it's okay if Alexis doesn't call him Thunder, which is funny because he always corrects people called Thunder. So that's a very funny joke. Chaz summons a Yugioh and sets to. Chaz plays Love, which makes Alexis take Chaz's monster, a spell trap, up to him, and she picks one of Chaz's face down cards. Chaz plays Giant Trunade to return all spells and traps to bone her hand, and Chaz's mind exchange loves with Alexis. Chaz plays Hidden Witch, which, when it would turn to Chaz's hands from Alexis's field, it does 1,000 points of damage to her, and have Chaz gain 1,000 life points, which in Chaz's mind means Alexis will lay her life on the line for him. The man is down bad. Chaz plays Treasure Map. When that will turn to hand, Chaz can draw 2. Chaz sets 2. Alexis summons Blade Scale. Blade Scale attacks the Yugioh, but Chaz plays a Wing of Destruction because, you know, he's giving Alexis a wing. Just one that blows up and deals Blade Scale's attack to both players. It's a lovely wing. Chaz plays Graceful Charity to draw 3 and discard 2. Chaz plays Power Greed to draw 2. Chaz plays Ajama Trio to give Alexis 3 Ajama tokens. Chaz uses Polymerization to fuse the Ajama Brothers to bring out the king, who blocks the rest of Alexis's monster zones from being used. Chaz sets 1. Bastion kind of understands how Chaz feels a bit. Ajama tokens cannot be tribute for summons. Alexis sets 1. Chaz equips Dress Up onto Ajama King to have a gain 3 edge attack and switch one of the tokens to attack him, but Chaz chooses not to use that last effect because you gotta show your love to Alexis. King attacks a token, but it's not destroying it, and Chaz takes damage. When Chaz takes damage, he can use Dramatic Crosswords, which people always shock that's the meme card. Alexis discards a card or give Chaz a card after showing her hand. Alexis declares that she loves dueling. Atticus realizes that Alexis doesn't like Chaz, but still shields Chaz on when he says he ain't gonna give up. Alexis discards the card. Chaz still demands, or not demands, but like still again says to continue to doom. Alexis plays Ritual Sanctuary, but discarding a spell, she can add Machine Angel Ritual to hand. Alexis plays Machine Angel Ritual to tribute the tokens to summon Cyber Benton, which I believe that's for a tribute summon, but if I said it doesn't count. Literally the only, like, besides tribute summoning mechanic that is tribute, but whatever. Benton destroys Ajama King and deals the defense of a monster that she destroys as damage, so Chaz loses. The spirit keys start to activate. I really like this episode. I think is very cute, but Chaz has a major crutch. He might push it a bit too far, but it's still a fun dude seeing all the love theme cards and John King wearing his best suit. We killed Chaz and Alexis to do again, so that was a plus. Even though Chaz is using a kind of a different type of deck, I still take it. I mean, we first get introduced to the Cyber Angels here, and she starts off with the best one. Dub changes! Because dubs cannot stay quiet for 2 seconds, they make Alexis talk during Chaz's dreams. Zane offers to be Alexis's bodyguard and makes it seem like he likes her. They cut the Chaz name joke since everyone already called him, Chaz by his first name. Actor's big head scene got cut, and he tells Chaz to give it up. Jamayama says he and Chaz will make a cute couple. I can see it. Episode 38 and 39 are 2 parts, starting with episode 38. The spirit gates are calling for keys, dragging Chaz. The gates are now open. The sacred beast cards are released. Something drops from a helicopter and turns out to be a man named Kagamaru, who's the chairman of Duo Academy. Which again, I feel like was a huge loss. But chairman of Duo Academy is having deaf duels with students. Great job, man. Anyways, worst school on the planet. Well, I mean, you got Hope's Peak Academy. That's definitely worse. Is it though? I don't know. They're both pretty bad. Kagamaru made the keys and have a child fight the game, make an environment filled with duelist energy, so he can use the secret beast cards for eternal life and world domination. So what else will you use them for? And that's the reason why the school was made. Kagamaru wants to do Jane, since Jane has the strongest power over spirits, which again is a callback to the Jinza episode, which I again appreciate. Makes this whole thing feels more connected if I do little stuff like that. If Jane refuses, the island would be under the sea. I'm curious how he plans on sinking an island, but we would never find out. Kagamaru puts the sacred beast cards in his deck. Jane put a card with banner left behind in his book into his deck. Jane summons Besternchik and sets for him. Kagamaru sets 3 traps, tributes for him to summon Yugioh, Lo the Searing Flame, who gains attack equal to the number of trap cards in Kagamaru's graveyard. Jamayao can feel how bad of a power sacred beasts have. Yugioh can destroy Jane's traps. Yugioh destroys the Besternchik. Jane's had to be fighting such a strong card. Jane summons Bubman to draw 2 and uses Polymerization to fuse Bubman and Avian Spogman to make Tempest. Jane plays Skyscraper when an E-Heal bios a monster with more attack, they gain 1,000. Tempest destroys Yugioh, and Jane sets for him. Yugioh can come back by sending a trap card from hand to the graveyard. Yugioh attacks Tempest, but Jane sends his set card to the graveyard to save Tempest via Tempest's effect. Jane plays Power 3 to draw 2. Jane plays each healed hard to give Tempest 500 attack. Tempest destroys Yugioh. Yugioh comes back since Kagamaru discarded a card. Kagamaru plays Farm Paradise, destroying Skyscraper. Farm Paradise lets Kagamaru add 2 cards from deck to hand. Kagamaru sets 3 spells and tributes them to summon Human, Lord of Striking Thunder. Human destroys Tempest, and since he deals 1,000 points of damage to Jane. Jamayao and the other monsters are having their spirit energy drained to a sacred beast. But you need the power spirits to control the sacred beast. And since Kagamaru really doesn't have that, he only can use the sacred beast inside the spirit gate, so he wants to beat Jane and steal his spirit powers. Kagamaru turns young again. Dub changes. Crowd blames Jane and the dub for no reason for opening the spirit gates. The Chihuahuas unload to test Jane and the dub to see if he has enough spirit energy. Episode 49. Ben escapes Pharaoh's belly. Kagamaru is over 100, and he looks great. Doctors hate him. But Tony Ura revives and can attack if Kagamaru has another monster. Jane summons Rottweiler and sets 1. Kagamaru draws 2 things to Fallen Paradise. Haman destroys Rottweiler. When Haman destroys a monster, deals 1,000 points of damage. But Jane gets Bubble Man and Polymerization back to hand thanks to Rottweiler's effect. Ura attacks directly, but Jane uses Food of Summoning Kuriboh to summon Kuriboh to take the hit for him. Jane draws Banner's card. Jane summons Bubbleman to draw 2. Jane plays Metamorphosis to make Bubbleman into a Neo Bubbleman. Neo Bubbleman gets his Bubble Blast to gain 800 attack. Neo Bubbleman attacks Haman, but Bubble Blaster takes a hit for Neo Bubbleman, and Jane's life points are safe. When Neo Bubbleman attacks a monster, it destroys it, so bye-bye Haman. Jane sets a card. Kagamaru draws 2 things to Fallen Paradise. Ura attacks Neo Bubbleman, but Jane uses Bubble Illusion to use the trap from hand, and he chooses Hiru 1, 5 freedom, so each player bans 5 cards from each other's graveyard. Jane picks the 5 traps from Kagamaru's graveyard, causing Ura's attack to drop to 0. Neo Bomberman destroys Ruar. Kagamaru plays Resurrection Tribute. When the monster is destroyed by battle, Kagamaru can destroy Neo Bomberman and summon him on in defense. Ruar is back. Because Kagamaru discard a trap card. Kagamaru plays Phantasma Morales to get free tokens by discarding 2 cards when he has Hamon and Royale on the field. And he attributes those tokens to summon Raphael, Roll of Phantasms. Now all monsters besides James monsters are drained completely. James feels bad if Kagamaru wins because he will have a very lonely fate. James plays a Dark Factory of Mass Production to add Avion Besterntrix from graveyard to hand. Replace Polymerization to fuse them into Flame Wingman. Raphael summons a token when James summons that card. Banner shows up to tell Jan to use his card, Sabato, for Philosopher's Stone. And that payoff, it doesn't really look in the dough because, Banner is an alchemist though, so. How the card works is if you wish upon it 3 times, by paying half your life points, it becomes any card. First, it becomes Fusion Recovery to add Polymerization and Sparkman from grave to hand. Jan uses Polymerization to fuse Flame Wingman and Sparkman to make Flame Wingman shine like a diamond. Shining Flame Wingman gains 300 attack for each E hero in the graveyard. Raphael spawns another token. Shining Flame Wingman destroys Hamon, but when Hamon is destroyed in defense, Kagamaru takes 0 damage. Jayan uses the stone a second time to set a card. Kagamaru draws 2 thanks to Fallen Paradise, who are switched to attack. Raphael attributes for tokens to gain their attack points. Raphael attack, Shining Flame Wingman, but the second card is Defusion, so Shining Flame Wingman splits apart. Raphael makes 2 tokens. Raphael destroys Flame Wingman. Raphael destroys Sparkman. Jayan summons Clayman. Raphael summons another token. Jayan uses the stone a 4th time to get Miracle Fusion by banishing Clayman, Bubman, Avion, and Besterntrix from field and graveyard to fusion summon Electrum. Saban, the Philosopher's Stone becomes a sword, which times Electrum's attack by the number of monsters Kagamaru controls, which is big number. Electrum destroys Raphael for game, but 2 monsters are back to normal. And we do see Grandpa there too, and Slade, and whatever Bravo Chaz Had's name is. But nice little references. Philosopher's Stone disappears, Kagamaru is back to being old. Jane helps Kagamaru stand up on his feet. Jane broke his back by hugging him. Jane forgot about his finals. I like these 2 parts. The Sacred Beasts are very fun for Jane to go up against, and I do like the little payoff of Banner calling James Ultimate Alchemist, but him using the Philosopher's Stone to perfection. I think that's very neat. And this is again, a very good dude to cap off Shadowwild Potion of Season 1 perfectly. Dope changes! Yes, crowd, sucking up Doom Monster's energy isn't in the rulebook. Slade wants to dock for pay for when the monsters disappear. Jayan bruises Kagamaru's ribs instead of breaking his back, and his promotion exams against the finals. Episode 50. Cyrus beat Jayan in the finals simulator. Shumley really wants to pass his finals since he's been hurt back once. Making cards is a class, who knew? And Chumley is very talented, making Aries walk. Chumley won a contest held by Industrial Illusions, which is fun to see Pegasus again, to get a card made of Aries walk. Pegasus wants to hire Chumley as a card designer if the Academy recommends him to do so. Cryo wants to do Chumley. If he wins, Chumley gets the recommendation, but if Chumley loses, he gets expelled. Chumley doesn't think he can beat Crowd, but Jaren told him not to worry about winning or losing, just focus on a duel fight you can only give. Chumley and Crowd's duel begins. Chumley sets a monster. Crowd plays Magnet Circle of 2 to summon 2 Ancient Guilds, but 2 monsters are tribute to summon Ancient Guild Golem. A Golem attacks the set monster and does piercing, but the monster was Death Crowd, but when it's flip up, it does 1200 points of damage for each card in Crowd's hand. Chumley is learning from his past mistakes, which is great to see. Chumley summons Eucalyptus Mo and sets a card. Golem destroys Eucalyptus Mo, and when it's destroyed, Chumley can summon a koala, and it's a big koala, if you will. Koala summons Ancient Guild Soldier. Chumley plays Wild Nature's Release to make Big Koala gain attack equal to his defense. Big Koala destroys Golem. Chumley uses Beats So Swap to return Big Koala to hand to summon another Big Koala to dodge Wild Nature's Release's destruction effect because it destroys the monster it boosts during the end phase. The new Big Koala destroys Soldier. Crowd plays Paw of Greed to draw 2. Crowd plays Ancient Guild Factory to summon now Golem by banishing monsters in his graveyard equal to double Golem's level. Golem destroys Big Koala, but Chumley uses Amino Trail to add Death Kangaroo to hand. Cryo discards the card to use Ancient Drill to set a spell card from deck, but he cannot use it this turn. Chumley is remembering his time at Duo Academy as his friends show him on. Chumley plays Arrow's Rock, Sunshine to special summon Big Koala from his graveyard, and for each beast, plant, and winged beast in his graveyard, reduces Golem's attack by 200. Chumley fuses Dance Kangaroo and Big Koala to make Master of Oz. Master of Oz attacks Golem, but Cryo uses limit removal to double Golem's attack, winning Cryo of a game. And Cryo is thinking to himself, like, you know, how much Chumley is improving. He goes, like, I don't know what motivates Chumley, but, like, this really makes me want to lose. But he goes, like, as a teacher, I cannot give my students special treatment. And so, you know, he won the duel. Cryo says he would recommend Chumley to Industrial Illusions after seeing an amazing duel. I really like this episode. I wish we did see more of Chumley duel up until this point and have a little bit more of seeing his growth. But this is a great Cryo and Chumley episode that really show that, again, Cryo really does care about his students. And one would argue Chumley was the antithesis of Slacker or Dropout Bone, whatever you want to go with. But Chumley kind of proved, like, hey, you know, don't count Dropout Bows or Slide for Slackers out quite yet, because they can still learn, they can still improve, and they can still surprise you. And I really do like that. Even though Chumley lost, Cryo still rewards him for improving so much in the year and getting his motivation to do better. Honestly, a pretty sick job, let's be honest, so that's great. But Dub changes. Jane is relatable with Test Anxiety. Chumley failed twice in the dub. We replaced Jane's pop tuck Chumley with Chumley, informing us and Jane that he'd be expelled if he loses. In the dub, Cryo was more focused on winning, like just completely wrapping the flow of Chumley than like acknowledging Chumley's growth throughout the doom. And the cut for flashbacks. I mean, it was a pretty long string of flashbacks, so I don't mind the cut this out. I mean, I wish we still had, but maybe a bit shown. Okay, the final two parts of the final, like, episodes of season 1. Episode 51 and 52. Starting with episode 51. Since Zane is the Kaiser, he gets to pick an opponent to have a graduation duel with, and of course it's Jaden. Cyrus asks Jaden to treat this duel as if his body and soul on the line. We put a pin on that. I get to that in a second. Chaz wanted to be one to do Zane instead. Of course he does, who doesn't? Jane really wants to win against Zane and is worked up about him. And so we see Jane really do act different throughout this duel to a certain point. And Cyrus puts pressure on Jane a bit. And I think that's a good building block to season 3. Of course, that's amped up. Some stances are different. But I think that's an antithesis of Jane wanting to do something and someone putting pressure on top of that, and Jane changing because of that. I might be stretching on that, but I do think that's good insight of what happens in season 3. Jane chooses to go second because of Cyber Dragon. Zane uses Polymerization to fuse 3 Cyber Dragons together to make Cyber End Dragon. Zane plays different dimensional capture to banish a card for 2 turns. After that, it goes to the hand. Zane sets the card. Jane is thinking very hard about his plays. Jane summons Wildheart and plays Wild Half to cut Cyber End Dragon's attack into half and makes a token with the same attack as the half attack. Wildheart gets his trusty Cyclone Boomerang to gain 500 attack. Wildheart attacks Cyber End, but Zane uses Diffusion to split Cyber End into 3 Cyber Dragons. Wildheart attacks the other Cyber End. Both monsters are destroyed, but since Cyclone Boomerang is destroyed, it destroys different dimensional capsule and dealing Zane 500 points of damage. Jane is trying to be perfect like Zane and sets the card. Zane gets the card back from different dimension capsule, which is card from a different dimension since it was banished, and both players draw 2 cards since it would turn back to the hand. Cyber Dragon attacks directly, but Jane used String Shield to negate attack and gain life points equal to Cyber Dragon's attack. While 2 Cyber Dragons attack, Zane sets 1. Jane uses the Warrior returning alive to get back Wildheart. Jane uses Polymerization to fuse Wildheart and Blade Edge to make Wild Edge. Wild Edge attack all monsters on Zane's field, so he destroys all the Cyber Dragons. Zane uses Return Soul to return all Cyber Dragons to the deck. Zane Zane thinks Jane's being a fool for not acting like himself. A foolish fool.
Foolish fool.
Zane plays Future to mill free Cyber Dragons to summon Cyber and Dragon, but I cannot attack this turn. Jane sets free. Zane plays Defusion to split Cyber and then we fuse it with the power of Power Bond, so his attack is double. Cyber and attack. Dub changes. Size where it's on thick that Zane is an impossible wall to get over. And Crowder forgets Jane's name when he was announcing him.
Is it Ducky? No, Duty. Oh wait, Yuki.
It's just very funny considering everything. But episode 52. Jane plays Soul Union to add Blade's attack to Wire Edge. Jane uses emergency provisions to get rid of Soul Union to save himself in terms of life points as Cyberman destroys Wire Edge. Jane plays Hero Signals as an E-Hero is destroyed. He can summon Bowman to draw 2. Zane summons Cyber Current by triggering it, but will reduce Power Bond's attack damage to 0. Jane is hungry due to using his head so much, so he asks Dolphy to make food for him. Jane says he's done acting like not himself. It truly is nice to see Jane be himself again. Jane plays Power of Greed to draw 2. Jane summons Avion. Jane sends 2 cards from deck to graveyard to use Spy Hero to take Fusion from Zane's graveyard. Jane uses Fusion to send Bastronics and Clayman from deck to graveyard to Fusion summon Vampire Blaster and sets 2 cards. Zane summons Cyber Phoenix, which can negate spells or trap cards for target monsters on Zane's field. Cyber N attacks Vampire Blaster, but Jane uses Defusion to split up Vampire Blaster apart into his fusion materials. Jane uses Emmett Burst. Since Jane tributes a Wen, Fire, Wall, and Overmaster on his field, he can destroy all the cards on Zane's field. Since everything is destroyed and Zane draws 1, Zane banishes 1 card from his hand to use Time Fusion to summon out Cyber and Dragon again this turn. Jane sets a card. Card from different dimension comes back to Zane's hand, and since it was banished, allowing both players to draw 2 cards. Cyber N comes back, but I can't attack this turn. Zane sets a card. Jane plays Fusion Recover to get Polymerization and Bastronics from graveyard to hand. Jane summons Bastronics, then uses Miracle Fusion to banish Bastronics and Avion from field and graveyard to summon Flying Wingman. Jane uses Polymerization to fuse Flying Wingman and Sparkman to make 1 Shining Flying Wingman, who gains 300 attack for each E-Hero in the graveyard. Shining Flying Wingman destroys Cyber N. Zane uses Damage Polarizer to block Shining Flying Wingman's effect damage and makes each player draw a card. Jane sets 1. Zane is willing to join the duo now. Zane plays Powerbomb and Cybernetic Fusion support by paying half of his life points. Zane gets a Cyber and Dragon out with double attack points by banishing 3 Cyber Dragons from his graveyard. Zane uses limited removal to double Cyber And's attack up again, so he's one big boy. Jane uses Battle Fusion so Shining Flame Wingman gains Cyber And's attack. Zane uses Battle Fusion as well so Cyber and Dragon gains Shining Flame Wingman's attack points. Zane says that Jane has unlimited potential. Jane uses Final Fusion to make both players take damage equal to the attack points of both monsters on the field. So if a duel ends in a draw, both Jane and Zane laugh after such a great duel. I really like this as a final because it's after the fact. This, after the world is ending events, there's still a school to deal with. So I do appreciate that. I appreciate Zane respecting Jane enough to choose him as like his final opponent of Duel Academy. And I do again but seeing Jane change his personality because he wants something so badly and feels pressure from that. Again, I think that's a great block for season 3. I know it'll be a while before we get there, and yeah, it's just a really fun duel, especially seeing the attack points just go up towards the end. That's just stupid fun. Dub changes. They don't frame Zane's mind him as him showing the duel like in the sub. Chaz's right for once is funny. I do think GX season 1 is connected very much a lot. They do little small things to make every episode feel at least somewhat connected. At least try. Not everyone succeeds. Like the 10th episode feels very isolated to the other episodes, even though there's some connections like Crowder getting hit in the eye, like in the Bastion vs. Chaz duel. Jane's such a great main character. I love him. I love his energy. And the supporting cast is good when they're allowed to shine. They of course don't always get to shine very much, but when they do, I feel like they shine a lot. And not every episode's a banger, but like a good fair chunk of them all. I feel like GX encapsulates growing up very well. Sometimes things are just weird, sometimes they're hard times, sometimes there's good times, and I think GX Season 1 encapsulates that very well. So I would like to give GX Season 1 an 8 out of 10. Now if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you dislike the video, give it a thumbs down. And hit that subscribe button if you want to see more for us content in the future. And I will see you all next time. Bye.